Dog, they wanted to do there was 3 options to buy your things there, whatever.
Uh-huh.
The first option is like $105 a month, but a $500 installment fee.
Hold on, say it again.
So like there's 3 different tiers to getting your gym membership.
Yeah.
The one it was the cheapest one, which was like $100 a month, but it was a $500 installment fee. You know, like when you first sign up your sign up fee, $560.
Is it non-refundable?
Yeah, that's like your installment fee. Like, this is your money down to come here. I was like, you're fucking high.
What gym is this?
The gym I go to. So, but I was like, hey, I'm in the military. They're like, all right, we'll give you the military $115 a month and $80 down.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah.
That's a significant difference.
I'm like, who the fuck would charge, between me and Lacey, that would have been $1,200 to sign up for a gym.
Did you tell me you were a veteran or that you were like in the military?
I was like, I'm in the military. I'm like,
did you shave before you went down?
No.
Do you think they would realize? They probably don't know any better.
I don't think they care. And it's honestly, it's pretty bro-y there. It's
they
like,
don't get paid to care.
It's almost annoyingly bro-y. Like today I walked out of the gym up on top and it was windy as fuck. And I opened the door and they have like the mats on the wall, like hanging, you know, like the yoga mats.
Yeah.
And the fucking yoga mat caught wind and flipped up and hit my eyeball. Like smacked my eye, but on my eyeball.
What?
And I couldn't see shit. I was like crying out of that eye. I'm like, fuck, dude. Because when the door opened, all that wind came through. So I went downstairs and I'm like, yo, I just got I was like, I just got my eyeball smashed by one of them, like by one of the things because the wind that came in the door. And the guy was like, yeah, that happened to me before. The guy that worked there. And I'm like,
what?
So as I was walking away, I was like, you might want to go secure that yoga mat there, kid. And he's like, oh. And I'm like,
that's how you get sued, dude.
I know. And I'm like, I'm just looking out for you. Like, that thing could have fucked my eye up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty easy to fuck your eye up.
That's why I was scared.
Super shitty.
I don't like fucking with my eyeballs. That's why I don't even know why I ever did OC spray, because I would never do that again. That's too scary. You have to sign a form that was like...
Well, let's officially start this. So, episode... I don't even know what episode it is, actually. It's like episode 16, I think. I should have looked at that. I should have looked that up before.
Yeah, you sure should have.
So, I had somebody scheduled to come on the podcast, right, and they weren't able to make it, so I'm having Michael on again. He's filling in, and he's coming to...
Filler.
Tell some stories and stuff.
Is my microphone supposed to be blinking red or straight red?
Plain red. Regular red.
Straight red. I'm plain Jane right now.
That means your mic is on.
We're hot.
So, yeah, man. This is the week before Thanksgiving. It's shitty out right now.
It's raining. This is the first rain we've got since May, said the weather.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone that's coming back after the week I had off from the podcast. I'm in the middle of moving. We're sitting in my new living room right now. I don't even have my couch and stuff in here yet, but I had to move from Oceanside down into San Diego a little bit closer because I'm driving like an hour each way, spending $100 a week on gas to go to school. So now I'm, farther from the beach, but down here. But it is what it is. But yeah, so upcoming. I just want a couple things we got coming up. I got a buddy right now who's active duty who just came from Raider Battalion as one of their JTACs. He's seeing if he can get permission to come on and talk about the selection process for that, like how you become, who you need to talk to and the steps that you're going to go through to go and eventually make your way up to a team. And this is a guy that did his, full tour there, and now he's back with the regular. No, it's a different guy, regular Fleet Marine Force. And so he's going to see if the unit is okay with him coming on and talking about it. And if so, we'll have him on. I also have another guy. I got quite a few dudes actually kind of lined up. I just got the thing is, like today, when someone says they're going to be on and they can't make it, I don't blame it on them. Life happens, and this is like this is a commitment because it takes some time to record.
Am I your filler side girl?
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. No.
Nice.
No, you're here. You're entertaining. You live now 10 minutes away.
Yeah, dude, we are super close.
It's sick. So, but yeah, so the intent of the podcast is going to still be keep telling people stories, but keep doing this too. So Michael has plenty of stories to tell. So I feel like you're a good person to keep bringing on as a regular guest.
Thanks, bud.
Do you appreciate that?
I'm not against it.
So welcome to the show, Michael Farrell. Yeah, what's up? What's happened since last week or 2 weeks ago. It's only a couple weeks since you're on.
I mean, first and foremost, shout out to Tracy Offit.
Oh, always.
Just gonna give him a shout out.
He offered
because I know he's listening.
Yeah, exactly. For those that don't know, no one else would know, but he was listening to one of the podcasts where I said I was moving and called me and was like, "Hey, man, I got 2 trucks. If you need someone to help come move." And I'm like, dude, that's super cool. You know, like obviously you don't expect somebody to do that, but to even offer your time, because most people are like, yeah, I'll help you move, and then they never, you know, they're like, yeah, but please don't ever fucking ask me. You know, don't ever.
Dude, and that's the thing, man. I've had, like, my buddies just recently asked me to move, and I'm like, for sure, dude, because I'm going to probably be moving at some point. You got to think about how much help that would have been, or that is, to have somebody help you move, even just one other person. So I'm like, yeah, I'll help you move. Lacey and I will, and we had some stuff to do that morning, and at like noon, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, he's like, oh, we already moved, man. Like, they did it early in the morning.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, dude, because I'm like, I was going to call him for when I'm going to move. And I'm like, I had all intentions. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I had total intentions to help you move that day. But now I'm like, man, when I move, I can't ask him because I didn't show up when he needed me.
That's quick, doing it all in one morning.
I know, man.
That's being pretty serious about it.
2 U-Hauls.
I have the flexibility where I'm moving from Oceanside, and every day I come to school, I take a load in my Jeep of stuff. Yeah, then this weekend, I'm going to grab the last of my stuff, my big stuff with a U-Haul or something, or your truck, whatever. Truck. Somebody.
Is it going to rain this weekend?
I hope not, man. It's raining for the first time in
months.
I don't even know when the last time it rained. It's raining a lot. There's flash flood warnings here in San Diego and stuff.
So it's raining next week, Wednesday through Friday.
So speaking of moving, what was it like moving to Japan? What was the process for you? Like, did we talk about this? I don't feel like we talked about this.
Oh, man. Moving to Japan was, so it was 10 times easier for me than it was for someone who had already, like, maybe that was their second duty station. Because I had just gotten I went from the schoolhouse to there.
Oh, so you had almost
So I didn't really have anything. I had, like, you know, the sea bag and, like, maybe a box of stuff. But that was it.
What about coming back?
Coming back sucked, man. I mean, my roommate stayed a week longer than I did. And he...
Oh, you and your roommate were moving at the same time?
So both my roommate and I, Isaiah, we're still like best friends. Me and him, in the 2 years of living together in Okinawa, only got in one argument the entire 2 years.
That's pretty rare for a roommate.
And he's one of my best friends. He's super laid back, like doesn't really care. So he went to the schoolhouse to Japan with me. And then when we left, we both got orders to Anglico. So he was going to Isaiah Racinos. No, probably not. He lived right next to me in the barracks then.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, and that room was a fucking party room. Dude, it was so much fun. Me and him would always just do the dumbest shit. But so when I left a week early, our room was full of shit. Yeah. And I kind of like bagged my stuff up, and I'm like, hey, man, like, because he still had to turn in the room, get it inspected.
You made him do the cleanup?
No, not really. I mean, like, he still had a week left.
What a dick.
So he kind of had to keep all of his shit was still out. He didn't pack any of it.
Yeah.
So, like, he basically did all of it. So when it all showed up, it was all under his name.
How different are the barracks in Japan from what you've seen in the States?
They're actually pretty different. The ones in Japan that we have, I mean, they're all air-conditioned because it's so humid over there.
Yeah, you have
But the air conditioning was it was shitty, but it wasn't bad. Did
it ever go out?
Yeah. Well, it went out when we were on ship, so when we got back, all of our shit was covered in mold in the rooms. We had to throw it all away. I threw away probably $300 worth of clothes.
Oh, fuck.
So we were on ship when we heard about the air conditioning going on in the barracks, and we're like, fuck. And it was 3 weeks, I think it was out for. So when we got back, I mean, I have pictures on my phone. Everything I opened the door in the room, and I could see a layer of probably half-inch of mold on my entire bed. It looked like there was grass on the top of my bed.
How fucked up is it that the Marine Corps or the military can allow that to happen, and you're not going to get reimbursed? Did you get reimbursed?
No.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to reimburse you for that.
I remember opening up my wall locker, and all my clothes were covered in mold. Like it looked like someone laid fur on all my shit.
I feel like, I mean, if you lived in an apartment building and you were like, hey, I'm going to be gone, I'm traveling or whatever, and while you're gone, the AC or something that they're responsible for quits working, because you can't control the AC in the barracks. Or, I don't know, can you in Japan? It's the same, right? It's just on or off. So, you can't even control it. It's something out of your control, destroys all your shit. Did you have renter's insurance?
No, I mean, not there. I don't.
So that's a thing that most people don't even think about. Is if you live in the barracks, is you can have renter's insurance, and renter's insurance will cover.
And it's super cheap.
It's what, like $5 a month.
Yeah,
like it's literally.
I paid $20 a month.
I knew a guy that broke his laptop and they paid for it on deployment. They sent him a new one on deployment.
No way.
Yeah, we were. I think it was either Iraq or my first Afghan deployment. I'm like, what? That's when I was first. Someone was like, yeah, you don't have renter's insurance? And I'm like, what the fuck would I do with, why do I have renter's insurance?
Even the renter's insurance for the house I have now, you have to have a minimum $100,000 renter's insurance for like living there.
Yeah.
It's $20 a month, I think I pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
For $100,000, like that's like, I don't know. And it covers your vehicle. If you had to do it, like my motorcycle and all that's all covered too because it's on the property.
Oh, so I even added to it on the property.
Like I collect watches, right? So I have like the watch box maybe with like $4,000 in watches. Just when I was in Okinawa, it's like a big thing I did. I don't even know why. It's fucking retarded.
No, I was actually thinking about my watch on my way over here.
I love them.
I have a Tissot watch that I never wear.
Lacey got me that Movado that was like a $1,400 watch. Super nice Movado. But this was like when we had no bills living over there. Anyway, that's even covered. I'd cover that it's an extra like 35 cents a month, I think, to add all my watches in on my renter's insurance. So if anybody broke in and stole them, they would 100% replace them. But yeah, you should get it. If you're in the barracks, I would totally get it. Because like that happened to us and it was, yeah, I threw away. I had just ordered, because like when you were in the MU, when you had to go to different countries, when you got off, you had to wear a collared shirt. You couldn't just wear a nice shirt. It had to be a collared shirt. So I ordered we did like a $250 order just from Express of like 10 really nice like collared shirts and some other clothes and all that shit had gotten there right before I left. I didn't bring it with me. Not all of them, obviously. And I threw them all away. The mold, we washed that mold 4 or 5 times. It did not matter. We had to go down, and we got back at like 11 o'clock at night. And we had to be up the next day to unload the trucks. So we got back to that. Had to just get a bunch of bleach and shit that was in the barracks.
How pissed was everybody?
Dude, everybody was like, this is not real. Because, like, imagine walking into your room, and you could see the layer of mold on my bed from the door.
That's crazy, dude.
And I'm like, no fucking way.
I remember seeing a video of there were some soldiers that had come back from, I think it was Afghanistan, and when they got to their barracks, it was like standing water. Like there was like a drain that was clogged. And it was like standing, like inches of water, and it showed them like crawling up on the washers and dryers with like a mop trying to like plug through. And this is like the day they got back, and this thing went viral. This is like not the beginning of social media, but like back, this was probably at least 8 years ago, and it went on the news and all this stuff happened. And I'm like, man, I've never seen anything like that. But that's crazy. That's a similar situation. Like you come back and all your shit's fucked up.
I mean, my buddy lived in Horno in those barracks over there, those nasty ones.
Yeah.
And when he would flush his toilet, his shower shit would come out of the sink or the floor drain in the shower.
What?
I'm like, dude, that just does not. And it was like nasty, mucky. Like I don't know. The sewage line isn't hooked into that. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know if it was shit or not, but it was nasty, dark shit just bubbling off it.
The worst barracks I was ever in, I didn't live in them, but I was in the unit, was 10th Marines. It was 210. They were bad. They were like, dudes were using poncho liners for blinds and stuff because they didn't have them. Like you'd go in and it was moldy because it's it's North Carolina, so it's like humid.
Yeah.
AC wouldn't work. And it was the like 2 rooms on one side with a shared head and all that stuff. And that every room I ever saw over there was just fucked up. It was like, this is fucked up, man.
That's why guys at Anglica didn't understand how nice they had it. Those barracks were
great, but they were pretty good. And every dude had their own room.
Yes. And I'm like, you guys, like, so in Japan, you have to share, all the rooms you share heads. So there's 2 dudes. So there's 4 dudes using the same bathroom at all times.
Yeah.
And like you get back from PT in the morning, and then our guys were
everybody PTs at the same time, and everybody's trying to clean up
Motor
at the
T
same time.
Mechs. Yeah. So yes, everybody, we'd all come back basically at the same time, and it'd be like, fuck, we got to be at the shop in 45 minutes. We got 4 dudes to shower, shit, like,
Motor T Mechs are the worst too because you just covered in grease all the time.
Everything was fucking filthy.
Every night when I was a mechanic, I'd come home and I'd shower, and when I would like completely lather up and soap up, And then I would rinse myself off, and I'd look at how dark the water was going to be, and I'd be like, "That's what I." Depending on what I did that day, I could tell how dark the water was going to be as it came off me, because I was like, "You're always covered in oil and grease and shit."
Yeah, we had to share the shower with that shit, and our dude that we shared with was always fucking hammered. So one time he locked me in the bathroom because you can lock the doors from the outsides. So he locked me in there like a fucking cage.
Oh, really? Why would
he
you
ran over to my
from
room.
the outside and not the inside?
Dude, I have no idea. So then people will know. So then my room, I can't get into his room because I can always get in the bathroom. So you could lock it so that nobody can come into your room from the bathroom.
Could you lock it while you were using the bathroom so nobody would come in?
I don't remember. I don't know. Either way, yeah, he fucking locked me in there, all hammered, ran into my room, locked my door, ran into his room, locked his door, and then he fucking left.
Oh, no way.
And I'm like, dude, I don't have my phone. I don't have anything. So after like 15 minutes, I'm like, fine. And I broke through his door, through his little vent, this tiny little 1 foot by 1 foot vent, and smashed that thing open and crawled through his door and then ripped his door handle off and went back to my room.
Was he pissed?
Fuck yeah, he was pissed. But I'm like, you just locked me in a bathroom. And he was so drunk, he had no intentions of coming back. This is like hours later, he comes back. What's up with my door handle? I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, you fucking put me in.
You literally locked me in a cage.
I am in a goddamn cage.
And somebody just shared. Did you see the video that Wilson just shared on his Facebook page? It's like just a 2-minute video compilation of like Marines in the barracks doing dumb stuff.
I did see that.
And I'm like, dude, I miss it. Like, dude's throwing up at noon, and dude's like,
it's not just a barracks. It was like field stuff too.
Yeah,
it was like the funny stuff. It wasn't like the Marine like moto. Like
that's the Marine Corps. That's what I miss the most. Is just like
dudes trying to fly with their poncho line.
Yes, it's like you miss the clowns, not the circus. Like I miss the fucking clowns, dude. Of just the fuckery.
You can't act like that anywhere else.
Absolutely not.
Anywhere else that you act like you do in the Marines, even as a staff NCO, because even staff NCOs get weird. You know, like people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know, they're just like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why? You're 35 and you're wanting to go get drunk at brunch? Like, fuck it, why not? We got nothing going on."
I remember we were in Angleco, and it was my team. It was one of the guys is still in, so I won't name him, but it was my team, and the other captain is still in too. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows who he is, and God, everybody hated him because he was a child. He was a giant child. Yeah. And we're in Camp Wilson, and he's like, "Hey, let's take the 15 packs van. Let's go to the main side of 29 Palms and get some food and drinks." And I can't remember what they call the main side of that is. You know, right by the front gate, there's like a little Italian restaurant. There's a Sonic or whatever it is. So we're in there, and he's watching the Cubs game.
Main side
before we even 29 Palms.
Yeah,
not main side, but I guess like the area where like the big PX and all that stuff is.
Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about now.
And he's like, "All right, well, we can't take the guns, so I took my gun." No, you know, we did take our guns. I think he left his gun. That's what it was. He left his gun underneath on his fucking rack and just put his blanket over it because he's just dumb as shit. And we threw our guns in the back of the 15 packs van, broke them down and put them in the back. And we're there, and he gets hammered, like blackout hammered. And I'm like FaceTiming my mom, and he's grabbing my phone. He's like, "Hey, Tracy."
Really?
Yeah. And I'm on Facebook or whatever, and I'm like, "Yo, there's a house party tonight for one of my buddies who's out there." I'm like, "You want to go out and party in Palm Springs?" And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "the guys don't have any civilian clothes." So we sent the junior Marines to go buy civilian clothes because they're like, "We'll go buy them." And I'm like, "All right,
you didn't
go get a pair of shorts and some shirts and whatever." And they come back in civilian, and he's so fucked up that he can't go. There's no way. I have to be like the one who's like, "Okay, this is probably not a good idea."
Hey, sir.
Like our radios are still back there in one of the huts. And so we go to the liquor store. We have one of the junior Marines drive the 15 packs van, and we have him go over to the liquor store. We get a bunch of liquor. I think we got 2 30 packs. Throw it in the back of the van, and now at this point, everybody's hammered except for the dude driving because he doesn't drink. He's a little like church going kid.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And fucking the captain is covering his eyes and uncovering it as he's driving.
Oh my God, Jesus!
The music is blaring. We're out there with the Brits and 1-4. And we get out to Camp Wilson, and he's like, "Check it out." And he turns on Born in the USA, I think, and he's ripping donuts in the center of fucking Camp Wilson at probably 11 o'clock at night in a 15 packs van. Homie is throwing up out of the passenger seat of the van.
That's why people can't have fun.
As he's doing this. And I'm like, dude, this is it. But it's like in the back of Camp Wilson where you're still the Quonset huts there, but nobody's up.
Yeah.
And so he stops, opens the door, and everybody's drinking beers. And all, you know how the Brits are. All the Brits come over.
God, yeah.
They're drinking with us. And he's throwing up. And the first sergeant comes over. And he's just like, what the fuck are you guys? Like, what? You know, the two dudes are still in civilian gear because they never changed back over. And he just walked away. He's like, you what the fuck? And he just went away. Nothing ever came of it. We had to leave that next morning, and we had to wake him up and be like, yo, dude, we got to go. To our captain, I'm like, we're packing the van right now. You got to get up, man. Oh, fuck, all right. He's got, like, puke on him and shit. He's got, dude. Yeah, and that's...
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
I think I do, actually. Never mind.
Everybody hated him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's all. I mean,
I didn't.
I thought he was a great guy just because of that. I mean, he let us do.
I can't believe that though.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't believe.
Oh yeah,
he seemed too straight edge for that.
Do you know him? Not.
Oh,
not him.
See, I got them all mixed
up. Not Flex. I'm talking. Okay, we'll talk later. But anyway, yeah. So everybody on here probably knows who it is.
Yeah, no, not him.
No,
that's I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
he's pretty straight edge. Maybe not. Yeah.
No, he's a fucking dork. Good dude.
Oh, him.
His goddamn dog chewed a hole in my fucking couch. He's the same one who we set up a Thanksgiving party at my house on base.
Okay.
And he like went to it and got hammered and passed out in the spare bedroom.
Yeah. I like him. Like, he's an okay dude, but he...
Anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's kind of shit. I mean, he was reckless, man. He didn't care about anything. He tried way too hard to be cool.
I didn't agree with... I had... So, similar circumstances. I worked with a guy that was a sergeant. We were sergeants together. And he lived in the barracks. So he was always hanging out with the lance corporals and the corporals.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, like after we got off work, they'd like go get dinner together, go do shit. And I get it, man. He's got nobody to hang out with, so he's got to hang out with them. But it bled over to where in the shop, it'd be like, hey, we got to do this. And they'd be like, all right, guys, Sergeant Kramer said we had to do this, And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we're supposed to be on the same fucking team here. But he was the only one of the three sergeants that didn't have their wife there. I think he was married, but she was still in somewhere else. So it sucked for him, but that's the kind of stuff where, I don't know, that's why you can't have leadership hanging out with dudes that...
Yeah.
I tried to never hang out with anybody that worked for me unless it was the whole group of people, because it just...
Yeah, but you never lived in the barracks. You never lived in the barracks.
I lived in the barracks when I first got to the fleet. And
fuck out of here for what, like 3 months?
Yeah,
dude, you didn't even get the fuck out of here.
Maybe a little longer.
Brushing that hair, dude. In Japan, when you live in the barracks, I
didn't spend 2 years in the barracks.
You work with everyone you party with. You live with, because you all 99% of you live in the barracks unless your spouse is out there, and usually you're a staff NCO. You are a staff NCO anyway, so you never really.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think you could still you could live off base. You could be married and live off base with your spouse as well. But
now, as a junior Marine.
Yeah. Oh, you had to be NCO.
I bet if you're a junior Marine, I bet they.
I remember our corporals. A couple of our corporals did, but it wasn't very. It was very like few. So you would always go back to the barracks with these dudes, and you would. Like, when we got to Japan, our NCOs had to take us out for the first weekend to show us the town.
Yeah.
So, like, we didn't, because you're in a different country. Yeah. Imagine coming to America, like, to Pendleton, and then being like, hey, sergeants, you're going to take the Lance Corporals out this weekend. Like, that would never fucking happen.
Yeah, they'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah. But that's why it was a totally different life there, because that's all you hung out with.
Yeah, we hung out in the barracks, but it was... Not like that. Not with our NCOs.
That's why I loved coming to Anglico, because it was like, this is fucking awesome. Dudes still stick around the barracks, not often, but you had like the Merritt, Rango, and all that. We'd always end up just partying in the lounge.
Yeah, there was a good group that hung out there.
I remember one night...
just enough wild to fucking keep
Mackenzie had a party one night there. Mackenzie's black. He's out. Big old black Mackenzie. You'll know why I'm saying this, okay? And... he has a party, and it's a bunch of people that aren't in the military. Not a bunch of people, but I'm guessing I wasn't there at the time of the party. I came in the back end of it. We're out riding motorcycles. So we get back, and there is nobody in the barracks in the lounge except for like 2 chicks on the big side, black, right? So I'm like, I wonder if these are Mackenzie's friends. Because whatever, black people hang out with black people. That's why I'm like, these got to be Mackenzie's friends.
Odds are they're not there with fucking ski or something.
And I look in the kitchen, and I walk by, the kitchen of that sliding door, or the sliding window, so you can see on the catwalk as you walk by, you can see into the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's a black dude with a beard and a mustache, and another black dude behind him smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, kind of give him like the, what's up? And he gives me the nod like, what's up? And I'm like, where the fuck am I right now? That's the shit that would go on there. And I'm like, this is not right. Like, who is in charge of these people? There's 4 people here, and not a single one of them are in the military. And I never knew where Mackenzie went. I didn't really look into it. I probably should have, but I just went back to my room, and I'm like, man, somebody needs to take charge in that situation because that's not going to turn out good.
You were just scared because there were 4 black people hanging around.
I mean, I guess, maybe.
Goddamn racist.
Actually, let's go back to speaking of Camp Wilson, what we talked about earlier.
Hold on. When I first came in, I want to talk about my barracks a little bit. When I first came in, the way it worked in the barracks, because the reason I do is I had like a kid who messaged me the other day, and there's a few guys that have messaged me that are thinking about joining, or they're in the DEP or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's super cool that, we hear about the other side, like not the recruiter part of the Marine Corps. So I know it's changed, but when I came in was during the Plus Up. It was in 2006, so they were letting tons of people in because there was 2 wars going on basically. And when I got to the fleet, I moved in, and there were 3 of us in a barracks room. We had 3 of us in 1 bunk or 2 bunk beds. There could be up to 4 of us. And the barracks were so full that sergeants could live out in town, married or not. Like they got the permission.
Yeah.
You always hear about
That's
that.
what my brother did when he was in.
Yeah, you always hear about like, oh, it could happen, but it never, like, it has to be at a certain capacity.
Yeah.
And then, but right after I got there, it was like a few months after I got there, or maybe it was like 2 months after I got there, was when they were like, hey, there's enough room in the barracks now. Sergeants have to start moving back in. And dudes were super pissed. They'd have to like get rid of all their furniture and stuff.
Yeah, that would suck.
Dude, because when I got there, man, the barracks fucking sucked. Like 3 people in a room, and I've talked about it before, but they would come and wake us up at when I first got there, we'd have to get up at 5 o'clock every morning to stand in front of our rooms with our camis on so they could come do a look at them, because there was like 1 or 2 guys in the entire barracks that were failing
inspections,
morning inspections and stuff like that. So they're like, no, okay, everyone 05, blah, 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 and shit like that. But that sucked. However, it was cool. You get off work, clean up, walk over to the PX with your buddy, grab a case of beer, walk back, and then a few people all get together, and just start.
You were never bored. There was always somebody to do something with.
Yeah.
You didn't have to like go places by yourself, or like the other day I had to work on the car, and I'm like, it'd be really nice if there was someone here. Because at the barracks, I'd be like, go to Craig or anybody and be like, hey, can you just, oh yeah, for sure. And you drink some beers out in the parking lot and work on, but now I'm like, man, dude.
That's why you see there's like that meme, and it's so true, of the dude. It's like the face you make when you find out your buddies already went to the DFAC or went to the chow or whatever without you, and you're like, what the fuck?
Like on ship. Oh, JT and Rango already went, huh? Okay, yeah, fuck me.
Oh, you guys already went to chow. I guess I'll just sit by myself like a nerd.
And it's already pathetic as fuck eating there, but that's why I miss the chow hall, dude.
Yeah.
Never having to do dishes and eating as much as a buffet every meal.
Yeah.
I mean, the food wasn't like that great, but quantity over quality at that point.
Overall, it was pretty good.
And there was always ice cream and cereal and like.
I think the problem. No, I'm not talking about on Ship. The chow hall was pretty good.
Yeah.
On Ship, it sucked. I think the problem at the chow hall is the repetition. Like.
No, I loved it.
You didn't like, or you liked that it was.
Like it was like Taco Tuesday, what was it, like Burger Monday maybe, and then Pasta Thursdays.
Even at the chow hall?
Pizza Fridays. There was always pizza and wings on Fridays. They had a set.
That was on Ship.
No, they had that at the, even like at the 41 area. Same thing.
You could get that every day. You could get wings and pizza and burgers every day at the fast chow.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah, I'm talking about the regular meal. Like the regular meal, it was like there was a rotation of the same fucking meal. So,
see, then in Okinawa it was different too, because 100% I remember there being Taco Tuesdays, Pasta Thursdays.
What's the best chow you've ever been to?
41 area. Oh God, no, Camp Lemonade.
We talked about this, didn't we?
No, you put it on your Facebook.
Is that what it was?
On your Instagram. Yeah, Camp Lemonwear is the best one I've ever had. I mean, I had a dude in front of me ask for like a 13 egg omelet, and they just, no questions asked, just gave it to him. I'm like, at what point do they say, no sugar?
Well, those dudes are foreign, so they're not going to say anything. They're just going to.
And that food, remember they used to have ice cream there. They used to have like real ice cream there where he'd scoop it out of the little thing for you.
That's how all the defects are.
That was delicious, man.
When you're over like in Iraq or in Afghanistan and all the like Leatherneck, the major bases, they have the chow hall where the dude's back there with like the Baskin Robbins. It's so ridiculous. That's why you come off one of the FOBs or like a patrol base. I remember flying into, they flew me to Leatherneck for a fires conference for whatever reason. And I remember flying in from Marja, and I was with 3-6, and it was obviously all dudes. There was like a FET out there at some point, but it was all dudes. And I remember going to Leatherneck, and one, you could smell females from like 100 yards away. Like 100% you could smell the
that
shampoo.
like dry shampoo shit they
If
use.
you were downwind, you're like an animal at that point. You're like, holy shit, I could like, and you'd hear them and stuff. 2, I remember going to the chow hall, and this was before the Leatherneck got attacked. So you were supposed to be condition 4 all the time, but you're supposed to have a magazine. So every time you go in the chow hall, you had to clear your weapon. And I had my pistol and a rifle with me, and I was in frogs. I was in my frogs. Everyone else is in camis because I'm Leatherneck just wear camis, but I was only there for like two days, I think. And I went in and I just like cleared my rifle and like kept going. This master was like, "Hey, devil dog, you go ahead and clear that pistol too." And I'm just like, "Come on, man! Like my hands are full over here. I got all this shit going on." And I just thought it was ironic that within a few months after that they got attacked. And like dudes were unprepared because they didn't have their shit. But what I was gonna say is going to the chow hall, coming from Marja, we at one point in Marja, I don't know what happened, but for 1 month, all we got were the first strike meals. It's like this. Have you had one? It's
the big one, like the big
one
MREs?
that's the clear plastic, and you like open it up, and it's supposed to be enough food for the entire day. But it's all like bread and shit. It's all like everything is like this, covered in bread. This because it's supposed to sustain you. There's only 2 of them. One has a packet of tuna and one has a packet of chicken.
Oh,
that's
fuck.
like the difference. That's all we had for a month. Like no other food. I mean,
isn't it weird how you're just like, well, I've accepted it. This is all I get to eat for a month.
I got to the point I was like, fuck this. I remember mail call came and I didn't get a care package.
Oh.
And I'm like, no. And it was like time to eat. I'm like, fuck it. I'm not eating anything. I put a dip in. I'm like, fuck. I was just so pissed because I'm like, I'm not eating any more of that shit. Because at first I'm like, well, I can get down with it's like cube chicken and like, I'm like, okay, this is, I'm going through a cutting phase. A month later, you're like, fuck this.
I mean, I think that's what,
else.
When they went to Syria, I think they were cycling through one selection of...
one case?
One case.
Yeah.
So they were like the one good case, that you had one good meal out of it, and everybody would get the shitty one every once in a while. And I remember they were saying Carrillo stole the really good one, that it wasn't his turn to eat it. It was Mags's turn to eat it, and Carrillo stole it and ate it, and they were all like... actually mad at him, like
it's like Lord of the Flies out there, man. You're like, I'm fucking starving.
They're like, this is
here.
not fucking cool, man.
yeah, man, dude. It's when you get hungry, like when you get like legitimately hungry, it's fucking.
It's what I always tell people. I'm like,
your
you're
mind
not,
changes.
I'm like, you're not starving. Like the word starving, like, oh man, I'm starving.
Even we weren't starving, but you're just Sometimes your nutrition levels cut so low.
Yeah, even like where it's just like, dude, I just need substance. I need something in my body, like.
That's
not even for
chip.
taste right now. I just need something, to like fill me up.
When you got to the point where you hadn't had a RAS or a resupply at sea is what they call it. And for those that don't know, what they do is another ship pulls alongside you. They shoot lines across, and then they use those to like pull heavier lines back.
Yeah.
And then they send over pallets of stuff, and at the same time, helicopters are picking up pallets and ferrying them from one ship to the other. And that's when we get all the fresh like lettuce and meat and stuff like that. Well, when you haven't had that for like 2 weeks, imagine the lettuce and shit that you have, and it's just sitting in your fridge.
It's like brown.
And imagine everything in your fridge, all the food that you normally buy, and it's in the fridge, and for 2 weeks, it's just sitting there. And we get to a point where you're getting like watery brown lettuce. Like the only thing that was ever always pretty good were the apples. And I would eat like 3 apples
or the yogurts.
a day,
when you get
dude.
the yogurts, I'm like, absolutely. Oh my God. We had a rack that just had apples and oranges and stuff on it.
I remember one time, or not one time. I remember when you'd get a Raz and you'd come out, they'd have like cubed up cheese, like the little cheese cubes, and like
it's all
like,
luxury.
Yeah.
All the dudes on the line are eating the corn dogs and stuff that have been like working. I never had to work a Raz. One time I did for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, I'm out of here.
It's a big working party, yeah.
Dude. It looks terrible. The dudes are in the cooler. They've been in there for 8 hours straight, and they're like shaking.
Hypothermia down.
My buddy would do that, and the Raz would always have all the captain stuff he wants as well, like his favorite ice creams and shit. They would always bring in, and he was in the back of the Raz eating out of the captain's ice cream with his hands.
Jeez.
Those were just the worst. But at least the Sodexo people weren't on the ship though.
There was the first dude. I mean,
those people were always all fucking weird.
I think it'd be better if they were on ship.
Z was always trying to bang them all.
You get more food, man.
Wait, time out. Did you? Oh, you never at the chow hall. Like Z was always like banging as a Sodexo girl.
I didn't know that.
Just the way, like the ugliest.
I heard he was trying to mess around with the MCX chick down there in Flores.
Yes, he was always all over the place.
Oh my God.
We haven't heard. He's out of the group now. I haven't heard from him, and hopefully he's. Was that crazy chick talking to him for a while? Z, I hope you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you're doing all right, man. It has been months. Somebody asked the other day, like, man, I hope he's still alive. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, because is he on Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I don't know. That he got a DUI when we were at Angleco. Were you there for that?
That wasn't after the...
So there was
that wasn't the beer pong.
There was that was Jared that got that DUI. But there was a huge party we threw in the barracks, and everybody ran out of beer, and we were like, "Oh man, someone's got to go get beer." And Z's like, "I'll do it," and we're like, "Yeah, Z." And so as he's getting in his Jeep, we're like, "Yeah, Z." We're like cheering him on, and then he just never came back. Oh. And the next day they had the no. Yeah, that is what happened. He came back, brought the beer. But then he left again with Isaiah.
Pushed his luck.
So he left again with Isaiah, and we're like, yeah, Z. Like the second time everybody's out there, just cheering because everybody's drunk. And the next morning we're in formation, and they're talking about how Z got a DUI. And I remember Rango was just like, man, Z, why didn't you ask us? Like, why didn't you say something? We would have picked. And meanwhile, in the back of our heads, we're all like, we watched him go.
Cheered him off.
Yeah. Right. Isaiah was sleeping in the passenger seat. My roommate, Racinos.
Yeah.
Woke up to like the cop coming up to the door because Z didn't wake him up, and was like, at that point he realized, oh fuck, he's getting a DUI.
He's probably trying to be like, all right, be cool, but then like as soon as you open the window, the booze smell comes out,
and then I think Isaiah just had to do a bunch of stupid work, like shovel rocks. Tracy off it again. I think he made him like shovel a bunch of rocks and pick a bunch of weeds.
Was
and
it
stuff.
On base?
It was off base, but Isaiah's name was like brought up in it, however reason, so he knew. It was basically like, well, why didn't you stop Z from driving drunk? So that's why he was like the accomplice, But he didn't get him in trouble.
Dude, off base, man, that's expensive.
It's got to be crazy. They say it's like 10 grand now.
Because on base, they don't take your license and stuff, right?
They take your privileges away. Your driving.
They take your driving privileges on base away.
Yeah,
because
I don't think
doesn't
they
affect
can
your
do
civilian license, right?
I don't think so. Unless I remember like 2 years ago they were talking about that. There was like everything that happens on base is going to be transferred to off base as well, tickets and everything. And I'm like, that's fucked, man. The only reason for that is that's them just trying to fuck you. There's nothing good that comes from that.
I got pulled over twice, maybe 3 times on base. First time I got pulled over, brand new, just got out of the barracks. My ex had moved down, had her car because, I didn't have a car because I just got out of MCT and went to the unit. And so I had her car and I'm driving off base. And I think I had my Motorola Razr phone. I think that was about that time frame. And I had it, and I knew you can't talk on your phone on base. PFC Kramer just checked into the unit, recently checked into the unit. And I'm talking to my brother, and sitting there talking to him, driving, and I got on speakerphone. So I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, what'd you say?" Like I said something, and he couldn't hear me, and I said it again. He's like, "Huh?" So I picked it up, and when I picked it up to say it again, louder so he could actually hear me, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the PMO guy next to me, and I look over, and he's just driving next to me, looking at me, and I'm like, and I go, "Hey man, I gotta let you go. I'm about to get pulled over." And he just got behind me and pulled me over.
Damn.
And so that's not great to be the PFC that shows up, and you're like, "Hey Sergeant, I got a ticket." They're
it's
like, "What the fuck?"
It's like Frogger showing up and buying a car.
Way worse.
And we're like, and Frogger's super smart.
Explain this. You gotta tell the story.
Oh man, dude, I don't know it. He's gonna listen to this, and I know it enough to where I know that he had just showed up. He was a PFC, I think. He had been there for a couple months, maybe.
Him and the other dude.
And before he even comes to our salt, somehow we find out that he is an underground rapper.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it was, but he was on leave. So he shows up to the salt.
You gonna shout out to SoundCloud, you know?
Yeah, he goes home on leave, and while he's on leave, we find out that he's like an underground rapper. Drizzy drops, and we're like, right. No fucking way. So we call him. Rango calls and puts him on speakerphone. Everyone's standing around listening, and he's like talking to Frogger about something, whatever, something stupid.
Yeah,
but in the background, they're playing Frogger's music. And you could hear it, and we don't mention it, though. But we know that Frogger knows, oh, fuck, they know that I'm a rapper.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So the whole time, it's very awkward, but we act like we don't know the music's playing, but it's clearly his music playing. And honestly, even, like, Mags was like, it's not that bad. Like, it's decent music.
Yeah.
And Frogger comes back.
I've never heard it, actually.
And that shitty-ass kid that was in the unit, can't remember what his name was.
I know his name. I know his name, but I'm not going to say it. Okay,
so if you go out to Oceanside and all these car dealerships, you're not supposed to buy from them because
off of every base is like that.
They hike up the prices. Like you're looking at like a 40% APR, something stupid, you know, like. Yeah. And they know that these young ass kids don't know.
They're preying on 19-year-olds.
Frogger was like 25 though.
I know.
Or whatever he was.
When I heard that, I'm like, you're an idiot.
And this guy gets, so when you go to the places, basically if you buy a car or whatever, they'll be like, hey, if you bring your friend in, we'll give you $500 cash if your friend comes in here and buys a car. So this kid was like, sick, I'm going to see how many people I can go.
Hold on. The thing with him is, because he was mine at the time, he was under me at the time, he went in and applied for a job. One of the Marines came up and they're like, hey, Staff Sergeant, they're like, so-and-so said he got a job. And I'm like, what? Like a side job? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, let me talk to him. So he comes in. I'm like, what are you doing? And it was like, oh, I'm installing radios. I'm doing this. And I'm like, cool, man. I don't care. I was like, honestly, like if you want to go earn money, good on you. That's cool. It can't ever, like, this is 100% what comes first. Like it can never affect work. And I'm cool with it. And he's like, all right, cool. Good to go. And I'm like, all right.
So that's what he told you he was doing?
That dealership were like, yeah, you can be our radio installer, dude. We'll train you how to do it, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, hey, anyone that you get to come in here and buy a car, we'll give you $500. They were trying to use him. They're like, this kid is a new kid also, and he's obviously a moron. They're going to use him as like a bait. Like a Judas fucking dude to come and be like, bring all his fellow retards with him to come and buy all these cars. And that's what happened.
And that's
Frogger needed a car.
But he's even still going and buying this car, and the car was an Impala, a Chevy Impala, like a silver, older, like 2008.
The whole thing was fucked.
But it was like he paid some crazy price for it, and on top of that, the tax I think were crazy on it.
It was like $16,000 with like 18% interest or something.
And it was like a 2008 with like 100,000 miles on it. And everyone was like, absolutely not. Like, bring that car back right now. And it ended up finding out that this dumbass kid brought him in so he can make $500 off of him.
That's when you come into work. Like, that's one of those times where I come into work and you're just like, da-da-da. And all of a sudden you're blindsided by something you could never even think that would occur. I come in and someone's like, hey, one of your Marines fucked over one of the other guys. And this happened. And I'm like, what? And then, so what happened is all that went down. Sergeant Major got involved, and they ended up he returned the car, right?
Yeah, because there was a certain clause in it where like you actually have like 30 days or whatever it is.
To return. There's like a lemon law where you can return it and stuff like that, I think. Anyway.
Pretty sure Tracy just called down and was like, listen.
Like, hey, we're going to put you on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think the car got returned, but the dude immediately became shunned by everybody because he got to the unit and everyone's like, fuck you, dude. You tried to fuck one of your fellow Marines, one, and two, a dude from Anglico, like a fellow Anglico guy. And
I'm pretty sure he was so dumb though that like I don't know if he really knew he was fucking him over.
Well, he knew he was shunned because no one would talk to him.
Right.
Nobody would do it. He was on my team too. It was hard to deal with. Then he got transferred. I think Top finally took him into the headquarters, and then they were like, hey, blah, 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 you've been hand-selected to go to Okinawa for this fucking, IA billet. And that's what they would do. They would send guys to Oki that they didn't like. Because there was always a hole that needed to be filled there. But yeah, dude, that sucked. I mean, that's what happens. That's a warning to anybody that's out there. Like, I'm not saying be a good person, but don't fuck over your own dudes like that.
Did you hear, this is like super irrelevant. Do you remember Alessandria?
Yeah.
I just talked to him recently, and he is moving to West Africa. I believe West Africa or South Africa? South Africa.
Okay, that makes
and
more
he
sense.
is basically he's going to teach surfing, and he gets paid 3 meals a day. He gets paid 3 meals a day, and then I think he lives in with the people that is like owns a surfing.
I thought you were going to tell me he's modeling. I thought you were about to tell me that
he's
got
a babe
modeling
though. He's 100% babe, but he's moving to South Africa for a little bit to just teach. He's going to teach surfing during the days and live at this place for food. I'm like, cool. What a cool thing to do.
Well, that's like you hear people that go over to like Thailand and stuff and teach English. They spend like a year or two teaching English, and that funds them staying there, basically. And I think
it looks super good.
Almost a lot of people can do that, like shit like that. Those opportunities, you don't really have to have like a
teaching. Like you don't have to be able to teach English. You just know how to. You're teaching. I mean, I'm sure you'd have to learn how to teach
because they need people. They're pretty lenient with who they'll allow come over to teach.
They're like, Michael Farrell, you never talk. Come on over.
It sounds like you speak it all right. Come on in. Come on in. Have a seat. So, anyway, let's talk about some of the news from this week. This has been a weird.
That's what I'm ready for.
Weird week. One, for those that didn't see the whole scandal, there was a female Marine who had, I don't even know the name of the website that she was running. There's those pay sites. She was basically a cam girl, is what.
Is that what it was?
And basically a cam girl. I mean, it's just like a pay site. It's almost like a Patreon kind of deal where you have to pay to get access. But she was giving up her nudes and stuff like that. There's a picture someone shared on one of the Facebook groups that she has a tattoo on her ass that says USMC. So it's pretty obvious that she was in the military, and she kind of brought it up, and there's like video of her messing around with herself and stuff like this. Anyway, the news came out, and they were talking about how she's doing it because she's a single mom and she's in the military and she needs extra money. And then the Marine Corps came out in defense of her as well. And I mean, from what I understand, and I'd have to pull up the actual article about the Marine Corps, their statement on it, but it was basically they're backing her somewhat. And I mean, I'm all about the First Amendment, free speech and stuff like that, but she, like I was telling you, like if I would have gone out in town and been like, hey, I'm going to grab a gallon of milk for my kid real quick and run into the gas station and get that, I'd get yelled at because I looked unprofessional wearing my uniform in town. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And But the Marine Corps is going to say that that's okay. That okay, it happens, because they know that if they're like, oh, she shouldn't be doing that, they're going to be publicly shamed. Yeah. The fringe minority, the loud minority, is going to come out and start saying, oh, you're just sexist Marine Corps they don't have their integrated boot camp. Look at them. That's what's going to happen. So that's why I think they're taking this stance. But I think it's fucking wrong.
It says here on the Marine Corps Times, Marine says her sexual photos and videos from a paid site are being spread around Camp Wilson without her permission. That was on November 12th. Imagine
Cell Phone Hill is full of dudes.
Imagine being in Camp Wilson and
trying to download shit at like 56K.
And you haven't, you've been out there for 2 weeks and you hear something like this. This sparks up your entire month. This is something that you're like, you know what? Camp Wilson was totally worth it.
Camp Wilson,
you know what I'm saying?
Camp Wilson is the talk of, and what's the bar over there? The Warrior Club.
Warrior Club.
Don't they have Wi-Fi in there?
Yeah, they have like all the video games and stuff too. I mean, I can't imagine. Wi-Fi, though. I cannot imagine being out there and this happening. I bet they put her on like lockdown. They probably took her home because she's a reservist.
I wonder if she was out there supporting that 2nd Marine Division. There was like a major exercise recently.
Dude, I don't know, but there's no way they left her out there. They had to have scooped her up and brought her back to wherever the closest, because this is huge.
Maybe.
This is huge.
It is huge. It's crazy.
This is like, I mean, the last time this happened was like...
It's 100% her fault.
Oh, 100%. And that's where I wonder if she did it while she was in or before she got in.
Anyone that's surprised that they put porn photos of themselves online that they somehow run into them again on a different website. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
The way you can screen record, screenshot, like save everything, and you don't think that people, like one dude that's in the military sees that and he's not going to share it with another military guy, then it's going to go viral.
That's what I saw about, who was that, Callie Wang, right? Or whatever, what the fuck was her name?
Baby Arm. God damn it. Reset the fucking clock.
Baby Arm.
God damn it.
So I follow her on Instagram just to like make myself feel better about myself, honestly, because some of the shit she posts that are just like, and I don't want guys to be, I'm not a piece of meat, or like, she'll say some stupid shit like that. I'm like, are you fucking retarded?
Well, I think the whole thing that people hated about her is that, one, there was like that whole porn thing that came out with her. Two, apparently she was like a super piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like in MOS school, she got a DUI.
She got 2 DUIs, I think.
Yeah, she got
kicked
a couple
out.
DUIs. She was kicked out for fucking around the whole time and getting in trouble.
Yep.
So I think that was part of it. Like, she was trying to get, garner sympathy. I think she went on like ABC, or she did like some kind of talk show. And
that was after her, like, the leak of the video and all
Marines
that.
United.
Yeah, that was when she went on. And to think that's what, and she is always going on like the silky hikes. She's all about like,
oh really,
the Marine Corps. Yeah, all. And,
well, you know what, dude? She's a personality now.
But the thing is that it's almost like having a kid like from our hometown. There's a kid who went to boot camp, fucked up his back in boot camp or some shit like that.
Yeah,
got out of the Marine Corps, but always wears Marine shit all the fucking time. And I'm like, that's the same thing.
I feel for those dudes, because especially if they're like legitimately hurt and they didn't get to finish boot camp, I feel for them, but I know it's super cringe.
It's just like, dude, I mean, and my brother, he did 2 tours in Iraq, and we live in a small town, so when they're at like the local bar, right, he'll see this guy come in, like, he's already like, God fucking damn it. Because Justin doesn't like to talk about any of it, like none. And this guy will be like, "Hey, what's up, devil?" Like to him, and my brother's like, "Get the fuck
hit you with the double D
away from me." You know what I'm saying? Dog? And that's how I feel about her. Is I'm like,
guys like that never got to go to the fleet and realize that they look like an idiot.
Yes, that's what it is. Imagine going to boot camp and then never going anywhere. Like, that's your mentality forever. Like, for some reason we all wore dog tags outside of our shirt, which made no goddamn sense. Like, it was just, and that's why I see her. I hate her with a passion. I'm like, you did zero. I don't hate very many people at all.
Dislike?
You're right. I would say I dislike her. I hate only like a couple people, but I see her and I'm like, you did zero good for the Marine Corps. Nothing. You just, the entire time you were in, you were just a fucking wrecking ball, and now you get out and you're a veteran and you're like,
yeah,
you wear your green silkies in all your pictures, and you're always going to the silky meets. Like, she's always putting up Marine Corps stuff, and I'm like, where was your dumb skank ass during all this baby arm shit? You were never a good Marine. Like, you always sucked. You got a DUI in fucking school, in the schoolhouse.
We weren't even allowed to have cars.
No, I didn't even look at a car. I was like, fuck this.
Oh, you were going to Japan. Well, you didn't know you were going to Japan.
I was in 29 Palms. Yeah, you still you couldn't ride in POVs. In the beginning of the Marine Corps, the beginning of the Marine Corps for me was so simple. Because I was a little bit older, I was 21, and I'm like, all I have to do is literally what I'm told to do and be good at it. And I get to pick up faster than everybody else. You know, I'm like, so they're like, hey, no POVs, no going to Mexico, all that shit. I didn't drink. I never drank one time in comm school because I'm like, oh, really? I'm here to just, because they would go to the E Club and get drunk. They went to Mexico a couple times. I wouldn't even, my buddy was there.
The E Club wasn't bad on 29 Palms. I went there as a Lance Corporal.
Yeah. My buddy was there who's stationed there as a infantry guy. So he had his POV. He was already like in the fleet. Yeah. He's like, hey, I'll come pick you up. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll walk. Because that's how I was like, I am not fucking around. I'm not even going to try to get in trouble. It was so simple. But then you have this bitch who gets a DUI in the fucking schoolhouse.
So when I was in MOS school, I was 22. I think it was 22. And my buddies, man, they would be like, dude, let's drive over. Because I was at Camp Johnson, right next to Camp Lejeune. That's where like Motor T is. Or that's where the mechanic school is. I think the admin school. There's a few schools there. But there's a gate. There's a back gate to Johnson that, I'm sure it's still there. I think they started building houses back there when I left, so I'm sure it's all built up now. But before, there was a back gate, and it went down this weird road. You went over this like pond, over this bridge, and it was all forest. It was like woods and stuff, and there was like a remnants of where there was a trailer park that was military housing at one point, But anyway, you could take this back road over to base housing, to Tarawa Terrace, and go to the PX and buy booze there. And we weren't allowed to have alcohol and stuff. And they'd be like, come on, man. Come on, Kramer. Let's go. Come on. I'm like, no, dude.
Because you're the only one of age.
And I would not do it, man. They're like, fuck you, dude. And I'm
Isn't
like,
it a weird line you got to draw? Like,
I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to get, I'm like, I got a kid on the way. Like, I'm not trying to screw up in the beginning.
Yeah.
And one time I was like, all right, let's go. I'll go. And they got a cab because you had to get a cab too. So we got a taxi, went over there, and they were closing. They were closing when I got there. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Sorry, guys. And came back. Turns out the two dudes that were always trying to get me to get them alcohol got kicked out of MOS school.
Oh, shit.
For alcohol-related incidents, both of them. And I'm like, dude.
And that's where it's
they
like.
They were cool guys, but it was like, dude, you're fucked up, man. Like, you need to, like.
I was old enough to be like, okay, this is now not the time to get in trouble. Like, if I'm going to do something stupid, I'm going to wait till I'm in the fleet for a little bit. And this is like boot me. I'm like, what? I don't want to do anything in the beginning to fuck me over in the end. Because if you get in trouble at the beginning, it's like, it kind of puts us. You get to the unit, it's like, oh, that's a kid who got an NJP in the schoolhouse.
You got stigma.
You don't want, and I was like thinking, I'm like, dude, but the one thing I wish I would have done that I could tell anybody you should do is you should do a podcast of like pros and cons of when you join what you should do, right? So like, I wish I would have just understood that, like when you're in MCT, like we had the last Saturday at MCT we had off. They let us have the overnight. So we got to go out to we weren't supposed to go to San Diego, but everybody went with like in the vicinity.
Pretty far from.
Right. So that was one of the first times I think I ever like broke the rule. I went to San Diego. We stayed there that night, and but I wish I would have understood the fact that there is so much libo to be had that when you're in like the schoolhouse and shit like that, like don't be in such a rush to go out in town and like do whatever. You can almost, because there was dudes who were buying, because everybody had Firewatch. There was these two dudes that were in my MCT school, smart as fuck. Two black dudes who were like, yo, we're going to stay back and we're going to buy all of the Firewatches from you guys. They would cut haircuts in the bathrooms. You're not supposed to do that for like $5 a haircut. These dudes left one night. The dude made like $650 just in Firewatch. Because dudes were like, these little boots were like, I'll give you $100 to take my 4-hour shift.
Yeah.
And they're like, absolutely. Man. And that's now thinking back at that, I'm like, I wish I wasn't so amped and ready to go on libo, because everybody is. But dudes were making serious cash. Like you
can definitely make money
on ship. Remember that dude who did the laundry? Isn't that you were telling me, the little Asian guy?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a Navy kid. He was Thai. Like he was, I think he was an immigrant. I think he was a legal immigrant. I don't think he was a citizen yet. I don't know if he had a citizenship or not, but he was like from Thailand, and he would go around and charge like, I think it was $10. Maybe it was $5. It was either $5. I think it started out as $5, and he got so many people wanting to do their laundry, he upped it to $10, and he would just every day go grab loads of, because you got nothing going on a fucking ship, and he was a Navy dude that was with the LCACs, because it was the same way as our berthing. We had the LCAC guys living with us, but we were way more sociable on that deployment. Like we all hung out with them. We'd go out on libo with them. They were cool. On ours, they kind of kept to themselves. But
yeah, they did, except for Greyface.
But anyway, oh my god, oh yeah, Jesus, I totally forgot about him. That's funny as shit.
Side note, real quick, there was a guy on ship who took prescription medication, but ended up taking too much or didn't do the right dosage or whatever, and it turned his entire pigment of his skin completely gray, like slate gray.
Yeah.
Like,
first time I
saw him,
you had
to double and triple take it to think, like, is that guy...
First time I saw him, I'm like, why is that fucking dude wearing cami paint? I swear to God, I thought he was wearing cami paint.
His skin was slate gray, like concrete, not concrete, like a dark concrete.
It's so weird.
I have a picture of him on my phone.
I've never seen that before.
I got a photo on my phone. We'll put it up on your...
Nah, I'm not going to put a picture of a dude up.
I felt bad, but he was open about it. He's like, yeah, dude, this is just what happened to me. Anyway.
That is super random.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
But anyway, that little Asian kid, man, he made a lot of money. He'd go around and you'd see him because there was a line. So on that deployment, by the end of the deployment, oh my God, dude, I was ready to fucking murder somebody. By the end of that deployment, the E6 and below laundry room was down to 3 washers.
God.
3 washers for over 1,000 people. Okay. And then right next to it's the chief washers where they have 3 of their own. And then upstairs, the officers have like some little, I think they have some like weird janky ones that they can.
No, they had the thing where they put their bag outside and they'd have their laundry
They have that. Okay. Well, they have that option.
Imagine that job.
Where somebody can come around and collect. I would be so fucking mad. I'd be so fucking mad if I had to go around and collect other people's, like my, thank you for your service. I walked around and fucking collected laundry and did people's laundry. But they also have a smaller version of a washing machine up in their head. I think that would work sometimes. But the line You would, to do laundry, you'd go down
It's a whole day
sometimes and
thing.
wait. You'd go down and wait like an hour just to wait to get into a washer. They had to put a watch down there because there was like fights were going to start and shit like that. Because you'd go down there and there'd be like 30 people standing there waiting.
And down there was like 4 levels down, so it was like hot as fuck.
It's fucking hot. And I mean, dude, I had a gunny try to say something to me about doing laundry in the Chiefs laundry because there was nobody doing laundry in there. There's a massive line. And I'm like, fuck this, dude. I'm a staff sergeant. Like, I'm not waiting in this fucking big ass line when there's 3 washers right here not being used. And I went in there and put my shit in. And some dude's like, aren't you a staff sergeant? Like, there was a gunny in there. And I'm like, or he's like, what'd he say? Oh, no, I was wearing my cami. So I had staff sergeant rank on. That's what it was.
No.
I came in there and he's like, you know, this is for, or he's like, what'd he say? Are you a gunny and above? And I like looked down on my collar and I looked back at him. I was like, obviously I'm not. And he's like, well, you're not supposed to be using it. You know, you're not supposed to be using this laundry. And I'm like, dude, I was like, honestly, no one's using these. And have you seen the line out there? And I was like, I'm also a staff NCO, so I'm going to fucking use it. And I like loaded my shit up and left. And you could tell he was steaming, dude.
But that's the military concept right there. Plenty of washers open, but it says
you don't rate.
Like,
you
yeah,
don't rate.
I don't rate to use.
Came back to get my stuff out of the dryer, and he was standing there. Didn't say anything to him. Fucking took my shit, threw it in the dryer, shut the dryer, turned it on, walked out. I'm like, fuck this dude, man.
I would have been scared he would have stole something.
Dude, I didn't care about that. Whatever, man. I got to a point both times on ship where you're just like, I don't care anymore, man. It's like you get kicked down. Like when you're in the E6 and below club on ship, especially the lower you go, I couldn't.
Yeah,
it would have sucked to be like an E3.
There's so many weird like working parties going on, and like, hey, we need 3 dudes for what? Oh, we got to sort trash. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you can't walk down this passageway because you don't rate.
Yeah.
You're not the high enough rank to go down this passageway. Be like, dude, I work right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's my office. Yeah, but you need to go around. It's like you want me to add 10 minutes of walking around the ship so I don't walk down this 20-foot space of
yours
hallway because it's officer country. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Most dudes didn't care. There was the dudes that would say something to you.
Yeah.
You know?
We'd cut through officer country and make Nutter go around.
Well, that guy.
Oh, man. Oh, what else is going on in the news then?
Have you seen, have you been watching any of the impeachment inquiry hearings?
No.
So there's an Army lieutenant colonel who was testifying yesterday. And I'm not going to get into all the politics of it because I don't want the show to turn. I mean, I'll put it out there. I'm a moderate conservative for sure. But I'm not going to sit here and turn this into a political show.
Yeah.
But one thing he did, Devin Nunes, he's the what do they call it? The minority chair or whatever. He's the second highest ranking person because he's the Republican side, so he's in the minority, but he's the highest of the minority. So you have the ranking member, which is the or no, maybe they call him whatever. Either way, he's like the highest Republican. And when he started to question this guy, he's like, "Hey, Mr. I can't remember his name now, but hey, Mr. So and so, blah blah blah." And he asked this question, and then the dude was like, ranking member, he's like, "It's a lieutenant colonel, blah blah blah," and immediately I was like, what a douchebag. What a fucking douchebag. And people were like, yeah, good for him. Like, all the headlines were like, he stood up for him and blah, blah, blah.
Get the fuck out of here.
And I think like the next, because I'm a nerd like that. I sit here and watch the entire hearing already. I sit there and watch all of it. One of the Republicans to come up and question next, or maybe the second time, or next 2 guys or whatever, who was a military guy. I think he was Air Force or something. And his whole family's like military. And he's like, yeah, thank you for your service and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of like, I'm military also and this. And he's like, do you make it a habit of making civilians call you by your rank? And I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
I'm like, yes, because that was he only did that because of the optics of being able to do that. But that's like one time I watched a guy walk by a Navy lieutenant that it was at Anglico. He walked by a Navy lieutenant after we'd come off a hike. Lieutenant wasn't wearing rank, and he had his back to him. And this kid walked by, and he turned around. He's like, are you going to salute me? And I'm like, yeah, this was a new guy to Anglico who came from the Navy side. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
I was like, that was a total douchebag move. But that's what it made me think of. Like,
yeah,
you shouldn't have to like tell someone. I don't know, man. I think, yes, he should address him by his rank, but it's not like he disparaged him at all. He said, Mr. So-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, it's Lieutenant Colonel so-and-so. And I was just like...
That's nuts, man.
I don't know, man. I just thought that was kind of...
I don't know how I feel about especially stuff like that where like the officer has his back to right, no rank. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. That's right there immediately. Like if that happens to me, I am already thinking you're not an alpha male at all. You're such a beta that you are so worried about being public about being an alpha. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you can't take that hit and think like, okay, the guy isn't disrespecting me. He just didn't see me.
And I think I would feel the same. I would feel the same way. Like no matter what his testimony was and what side,
Right.
that one, because the left are like, this is our guy. The right are like, fuck this guy. If it was the roles were reversed, even then I'd be like, that was a douchebag move.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. That's like, I don't know. It's just, I see that and I'm like, that's crazy. But anyway, other big thing. Did you see the Marines that got arrested for the public arrest?
Let's talk about that.
So they all got handcuffed. It's on tape. If you haven't seen it, it's on my Instagram page, J Kramer Graphics, with the C, JCRAMER. I think people are misspelling it sometimes. I've had a few people ask me about that. So yeah, they all got, what was it, 16 or 17 of them got arrested for alleged human smuggling.
Yes.
And then now they're saying that the undue command influence for having a public display of them getting arrested for having the formation. So because they had the formation and they had the NCIS agents come out and then take them in front of everybody and then they recorded it, a judge said that was undue command influence and some of the cases might get dropped because of that.
Oh my God.
You didn't know that?
No.
You hadn't heard that?
I saw that they were talking about how it wasn't really human trafficking because it was like, it wasn't coming from Mexico to America. They were picking them up in America and driving them somewhere. There was something to do with that where they weren't getting charged for smuggling. They were getting charged for something else.
Yeah.
Because they weren't traveling cross-border. But I did not see that. I don't understand that, though.
What do you mean? Like,
why would that be just because they did it public? They're saying that they're going to be cracking down harder on it because the whole command saw it?
I'm not... I think they're like, well, you made you're basically saying they're guilty without them getting there by doing that in front of everybody. But I don't really buy that...
That's a lawyer talking right there.
Yeah, that's definitely 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't really buy that because, dude, I've seen a public in JP, which it's a non-judicial, so that point can be argued that, that's why they can do that. But I've also seen a guy that had been put in the brig, or had gotten in trouble for drugs before in formation, get taken from formation and get handcuffed and get put in the car with PMO because he popped on another drug test.
Is that the one that happened at Anglico?
No. Did that happen at Anglico?
Didn't you watch that formation happen at Anglico with, I won't say his name, but the kid who got kicked out, the short little, the little black kid. He was with you, wasn't he? So he was...
What section?
No, he was with us. He was with 2nd Brigade. Remember we did the room search and there was he had drugs and alcohol and all that shit in his room?
Oh.
And then we were all in formation at the barracks and we had to do an about face and then they took him to the fucking van.
I was gone from Anglico.
So they take him to the van, right? They put him in the van.
Start over, explain this kid.
Okay, so this kid is a complete fuck up. He keeps getting in trouble. He's got a background with drugs and stuff like that. And he was friends with the guy who sold Frogger the car. So just in that whole community of just pieces of shit.
O'Brien told me about him when they were doing ABC.
Yeah.
So the Anglico basic course, which is before the two wars going on and stuff like that, when there was more time, every person that came to Anglico would go through ABC. That way everyone had a baseline knowledge of communications and call for fire and the different things that we do. That way everyone's exposed to what everybody's doing, no matter your job. Doesn't matter if you're the chaplain. Doesn't matter if, there was no chaplain at Anglico, but you know what I'm saying, admin, whatever. They've tried to revive it, and in one of those courses, O'Brien was one of the instructors, and he told me this kid is problem. And I was like, well, okay, but I'm a fair-minded person, so I'm like, okay, man, I'm gonna that's cool, I believe you, but I'm gonna let him prove himself. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give a clean slate. I don't care whatever he did, and I told him that. That's what I I used to tell everybody almost when I would get them, I'd be like, look, I don't care what you did before you came here. I don't know if you ever got in trouble. None of that matters to me. Do your fucking job. Be on time. Be good at what you do. And that's it. That's what, it's a few basic things. And I gave him the same spiel, and dude, one thing after another.
Yeah, he was a fuck up.
We found out he had no money because they were like, he was talking about not having any money. And so we're like, okay, well, you should have no bills because you live in the barracks. You have free food. Where's your money? So we had the NCO sit down and do a counseling with him and do a financial worksheet to figure out where his money was going. He's like 19, maybe 18.
He was 19.
And he was spending,
I think he was 19.
hundreds of dollars a month
on booze,
on Hennessy and cigarettes.
Yeah.
He was going through like a couple cartons, I think, of cigarettes a week and like 3 bottles a week of Hennessy. And that we found out, like, I didn't know any of this, obviously. And I went over to your team. I remember going over to your team. And I was like, if I find out one of you motherfuckers is buying alcohol for him, I'm like, someone's buying it because he can't buy it. I was like, if I find out, I'm like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to deal with this. Like, this is, when you're like the staff NCO, like if he gets in trouble, I'm probably going to be in more trouble than he is because somehow it's my fault that he fucking was drinking.
They caught his ass. We caught his ass.
So I left. That all happened, and then I left. So you want to carry on, like, what happened after that?
And then Frogger couldn't find his boots. Something happened with his boots. And it came down to this kid stole his boots. Can we use his name or no?
No, I don't want to use his name.
So this kid stole Frogger's boots. And we find these boots in his room. Then we don't know if they're Frogger's or not, whatever. But as we're going through the room, there's a giant 5-gallon, probably more than that, the big orange jugs that you use at like baseball games.
Yeah. The igloo cooler.
We open that thing up and it's got jungle juice in it. It fucking pours out of that thing, but there wasn't very much left. It was just at the bottom, but you could tell it was just bottles poured in there. It was straight alcohol.
Yeah. And
there was like pills and stuff on his counter.
Oh.
And we're like, what the fuck? And his room's a mess. And I'm like, let's get out of here. We'll step out of his room real quick. We got to call somebody because this is our inn. This is like our inn. We can get him out now, like. We got everything we need, dude. We slapped it on you.
Yeah. So and that sounds. Before you go on, that sounds like shitty to some people that don't understand that you are like, and that was our end to get him kicked out. It's not like you were like, fuck this guy, I don't like him because whatever. When a kid like that shows up and you give them the opportunity to, just be a Marine or do whatever they're supposed to be doing, and they fuck it up, and it gets what happens is if you've never been in that world. He doesn't just get in trouble. Everyone above him starts getting fucking hate from everyone above them about why this kid is a fuck up. And it doesn't matter if you could have stopped it or what. And you are getting punched in the face every time he gets in trouble. Like if he gets in trouble and gets a DUI, you are going to Sergeant Major's office too. Yeah. And you are getting talked to about why your Marines are getting fucked up. So at this point, this kid had been doing stuff constantly, fucking shit up. And it was starting at the lower level. The NCOs were like, hey, he's mouthy. He's fucking, like, he won't do what he's supposed to be doing. And it was bubbling up from there. And that's why dudes were like, fuck this guy, man. Like, all he's doing is causing trouble for everybody else.
Yeah.
So, go on. I just wanted to kind of, so it didn't sound like
Can I go on again? Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we catch him, basically. But then there's talk about, like, well, you guys were in his room. That could kind of ruin it. Like, maybe... And we're like, no, he let us in. Like, we made sure. It was like, can we come in your room? Can we look around? Like, don't touch anything. So we end up getting out of the room, and I think the PMO comes and all that shit. So no one really knows what's happening with him. We all just know he's in trouble. And like a week later, there was a formation in the basketball court, and we're like, oh, fuck, what's going on here? Because standing over. Kind of the same similar thing that happened to... We just knew he was going to get in trouble. We thought it was going to be like an NJP. And, I said his name.
I'll blank his name out, don't worry.
And we all get told to about face, so the whole fucking formation about faces, and there's a duty van that pulls up. And it was like basically him, he was reporting to like jail. Like you are getting summoned to whatever it was, like the big word. We're like, oh shit. And they walk him, I think PMO, or it was a duty driver, whatever staff and CO it was, walked him to the van, all dramatic as fuck, dude. And we're like, oh shit. Like it was a total scare tactic. Slams the door on the van. Takes him, the van turns, goes around the block, but they make a wrong turn, so they have to come back by us again. So He had to bleep out his name again. Had to watch us twice as he goes back one way and then goes the other way.
What was everybody talking about after that?
Dude, it was like, I'm sure the same thing with the NCIS thing that happened with the other guys. It was just like, dude, everybody was talking about it. But it was immediately like staff NCOs over here, NCOs over here, and then it was kind of like discussed, like, hey, this is what happened, this is what's going to happen to him. Like, and I think what happened was he got sent to the brig and then he just got kicked out. I think they did the whole...
he came back. No. He came back to Anglico.
Did he?
He ended up, they were like, we can't charge him because something happened, and he came back to Anglico, and then he got caught with like 2 pounds of weed.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. What a rebel. He did it again?
They found like 1 or 2 pounds of weed in his room.
That's the kind of people right there that you're like, that's why in the beginning you're just like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Just get him the fuck out of here because nothing good's going to come of him.
And the problem with that too is that when you have a guy like that is nothing but a problem. And it's the same with medical guys. And now on that side, it's not necessarily their fault. But you can't use them to train. You can't deploy with them. You can't do this stuff because they're causing problems. And that's not with the medical people. That's with the troublemakers. But what I'm getting at is that their boat space is filled by them.
Yeah.
You're not getting a replacement. Until whatever's the issue with this person is resolved, that's your fucking problem to deal with. Doesn't matter if it's a medical thing or if it's a administrative thing, like they're getting in trouble. And that can fuck a unit up because now you're short on a guy that you need, because especially a small unit like Anglico with I think at that time had 160 people in it, but they were supporting 2 deployments at a time at least,
And that's like, imagine, okay, so people are probably listening, they're like, well, it's his problem, but mass punishment is such a real thing that even like in our SALT, if you had a guy in 2nd Brigade that ran under a first class PFT, the entire SALT had to come in and PT with the CO on Saturdays.
Yeah, that was the CO's policy.
Imagine like you're totally fit, you're totally fine, but now this other guy isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. So now on your 2 days off, and usually probably 1 day off, because you're probably doing something stupid on one of those days, you have to come in with the entire captain, everybody from... major and below would come in so the CO could PT with you on the weekend.
I remember sitting in on that meeting, on the training meeting, when he's like, if anyone within this unit has a below a first class PFT, he's like, them and their entire chain of command will come in on Saturday and PT with me, because every Saturday, if you had Saturday duty, he would be there. You would see him. He would come in because him and his wife, I think his wife runs marathons and ultra marathons. They would come in every Saturday and go run like 15 miles and shit. And so you'd see them, and then they'd come in and work for like an hour or two and then leave. So he's like, well, fuck it. I'm already here. Fuck around, because I can kind of see it's a dick move for sure.
I liked it, though. It was
but at the same time, it's an incentive for NCOs to be like, let's fucking go. Or staff NCOs to be like, hey, NCOs, let's fucking go run. Like,
but then you get dudes like Nutter there. It's like, what do you do about that? Like, what...
That's when you get to the point. We got to the point where it's all you have to fill out the paperwork. You get to the point where you got to start annotating every incident.
Yeah, that's what we did. Honestly, that's where it was.
Yeah,
where physical punishment and shit like that just doesn't work. Like he's like a dumbass dog. It just doesn't work.
I got to a point where you just can't make dudes do working parties and stuff, or you get in trouble for it because of hazing. It's like, are you making him do something that you're not making everyone else do?
Well honestly, that's why. I think that's why in 10 years from now, it's all going to be gone to shit, because everyone is even right now, like when we were getting out, everyone is so afraid to do any type of punishment that's not paperwork, because you can so easily screw over your career. Yeah. So you got like a 12-year-old or a 12-year, say you got out 12 years as a staff sergeant, say if you're going to stay in, you're like, fuck, I got 8 years left. Am I really going to let this me punishing him ruin my whole career?
Yeah.
And that's why people don't do it anymore.
Yeah, you get gunshot.
We had kids who were like...
Because dudes aren't backing you up, because dudes are more worried about their career than they are about, like, what's right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about the stupid shit. I'm talking, like, the important stuff. And...
There was S6 kids that were telling... When I was getting out, I remember when I was waiting for that whole thing to get over with the thing on base... I remember there was kids in the S6 that were like, you can't tell me to do that. To NCOs, to Lane. He was a corporal at the time. Telling Lane, like, you can't tell me to do that.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know about any of that?
No.
Yeah, there was kids from the S6 specifically that were trying to screw over Lane and all them for hazing.
Why?
And they were basically like, from now, like, he'd be like, you're going to do this. And he's like, no, I'm not. And
dude, he's probably thinking his ass
I can't remember which kid it was, but yeah, there was the kids
When I was
specifically in the S6 that were doing that, and it's like they have to tiptoe around everything because they know they're like, yeah, well, I'll just go tell Gunny, and then Gunny's going to do whatever.
We had to deal with that on my Iraq deployment in 2009 because I was attached to 2nd Supply Battalion as a mechanic, and we had like half of our deployment was reservist. So we had all these reservists that party with their buddies and hang out with their buddies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you know, they're NCOs and stuff like that. They all stay in the same hotel when they come in for drill and stuff like that. So when we were in Iraq, and we didn't really get to integrate any kind of integrated training with these guys, they just kind of showed up and it was like, hey, what's up, everyone? And we worked together for like a month, and then we all deployed. And some of these guys were just, they would bitch like, I have a civilian career. I don't know why I'm here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, fuck you, man. Like, you volunteer just like everybody else. And like, there's dudes that want to be here. Like, there's guys that are back in the States that are like dying to deploy. Like, everyone's dying to deploy, you know. And there were guys like that. You'd be like, hey, go do this. And they're like, fuck, why don't you go do that? And it's like, excuse me? Like,
that's just how reservists are, though.
Well, yeah, and then their NCO would come over with them and defend them in front of them.
Man.
So it'd be like two corporals going back and forth with this junior Marine standing there like, see? You know?
Get him, Dad, get him.
Dude, and it was like, there was a real bad rift within our unit.
There's got to be. I mean, my buddy was just going to join the Marine Corps, and he's like, hey, I might go do reserves. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I want this, and I kind of want, he's like, reserves kind of sounds good to me. He's like, I just want to know the Marine experience. I'm like, dude, you're not going to get it in the reserves. You're not going to get the true Marine, like, I don't know how to.
It's different.
I'm like, you won't really, I'm not in the reserves, I don't know, but just like active duty people are going to make fun of you. If you're looking to be like the Marine and do Marine things, the reserve life might not be the way you want to go.
I would go do 4 active and then ride the reserves after that because you got experience, you moved up in a little bit of rank.
That's what I told him. I'm like, maybe you go because can you do 2-year and 4-year still or no? 2-year, 6-year, 2-year active, or 3-year active.
I don't know.
Remember when I came in, they were offering that kind of stuff. I think it was like 3-year active, 4-year, 5-year inactive, whatever it was.
Well,
you could like split it up.
But it doesn't matter. That's how they trick. Well, they don't trick you, but they don't tell you like.
Everybody
in the end,
does.
You have to do 8 years no matter what.
Yeah, but I'm saying you could have split it up to where you were only doing, I want to say it was like 3 years active. You'd get out. But I don't know, whatever. Either way, I'm like, hey, man, you're going to get made fun of for being a reservist. Because even like everywhere we went, whenever we were with reserves, we're like, you could just tell. It's like, dude, these guys suck, man.
Some of them.
It's like coming from Marine to Marine. And I was like, the second thing is, if you don't choose to join, don't ever tell another Marine, yeah, I was going to join too, but they don't want to hear that. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
And he just told me, he's like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, all right, man, but I would just keep it. If you do meet other Marines, they probably don't care.
Don't even bring it up.
They don't care that, hey, I was going to, I've had so many goddamn people do that. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah, all the time, dude. Everyone always has a crazy ass excuse. Or all these kids at home that are bitching about their college and stuff. I'm like, you could just join the military.
Yeah.
You could join the fucking Coast Guard, I think.
I
and
need
still
free
get
college.
It. Like,
well, there's an option for that.
Oh, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Everyone thinks they're like, well, I signed on the paper. So that means next week I get my rifle and I'm going to Iraq and killing people. And it's like, no, dude. There's so many people that don't do anything. Like, there's so many people that the Marine Corps is like a normal job, except they make them get up early and go run.
Yep.
That's it. Like,
think of any admin guys.
After PT, it's like, they're in their own little cubicle with their computer and they're doing their like
they're just wearing camis
and stuff like that.
It's like basically, they're like administrative people that just live a shitty Marine Corps life.
Yeah, I mean, we say it's shitty, and it is kind of, but it's a good shitty.
But I feel like a large percentage of those people did not join to do that.
You don't think so?
Maybe.
I think people like that are people that are, for the most part, the ones that did are like, I want to join the military, but I don't want to go get killed in combat.
But then why would they join the Marines? That's where I was always like,
because
we had a couple guys in boot camp.
There's still some prestige to it.
Yeah, we had a couple guys in boot camp who were like 100% gay. You could just tell that they, like they're just gay.
Yeah.
And they were always the admin guys and shit. And those were the guys, you ever get asked in boot camp, like, who joined for the free college? And those are the dudes that always rose their hand, like, fucking pussies, talk shit about them. But I'm like, man, why?
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Like, Lacey joined the Marine Corps as a female, as a short little blonde girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you join the Marines? She's like, I don't know, it's the hardest one.
Yeah, some people.
I'm like, I guess that's the reason why I joined the Marines. Well, my grandpa and stuff was in, but yeah, I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it. Do the hardest.
That's like if I was going to join the Army, I would only sign like a Ranger contract or like a what is it, 18 X-ray if they still do that or whatever it is.
Dude, you should have Jeff on. Jeff's going to be here next month. In December, he did the high school to flight school. He transferred from the Marine Corps to a chief warrant officer pilot.
Oh, really?
He did this like special package that it's like unheard of. No one knows in the Marine Corps. It's like a myth. It's called high school to flight school.
I know a guy. Oh, he came out of the Marine Corps and went to the Army?
He did a contract transfer from staying active from the
Okay, I know a guy
Marines
who did that too.
To now he's a chief warrant officer, but it's not hard to do. We have to have like sign-offs of like a letter of recommendation by like a
You're right,
chief
though. It's
warrant
unheard
officer
of. Kurt was thinking about it. We have a mutual friend. The dude was in recon, and he was like, "Fuck this! I'm tired of doing Muse because it's like all I'm doing." So he fucking transferred to the Army, and he's a he's a Apache pilot now.
Yeah, Jeff graduated first out of his class. Smartest kid I've ever met in the Marine Corps my whole life. I've never met a smarter human than him. His dad is in. His dad does accounting, I think, and stuff like that up in Malibu. Like very wealthy father, very wealthy family. Jeff's like a genius. Jeff is so fucking smart. He used to go on like the Harris website and just read for hours on his weekends on the new radios and all the functions of them. And
well, I mean, that's just a good radio operator.
Yeah, but this kid was like a beyond good radio. This was like, he's so smart, he didn't even really know how smart he was. He was just a smart dude.
Savant.
And he went to college, got kicked out of his college for partying too much, and and then he joined the Marine Corps. He could have totally gone and worked with his dad and lived in done that whole deal. And he didn't. He joined the Marines. Yeah. And now he flies fucking. I don't know. I don't know what he's flying now, but
some people do that. The myth that like only poor people and only like people that couldn't get into college join the military is exactly that. It's a myth because one, the Air Force is the hardest to get into. Like you have to have a high school diploma, and then the Marine Corps is the second hardest to get into. I think it's the Air Force and the Marine Corps because both the Air Force and the Marine Corps both require a high school diploma. They don't waive it for a GED. I think the Marine Corps might have for a little bit.
They were for a little bit. For a little bit
when they were trying to plus up. Like I said, that's the only reason I even got in. I mean, I got arrested multiple times. I had multiple waivers getting in. There's no way they would have let me in. If there's no war going on, they'd be like, "Thanks for coming, bro," but no way.
You felon.
Yeah, right. But what I'm getting at is like my first platoon sergeant, when I went and worked on the ITV project, which is the 120 millimeter mortar and the little Jeep looking truck. My first platoon sergeant over there, this infantry guy he had a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. And he was like, I went and worked for a while and I was bored. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go join the Marine Corps infantry and go to Iraq. So he did that, went to Iraq, went to like Ramadi and stuff, like during the shitty times.
Damn.
And, he's like, I was like, so what are you going to do? Because they were all getting out. These were all guys that got fapped to this program because it was like 6 months long. And it was like, well, you are all getting out, so we're going to send you over there. And I'm like, what are you going to do when you get out? And he's like, I'm just going to use my GI Bill to go to college and bang college chicks and get my master's degree. And I was like, all right, man. It's a solid plan.
Did you know who Captain Kim was?
I've met him, but I didn't like personally know him.
He was like a genius.
I've heard
he had like one of the highest IQs like in the military or something weird like that. Not in the military, in the Marines, but it was like it was that high. It wasn't like a.
Didn't he design or?
He designed some crazy something to do with surgeries, something to do with brain surgeries or some shit, and sold the patent or whatever it was to like he's I think he's a millionaire now, but he was like that in the Marine Corps. That's how smart he was.
He's still in the Marines, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't know much about him. When I got there, he was there for a little bit, but then he ended up leaving. Yeah, I just know he's like a genius.
I think I got there while he was deployed, and I met him when they were on our way out. We were on our way to deploy, so I only got to meet him a little bit. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's just, there's people that come in that can do brain surgery, and there's people that come in that want to put their porn photos on the internet. What are you gonna do?
And then there's the in between where it's usually like there's just so many people in from like Texas. So many people from Texas because it's just the good old, like, the roughneck, country.
I think Ohio is the highest.
Does it?
Has the highest amount of service members.
It's because all the goddamn heroin there.
I don't know about Marine Corps specifically because the Marine Corps is different just because of the mentality of people that are going to join the Marines. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're like not just like, I'm going to join the military, but they're like, I'm going to join. I'm knowingly going to the one that everyone says is the hardest one to get.
And that's where you see like dudes in the Army and dudes in the Marine Corps are so much different to me.
Yeah.
Are so, like whenever I see snaps, like some of my friends who got out, joined the Army, now they're in the Army, and they had, like I see snaps and shit of them, and I'm like, dude, the quality of people you have there are just garbage people. You could just not all of them, but like I feel like a larger majority of them.
In comparison to the Marine Corps, you're carrying them to the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So I'm saying like you can. There's really, and it's like the discipline thing.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, when you're letting more people in that have had like more issues.
Yeah.
You know, because what do you think about when you think of someone that's, you know, a GED? They got a G. They didn't graduate high school. And I don't know, man.
I think it's just
they've been arrested multiple times. You know
I've never seen really like a group of. You ever see like the videos where like people like they'll have like a lance corporal or someone in the army talking shit back to like a staff NCO, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever seen like the Vines or anything like that where it's
in
like
the army?
Yeah,
no,
never. You never seen the videos of like a junior soldier like talking back to like their staff NCO, like openly? I've seen like a million of them,
really?
Whatever. But
I've never searched them.
You
out,
never either.
There.
One day it was like a military Vine thing, whatever it was I was watching, but it was like of like junior Marines like talking back, and never did you see anybody in the Marine Corps doing that.
You mean junior soldiers?
Because soldiers. But could you imagine that in the Marine Corps, like a junior Marine just being like, "No, I ain't gonna fucking do it."
I had a kid in Iraq that talked back to me, and we almost got into a fight. Like, actually, I might have told this story. I don't know if I did or not, but this kid was just constant problems. Like, he was a reservist that had been activated, and in the 4 months that he had been activated, multiple NCOs from different steps of his activation period had written negative counselings on him. He had like 8 in like 4 months, right? And I'm dealing with this kid in Iraq, and he's one of those kids that just fucking won't listen. We found out he was writing letters home talking about all the combat he was in and carrying his dead buddy's body. He was writing this to his like girlfriend or fiance, and all these other dudes on the reserve side were getting letters from their wives and stuff, because we didn't have. This was in 2009, so. You know, we weren't on Skype and all that shit. I mean, there was Skype, but it was super. You had to have it in the MWR and stuff like that. There wasn't very many guys that had laptops that were doing it. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there were. But anyway, other dudes' wives were like, "What is happening over there? Like, this is what we're hearing from this girl."
Oh shit!
And they're all thinking, they're like, "Who's lying here?" And it comes out that he's been lying.
And that was your dude?
No, I mean, he was in my shop. He was within my shop. Well, one night, I mean, him and I had always had problems. He was just one of those fucking dudes. And I remember walking out to the shop, and he was working on a 7-ton wrecker, right? He was up on the boom doing something. And I had been working on it earlier that day. And I had already done I knew what needed to be done to the truck, and I had already done it. And I walk out there, and this is at night. So it was only me and him in this big fucking shop. I'm talking about... I call it a shop. It's a massive tent that the military industrial complex built for us. This massive tent that would hold easily 37 tons inside of it. It's massive. And him and I are the only two dudes inside there. And he's up on the boom doing something. I'm like, "Hey man, I already did this. You don't need to do it, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." He said something mouthy to me, and I'm like, "What the fuck did you say?" And he's like, "Don't fucking worry about it." And I'm like, "Hell no." And I like Superman leaped up and like, there's like 2 bounds. I'm up on top of the back of this 7-ton. And I'm like, "What the fuck did you say?" And I'm in his face. And I don't yell at people, man. I only yell at somebody when I'm fucking mad. And this dude is just that guy, and he's just pushing me. And he turns around and he points a screwdriver at me. And he's like, "Get the fuck out of my face." I was like, "You better shut the fuck up." And he jumps down, and I jump down behind him. He turns around and he shoves me. But he's this little pudgy, weak bitch. And he shoved me, and I'm like, "Motherfucker." And I fucking shoved him. And, I mean, I was a big dude then. I fucking shoved him hard. And he went flying through the air, slammed into these toolboxes, and, like, crumpled to the ground. And I'm like, "Oh,
Justin's
shit."
like, his legs exploded off of his body.
I'm like, "Oh, shit, I just fucked him up." Well, no, I was like, "Oh, shit, I think I just fucked him up." And I went immediately to my sergeant and staff sergeant. They were both in the office. And I was like, "Hey, this is what just happened." And they're like, "Okay, it's cool. Like, no, you're cool. Nothing's going to happen." I'm like, "All right, I just want to let you guys know." And, well, this kid was a fucking pussy. And like a week later, something else he did wrong. He did something else wrong and had to go see Gunny. And he went to the Gunny. And when the Gunny was like, "What the fuck, blah, blah, blah," he's like, "Corporal Kramer fucking hit me." And he's like, "What?" And then I had to write a statement. He had to write a statement. And I'm not a moron, you know. So I'm like, "All right, Gunny wants me to write a statement. This is fucking bullshit. I can't believe this shit." I go and type it up, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. It's all professional. Get it printed out, whatever. Gunny's like, hey, come to the office, and I want to see your guys' statements. So he's like, where are they? And I hand him mine. And he's like, all right. And this kid pulls it out of his pocket, unfolds it out of his pocket. It's got like the little frillies where he tore it out of a spiral notebook and shit. It's all handwritten in like gibberish, dude. Like this kid would write like you would text. And the Gunny was just like, dude, what the fuck is this? Like starts like yelling at him for that, throws it at him, tells him to rewrite it and shit. Well, this all comes around. Dude, this shit's crazy. This whole unit was bad, right? My leadership, my platoon commander and my platoon sergeant were both active duty guys. There was a staff sergeant underneath them that was a reservist, and a staff sergeant underneath, and another one that was an active duty guy. And then my buddy was the only sergeant. I think he was the only sergeant. If he wasn't the only one, he was one of the only ones. But he was basically like the senior guy. Like he basically ran all the mechanics. And when this happened, they're like, they would let the reservist guys get away with so much shit. I don't know what was going on with it. Like we were like, what the fuck? This is fucking bullshit. Like dudes are mouthy. Like no one's saying anything to them. And me and my buddy were brand new corporals. So we were like, not like moto, like retarded, but like, you're going to fucking, if I tell you to take the trash out, you're taking the fucking trash out, you know? And we started getting a bunch of shit. And then this happened. And after this happened, the statements got turned in. My platoon commander, which is his warrant officer, and then Gunny were like, hey, everyone come in, all the NCOs come into the office. Like, hey, there's a rift. We see it. It's like all the active guys are on one side, all the reserve guys are on one side. There was very few of us that crossed over and talked. And there's a few guys that I still talk to every once in a while that were great dudes. Because they're not all shitty. There's definitely solid guys. And so we're all sitting there, and everyone knows what happened. So they know this isn't a normal, just like, hey, everyone, gather around. Like, we're in the office, and he's like, we had an incident this week, you know, without naming it. We had an incident this week where an NCO put his hands on a junior Marine, blah, 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 blah. So what we think that going forward to keep from any other issues from happening, just go ahead and talk to him. When you talk to the junior Marines, you shouldn't be screaming at them. You shouldn't be yelling at them. Maybe think about putting your hands behind your back to keep any kind of incident from happening. And I'm like, are you telling us to stand at parade rest for these fucking junior Marines?
What?
Dude, this is what I had to deal with, right? And I had
fuck, I would just request mass.
And this whole thing's happening, and everyone knows he's talking about me. Like there's like 20 of us in there, and everyone knows they're talking about me. And he's like, both parties are going to be charged with the same stuff, and it'll come out with through the investigation of what actually happened.
Heart
blah, blah,
drops,
blah, blah, blah.
stomach drops.
And I'm just like, this is such fucking bullshit, man. And ends up, so this ended up happening. And what happened out of this was it put me on the first sergeant's radar. And I have a female first sergeant, never dealt with, you know, a female first sergeant or anything before. And I was kind of like, oh, what the fuck? She probably did more for me than anybody else in Iraq. Like I had to go up to the company office to see her, and they had me come in and report in. She's looking through my record jacket. I had just gotten a NAM, you know, as a Lance Corporal. I had gotten promoted to Corporal and received a NAM at the same time during the same ceremony. Because I got one for working on the ITV because I was the lead mechanic as a Lance Corporal. So no negative counselings, like, you know, I was like you. I was like, I'm not trying to fuck up when I first get here. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, okay, like, tell me what happened. Explained it to her. And she's like, sounds like you didn't do anything wrong. She's like, so I'm going to talk to him, make sure everything's jives. And if everything's good, then we're good. And I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, go out and tell him to report in. And I'm like, okay. And it's like her in the office. It's my gunny, my sergeant, my buddy, Matt, and then me. So I go out. I think my staff sergeant might have been there too. His name was Creamer, and I'm Kramer. So that was always super weird. So I went out, and I'm like, as I'm walking out, my buddy's like, hey, make sure you know how to report in. And I'm like, okay, good to go. I walk out there. I'm like, hey, do you know how to report in? He's like, no, Corporal. And I'm like, you're worthless. You know what I'm saying? Like in my mind, I'm thinking this. I'm not going to say it right there, but I'm like, you're fucking worthless. So I show him real quick how to do it. Comes
probably
in,
fucks that whole thing
completely fucks that up. Just looks like a total. And they let me sit in. Like I'm sitting over there.
Oh shit!
On the side, yeah.
I would have told him some ass backwards shit to do.
No,
Go in
I told
there,
him what he's supposed
lay
to
on
do,
your
but
face.
You don't have to tell somebody like that. They're just,
they're going to fuck it
fail
up
on their own
anyway.
because they're a fucking idiot. Well, so he comes in, reports in, and first sergeant's like looking through his record jacket. This dude's got counseling from everybody.
Like falling out of it.
Like engineering section's coming over like, fuck him, here's a counseling for this.
Yeah.
'Cause he's just an asshole. Like I said, he wrote home saying that he's in combat.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of person he is. And the first sergeant was like, honestly, I don't know why you haven't been NJP'd yet. She's like, you're fucking lucky. And what happened? And he'd be like, I don't know, first sergeant. She's like, no, what the fuck? And she kept asking him questions, and he kept like, I don't know. And she's like, if you fucking say I don't know one more time, I'm closing this record jacket, and you are for sure going up for NJP. And she asked him something. He's like, I don't know, first sergeant. And I'm like, no fucking way. Slammed it shut. She's like, you're dismissed. Fucking dismissed him. We walk out. She's like, you're fine. I want the paperwork for his NJP filed. Like, start it now.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh no. We get in the duty van. We drive back to our shop. He's obviously like, super disgruntled. We drive back. We jump out of the van. Everyone's getting in formation, and they're like, Kramer, they're like, do you know what to do? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, get in the back of the formation. You're getting your good conduct medal. And I'm like, no way. So this kid just like literally coming from him getting like, hey, you're getting NJP.
Yeah. That's a good day for you, though. That's a solid day.
Jump out. Now he's got to watch me get a good conduct medal. Right after the formation, all my buddies are like, oh, I guess we get a fucking medal for hitting junior Marines nowadays. Blah, 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 blah. But
that's crazy. That's such a fuck you to him. It's like, this is what happens when you suck and I'm good.
Well, it's not even, yeah. I mean, but he dug his own grave.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I love about it, because it shows when you're shitty in the Marine Corps and you're shitty at your job and you're shitty at what you do. You can't hide from it. You can, but it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
Because you'll get exposed sooner or later. So you're going to do something that someone's like, you fucking suck. And like the whole fake it till you make it, or fake it till you get caught.
The good thing is it brought to light to the company that there were so many issues within our platoon. And I remember eating chow one day, and I'm just beat down, man. Because even after that, my gunny and my platoon commander were riding my ass about everything, about shit that's like I'm not even involved in. Like, man, one thing after another. It was me and my buddy Collins, and I remember one day we were at the chow hall, and first sergeant comes in and sits down with us and was like, hey, what's going on, guys? Like, to me, it was just me and him. And I'm looking around. You can see everyone in the chow hall like looking at us like, why are they sitting with the first sergeant? And I'm like, dude. And she's like, tell me what's going on. And I'm like, whatever. And she's like, no, seriously, like, I'm trying to have your back here. So we're like, look, every time we try to correct someone, we get corrected for like we're in the wrong somehow. But anyway, what it came down to was like, she saw what was happening, and she went to the platoon commander and was like, you need to fucking back off these guys because they're NCOs and they're doing what the fuck they're supposed to be doing. And like, yeah, she had our back. So
that's such a weird game to play too, because then it's like now your platoon commander thinks that you went to the first sergeant, complained about that.
I know.
And then it's
I know.
It's
and that's what I had to deal with. That's what I had to deal with for the rest of the deployment. It was just always something, man. It was best living conditions I've ever had on a deployment, worst deployment I've ever had.
That's why I feel so bad about...
Yeah,
I don't feel bad. What am I talking about? I think it's funny and ironic that our junior Marines were pretty hard on them, but they were really fucking good junior Marines. Like, they were good. Yeah, they got in trouble in that first, what's his name, got too drunk. That little Christian kid that never drinks, and gets too fucked up, throws up on the bus. And I mean, we were pretty tough on them, but they were really good. And then their junior Marines are the ones who were like, I'm not doing it. And they're like telling them stories of like, we got drug out of a Humvee in Africa. We drug what's his name out of a Humvee because he didn't know the Kazovac 9 line, I think it was, or he kept screwing up on one of the steps of them. It was something small, but we like beat the shit out of him, and now his junior Marine won't even listen to what he says.
I think part of the problem with that is that you got guys coming in now that their seniors are guys that have never deployed and they look at them like, how are you any different than me?
It's the generation of kids too that are coming in.
Yeah.
It's 100, dude. They're just entitled. They think that they don't have to do shit. And that's what the military is seeing right now.
You know what's blowing my mind is the entitled kids at fucking school. In college.
I've heard a lot about them, but obviously didn't go.
You'll be sitting in a class, like one of my classes has 140 people in it, right? the other day they had 3 people come from an advertising agency, like a professional advertising agency, to come in and talk about what they do and like how it works. And like, this different like tools that we use and, to teach you to learn real world. Like, this is what's really happening. And during the entire presentation, there was a dude behind me that was just talking full fucking volume to his buddy. Like, yeah, man, I can't believe like blah, 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 da, 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 da. And you're just like, no fucking way. Or kids will come in the middle of the class, just like slam the door, come in and drop all their shit and sit down. And it's like, what is going on?
That's the number one thing in the real world, at work or anywhere, that I cannot get over. I cannot get over when someone's talking, someone's speaking, like
it's so
at work or at like wherever you're at, and someone won't shut the fuck up while they're talking. And in the military, that is the number. You never ever do that ever. If you were ever taught like ever, would that even come across your mind? So and that follows you when you get out. And I'm like, okay, someone's speaking, like I'm gonna shut the fuck up. But when someone won't, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck out loud. I don't even know. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And you get that kind of look, and I'm like, how do you not grasp this concept
that this is okay? Like,
someone's speaking, okay. You should not be speaking because someone's telling you something that is obviously in charge here.
Yeah.
Drives me fucking insane. And it drives me insane when people don't get it. They're like, oh, what's wrong with that guy? I'm like, just shut the fuck up, man.
It's crazy.
It's super simple.
Even in my class, in my Italian class, there's probably 15 of us. There's a guy and a girl that come in late every day. They're 5 minutes late every day. And I think it's just because they come in late. It's not because they have a class beforehand and they're late. They're 5 minutes late every day, and they're in the back corner of the class, and they fucking talk the entire time. And I'm like, our instructor, our professor, is from Italy. I think we're like one of her first classes, I think she taught last year, maybe last year was her first time. But I'm like, she probably thinks American kids are the biggest fucking assholes ever. Like, these kids are on their phone, like, whatever, bitch, I don't even care. They'll have it straight up blocking her while she's talking and just, like, not even looking at her. And I'm like, dude, I wonder what the teacher's reign is, though. Like, what can they do very
and what
little,
can't they do?
Very little, especially nowadays with the way everybody's offended by everything. I mean, I'm going to San Diego State University. I'm in one of the most like liberal state, the most liberal state in the country, in one of the most liberal areas of the country. The weirdness that I see sometimes, I'm just like, what the fuck, like.
I just don't get where the parents are at. I don't get where you're like. Were you not just getting your ass beat as a kid?
And the thing about it too, what blows my mind is that it's kind of hard to get into San Diego State. They had 90,000 applicants last year, and they only selected 9,000. I think something like that. Yeah, it's an insane amount. Like I'm like, it's a state college, whatever. Like whatever, it's a state school. But I got in, and I remember telling another dude, and he's like, wow, that's kind of impressive, actually. Like, that's kind of hard to get into. And I'm like, I don't think it's that hard. Probably helped that I was in the military and stuff. But for a kid coming out of high school, it's hard for sure because they don't have like the background I have. That helps. It's got to help. So these kids are not idiots. Like, they've done something to like get into this school beyond the regular means, because you have to have. I think in my major, you had to have at least. Maybe. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the GPA requirement was to transfer into. But anyway, none of them are idiots. They did something to get into this school. It's not Harvard or anything, but it's still harder to get into. But they get there, and you're just like, they don't act like they're fucking smart. Yeah. They're like morons. They're disrespectful. And it's like, not all of them. A majority is not. This is the fringe. I think I told you one time I was out. I was working for the school paper. We're doing interviews. We're going around asking people like if they had ever had a near-death experience, right? And we just want to be like, hey, have you ever had a near-death experience? If you have, do you want to talk about it? Like, just so we can. And it was going to be like not even like an article. It was like a blurb. You know how you always have like the person's face and like a quote underneath? That's all it was going to be. And we're talking to this chick. We ask her, and this dude next to me was like, you should probably say trigger warning before you ask a question like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, I looked at him. I'm like, are you fucking serious? And he's like, yeah, that's like really disrespectful. I was like, bro, how would it change if I would have said trigger warning and then the exact same word? I was like, how does that change anything?
Giving her time to plug her ears?
He's like, that way that lets them know that something could be offensive. And I'm like, anytime anyone speaks, it could be offensive about anything. Like, are you serious right now? And I was like, here's the deal, man. We're allowed to do it. So do you want to be interviewed? No? Okay, well, then we're talking to her.
Yeah.
Like, it was becoming a thing. And the girl that I was there to shoot photos, and the girl that was there to do the actual interview was like 19. And she's just like, man, we should probably just not say anything. And I'm like, fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck that dude.
You should have been like, dude, that's a trigger for me to say trigger warning. So you should have said it before that, because now I'm triggered because you just said that.
I couldn't believe that. I could not believe it. I was like, I can't believe
Isn't
this
that the
just
worst
happened.
when weird shit happens like that and you on the spot you're like, but then like 5 minutes later you're like, I should have said this. I should have said this.
You're so pissed.
Yeah, you're like, fuck
this motherfucker. But I'm like, this is some shit you would see in a movie. You know?
It's weird, man. And I try to think, so who were their parents then? What age group? When were they born? For the majority of the kids that are like this.
Well, I mean, I'm in school right now with like 18 to 22-year-olds.
So their parents were probably
2001.
But I mean, I'm trying to think because like my sister, she graduated high school in 2003, I think. So that wouldn't be those.
Parents would have come from the 70s.
But what happened in the 70s where kids were like their parents still not. They still were in around the 90s and 2000s when like hard work was still a thing. And, like,
but you also got to realize where we're
like,
at too. We're in Southern California where liberal policies are.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
like.
Classes,
do you think this is back in Midwest?
You have classes here where they're telling where they're teaching you like, oh, when you stand up and address a group, you should introduce yourself and then let them know your pronouns. Like, hello, my name is Justin Kramer. I use him, his, and he.
No way.
I swear to God, that's how you're supposed to introduce yourself at the beginning of a presentation. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Less than 1% of the people aren't going to give you the answer that you expect. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing this.
That's fucking wild.
I'm cool with being inclusive. I'm cool with it. I'm not against it. But that's fucking stupid. You're I don't know, man. And people will come at you like, why is it so hard to do it? Why can't you be more inclusive? Like, how does that hurt you to do that? Like, get the fuck out of here.
What do you say to that? What's your answer to that?
I've never introduced myself that way.
I mean, if someone was to say that, because I'm thinking like, I don't know what I would say. Yeah, I don't have to go. I mean, I guess I could have, but I'm fucking not gonna.
I would say, why do I have
to accommodate your needs?
Exactly.
Like, why is it my problem to accommodate your needs?
You're like, hey, I'm left-handed. I'm getting really tired of using all these fucking scissors around here that are not made for left-handed people.
That's basically what's happening.
Like, I'm being discriminated against. There's way more left-handed people in the country than there are fucking transgender. Also, there's way more blind people in the country than there are transgender. There's way more deaf people than there are transgender. But we accommodate them, but not to the level that people are trying to push this whole transgenderism. And again, I don't want this to become a political thing, but that's just my opinion. If you want to be transgender, cool, that's on you.
Yeah,
but don't force it on me.
But the thing,
when
I don't care what you are, but
when you see the crazy people with their like crazy colored hair, their ridiculous outfits, I'm like, that person is not looking for respect. That person is peacocking, and they're trying to be offended.
And what I don't understand is like when they do the gay pride parade and everything. And I have a bunch of gay friends. I partied in West Hollywood all the fucking time. Like not all the time, but a lot. It doesn't bother me, but like at the gay pride parades and shit, when the dudes are in like thongs.
You were trying to talk me to go to that.
Dude, it's the funnest shit. Gay dudes are the funnest dudes to party with. And
I
just don't understand, why is that acceptable for like a dude in a thong to be like fucking another dude, literally like on a parade? If that was a guy and a girl in a parade like
happening.
That, not specifically, but have you seen like gay pride parades?
I mean,
it's basically naked dudes that are like humping each other and doing all this crazy shit.
I remember we were at the bar that night and some dudes came in afterwards, and I'm like, look at these guys.
Why is that acceptable? If that was a guy and a girl doing that, that shit would not be happening.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand. It's fucking crazy. But can we get back to let me go back to the blind thing real quick. So I downloaded this app, and it's really, really cool, and I'm super excited to use it. It's called Be My Eyes. I met this blind girl, Lacey and I did, on the train in Boston. She had like a CNI dog, she's completely blind, but she knew like everywhere to go. Like she would stop at the right terminal, whatever it is, when you get picked up by the train. Mm-hmm. She knew everything, and she was telling us about this app, and it's called Be My Eyes. And what they have now is they have an app where blind people have this app. So there's 169,905 blind people on this app. And there's 3,017,055 volunteers on this app.
Wow.
So anybody that's blind has this app, can use this app to call, make a FaceTime call, and then you can help them in their house find whatever it is they need to do. Say you're blind, you're like, oh, fuck, I need a can of peas, but I don't know which one of these are peas. They open the app, which I don't know how blind people use phones, but then they call, and then you talk them through, like, okay, it's right there, and they grab it, and then they open it.
Huh.
And It's
Isn't that
really
weird? You don't think about that. Like you're like, well, being blind that would suck. I wouldn't see doors and stuff. But in the reality, when you're like, oh, when I'm reaching into a cabinet, what's the label say?
yeah. So and then you can like I've only had 2 calls and I've missed both calls.
Oh, you piece
of
shit.
I know, but there's 3 million volunteers.
It's not like they weren't depending on
3 million people have this app.
God, just let everyone down.
And there's only 169,000 blind people that use it. So like I've had it since July 5th, 2019, and I've gotten 2 phone calls and it's November. And they've been totally spaced out. And usually I have my phone on the little half moon
Is it
thing.
like you get a little Uber rating with it too? Like this guy's good?
I have no idea, but I'm
probably have a 1 star.
And there's like the little thing called stories where you can go through and read people's stories that they've used. And it's super cool to me because I'm like...
So it's a weird social media app, huh? Not weird, but it's like outside the norm.
I think it's... Yeah, they do a little social media where you can like read up on it, but this should be plastered everywhere. I mean, there is 10 times the amount of volunteers than there is blind people on it.
I mean,
but what a cool thing to have in my pocket at all times. You could always like
help somebody out.
Help somebody out with your eyes from across the world. And it's all over, it's the whole world. It's not just America.
That's crazy.
So download it. It's called Be My Eyes.
Help the blind. You know, did you listen to the podcast with Jerry, the guy that got shot down in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 90% blind. He's got one eye he can see out of, and he's 90% blind out of it. And
that's intense, man.
When I first met him, I didn't even know he was blind. Like he would walk. I mean, you knew where I live. He walked down. He lived like 2 more blocks up, and he'd walk from there down to the beach and walk the beach and then back home. Well, and not being able to see at all.
I saw one. There was a blind guy I was watching on like TLC or some TV show, and he uses clicks like dolphins. Like he'll click his tongue, and he can now tell from the echo. He was riding a bicycle, dude, down a sidewalk.
That's insane.
I'm like, that's so intense. That
can't be real.
100%. He uses clicks as like a sound wave.
I asked Jerry, I was like, dude, did you notice your other senses, like, you know, get more elevated once you were blind? And he's like, yeah, I can. He said he can feel when someone's near him. He can feel the air move. So, like, if he's standing there on the sidewalk, like, waiting to cross the road, someone walks up behind him, he knows that they're there. If he doesn't hear them, he feels the air. And I'm like, that's weird, man. I was like, that's crazy.
He should look into being a superhero.
Yeah, I'm trying. I got to hit him up. I want to get him back on the show because he felt. I felt one. We were rushed on the last podcast because he was going to go meet some chick. I think that he met on like Tinder or something like that. He's still out smashing. He's like, hey man, it helps to be a fighter pilot. He's like, it still works. I'm like, that's sick, dude. But yeah, he had something going on, so he had to leave, and he had so many other stories about Vietnam like that we didn't get to talk about.
I'm sure he did.
I wanted to get him. I wanted to get the story about him getting shot down because I knew that's what people were very interested in. But I'm definitely going to try to get him back on. He bounces between Temecula and Oceanside, so I'm definitely going to try to get him back on so he can tell some more of his crazy Vietnam bombing run stories.
Yeah, anybody from like my grandfather was in Vietnam and he was a radio operator.
Oh, really?
But he passed away like right before I joined the Marines. But how cool would that have been? Because I was a radio operator to talk about that 40-year gap of like radios then, radios now. That would have been super cool, but I never got to.
My dad came in at the end of Vietnam, but he got sent to Germany. He was he's gonna. If he listens to this, he'll give me shit about it. He worked on the Nike anti-air missiles. If you look it up, like Nike missile, it's like the anti-air stuff in Germany back in the day. No one in my family was in combat arms. Like I had military. Both my grandfathers were in the military. My dad was in the military. I think my great grandfather was as well, but none of them I don't think were combat arms. I think I'm the first one. I was the first one in the Marines too, so. I had to rub that in his face. Fucking nerd. No.
My brother was. My brother-in-law was. My brother-in-law was a scout sniper with 1-1.
1-1?
And they were, like I said, they were on the Mew when 9/11 happened.
Oh, yeah.
And then my brother was a grunt.
Did we talk about that? You know, I don't think we ever talked about your beginnings. We recorded one, but we didn't release it, remember?
Which one?
I think we recorded like your whole
at my
story,
house.
Like a normal interview, but we didn't release it.
Yeah, you know what? We never did.
Yeah.
We did a little bit with Tracy.
So you've been on with Tracy. Yeah, but we didn't talk. Okay, so why'd you join the Marine Corps?
Oh, man.
So your brother was in the Marines.
My brother was in the Marines. My grandpa was in the Marines. My brother-in-law was in the Marines. My brother doesn't talk about it like at all. He just doesn't.
Is it because it's like a traumatic time, or is it just because he's like, I don't want that to like define me?
No, I think it's because it was a traumatic time. He doesn't really. He like lives in the woods. He doesn't really like. He's married and stuff, but he doesn't like people. You know, he doesn't he did. Oh man, I should know this. I think he went to Ramadi the second time, and the first time I'm not sure where he was. I think, but they're both shitty deployments.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't. I asked him before I was going to join. I'm like, do you think I should join? And he just said no. Like that was the only thing he would give me. He's like, no, don't do it. But my brother-in-law was the exact opposite. He's like, fucking do it.
Fucking do it.
You know, because he was a cowboy-ass scout sniper. You know, same thing with, like, I thought Anglo was awesome.
What'd your brother do?
He was a grunt.
Oh, okay.
He was an 03, but then so he was an 03, and when he graduated his school at SOI, I remember him saying, like, when he gotten back, he's like, yeah, what they asked was who had their driver's license, and everybody that raised up their hands, they went to LAV school. So he's like, fuck.
So he was LAR.
Yeah, he was with Wolfpack first LAR.
Oh, he might know.
Twin Up Homes.
We might have some mutual friends.
So he did that, and then so my brother-in-law, I'm like, you think I should join? He's like, dude, do it, because he scout sniper. He got to do Afghanistan, then he went to Australia on the MEU. They stopped back in Australia and all those. So he got to do the foreign countries as well. And he's like, yeah, dude, do it.
Did he give you advice on what job to pick?
Not really.
Was he like, don't be a fucking pogue?
He never really. He's cool. He's super cool, and he's like, when you could tell, like, when he's like your basic vet. You know, he like the Marine Corps was cool then, right? It was like he's all about it. But you could tell he's also.
Does he wear the moto shirts?
No, not really. But he's very like
raw.
No, not even that. Actually, what am I talking about? He's none of that. But he's just like one of those vets where you look at it and you're like, you're a good fucking dude. You know?
Okay.
You know, like you've definitely been around enough to where
you're a solid American.
Yes,
and I
approve. And he's just funny, dude. And that's why I joined, was because of him.
Yeah.
And then. Dude.
Were you open contract or were you comm?
No, I went. The funny thing is, like, everyone says I went in and I was like, I want to be a grunt. But thank fucking God I was not.
Yeah.
That life just looks. That's what I was trying to explain to my buddy who wanted to join. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about being a grunt. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to put it out there for, all the grunts listening. But, like, that life is a specific life. You have to be about that life to really enjoy being that life. A lot of those
guys, you'll hear about guys moving into the infantry, and when you talk to the infantry guys, they're like, "Why the fuck would you ever do that?" Like some of them are supermoto, obviously.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are like, "Why the fuck would you come over here?"
Yeah. Well, like I guess thank God I didn't, because then
you're right.
Well, what else you want to do?
It's you have to embrace a suck.
You have to fully just be like, "Yep, I'm a grunt."
For being in the infantry, for being a 0811, being a cannon crew member. Like someone like that, where you're living on the ground, in the field, all the time. That is your whole point in life. Yeah, you got these 6 dudes that you chill with, or 10 dudes, or whatever. Like, that's your team, your squad, your fire team, and all that stuff. Like, those are your people.
It's always like, everybody wants to be cool until it's time to do something, like, be cool. Like, everybody wants to be a grunt until it's time to go out to the field for a month and live in the fucking hole.
And be miserable.
Right, and that's... Thank God. And not only that, but when you get out, there's not many jobs that correlate with that.
The thing, though, is it's the shared misery.
Right.
Well, there are jobs, but the problem is that people have they do a very bad job of articulating the skills that they gain while they're in the military.
Well, that's like TRS gives you all those answers, but nobody wants to listen to it. I kept the booklet where it shows specifically per MOS what it transfers to and how to use the words and how to use the terms.
There's very little that you can get out of combat arms ones. That's the problem. You're right there. You're limited. You're definitely set back. You're not going to get a 6-figure logistics job like the guy that came that we made fun of that was a supply warehouse guy.
That's what I tried telling my buddy. I'm like, listen, before you join, he's like, well, I was thinking about doing air traffic control in the Marine Corps. I'm like, there you go. Do something that when you get out, you can directly go into a job, transition to it, use all the credits you have already when you're in. Just think about what you're going to pick. Because I don't want to take all the fun out of it. All I told him was like, don't go open contract. Don't be a cook. Don't be something where you think already sounds gay being civilian. It's going to be double as gay as a Marine Corps. Like, so do something that like that you think in. Anyway, he didn't end up doing it, but I told him. I think one of the little cards I picked was communications. Like the things they slide at you.
Stupid fucking
right. So I think one of the ones I was like, oh, I like communicating, and he's like, oh, well. And I went in as
I talk also.
I went in as communications open contract. So it was like anything communications I could have gotten. Yeah,
I can't remember. They do that with like the 08s and 03s as well. It's like, I'm going 03.
Yeah, XX.
Whatever.
So I ended up getting radio operator. And then I went to school and... man, 2010. I joined April 2010.
You joined when?
April 2000. I don't know what time I like depped in, August 2010 is when I joined the Marine Corps.
What'd you think? Like, what did your parents think when you came home and you told them you're like? Well, real quick before you say that, I just want to say like I'm looking at because I've had people hit me up and they're like, hey, I want to know. I need people to come on and talk about transitioning out, like how that was, which we did. The last one we did, you and I did, was really good. And my buddy hit me up, and I want to say I'm looking him up on LinkedIn right now. I want to say he's an HR. He's like an HR guy that I worked with at. Hold on. All right, I can't find it. I'm not going to waste any time doing it. Him and I worked together at 10th Marines at 210. He was an FTC guy. He was a survey dude. I think he does HR now, but he said that I told him, I was like, hey, if you want to come on the podcast, he's going to come on and talk about like the problem within the HR community and how to properly articulate what you did. And I'll forewarn this as anyone that's ever gone through any kind of TRS or any kind of job skills training, stuff like that. Every person you talk to tells you a different way to fill out your resume. Every person you talk to says you should highlight whatever certain skills, and then someone else is like, no, that's not right. You should be doing this. And so you got to kind of be prepared for that. So, but I do want to have, like, he came on, transitioned out, and now he's in charge of hiring people. So I think that'll be a good conversation.
Honestly, and a lot of people talk shit about TRS, which a lot of it is stupid, but there is some serious, like I built 2 resumes while I was in there. I had no clue how to build a resume.
Yeah.
And so I built a private sector one, and then, like the federal resume is completely different. It's like pages, and it's dense. So I took all that time in TRS to do all that, and now I constantly update. I have 2 bomb-ass resumes that look pretty good as compared. And in TRS, they teach you how to use all the words from military to civilian, like an E6, like a commissioned officer, a non-commissioned officer for corporals and sergeants. It basically used the term like supervisor or management, or
some people will tell you that, and some people will tell you to leave your rank and stuff on there, and it also depends on the job you're trying to get.
And that's where like the federal resume is huge. It's literally tailored to the job you want to get.
Yeah.
So I filled out one for an air traffic controller.
Those are like 10 pages long.
Yeah, and everything about being a JFO is what I put in there. Like everything, it was strictly surrounded by me talking to aircraft and communicating with aircraft and telling them where to go. This was right when I was going to get out, and I didn't get it. Because one of the things in there was you were supposed to have on-the-job training. Can't remember how much. Not on-the-job training. You had to have like 2 certs basically for ATC, air traffic controlling, that I didn't have. But I tried to I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to throw all this in here anyway and see what'll happen with it. It made it to like the second stage of processing, like it shows you on the website.
Yeah.
And then it got denied because of that. But either way, I was like, I might as well try this. Because they make out here like 110 a year starting.
Yeah, you can make. It's a high stress job. It's another one of those high stress jobs, though. From what I've been told, I don't know. I like the whole where I'm not working for anybody else. This whole what I'm doing right now.
That is pretty
I'm
cool.
Hopefully this rides out. Like obviously the GI Bill helps me out because I'm in school. But I'm hoping by the time I'm done with school that all this will be self funding or whatever. That way I can keep doing this because Dude, it sucks working for somebody else because you might have a great idea, but they don't want to hear it because they're in charge. Or they'll let you, put it out there and then they shoot you down, which is maybe even worse. That's a stupid idea. You're like, fuck you, man. Because it just sucks working for somebody else.
Yeah, that is the American dream, dude. It's be your own boss.
Nowadays there's no greater time than now, especially as a veteran, that you can do that because one, all the job skills and opportunities that you can get when you get out, GI Bill, to go to trade schools, you can go to college, you can go to... I knew a guy that went to YO-Tech to learn how to work on cars and stuff like that, and he's going to use that to go and start his own shop and stuff. Like, there's all kinds of stuff, but... Anyway.
The GI Bill, even just the GI Bill alone is crazy. To think that, like, you can get out of the Marine Corps, even if I was to never join the Marine Corps, I still think I would have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have joined something to where there's way too many benefits when you get out. Yeah, you do have the chance of, like, dying while you're in, right? Like, defending your country. But at the same time...
Those chances are greatly decreased if you're not in a combat arms.
Right. So it's like, to be able... For kids nowadays who are bitching about college and stuff like that, it's like, dude, you could literally join the Marine Corps, do your 4 years of good service, get out, And then now you have 4 years of college paid for, or 48 months, or whatever it is.
And if you join into a job that you want to continue doing, like I was telling a kid this the other day because he wants to be a journalist. I'm like, dude, you can join and become a combat camera or combat correspondent person, learn all this stuff, make connections, get paid the whole time, cover a real world like major events. Because some of these guys that went to like Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, their photos are in like New York Times, CNN. You know, they're on like their major publications and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I was like, so you can build your resume, also receive the GI Bill, so you can get out and then because they were talking about school loans. I don't get I get the whole school loan thing. I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about it because I feel like I use a GI Bill, so I guess I don't really have I can't really understand an 18-year-old that I think they see that debt and they're like, oh my God, that's crazy that I have this much debt. But I just look at it as like it's an investment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like an investment into your future. As long as you're not a fucking idiot and you're going to get like a French literature degree, you know, like.
And that's what's happening. It's these kids who are, I'm getting out, I'm making minimum wage. It's like, look at what you picked. You can't just be.
They'll let you. They'll let you. They'll be like, hey, you can come get this certificate or this degree and whatever.
I do think that it is insanely expensive to go to college, but.
Depends on the college.
It's not like community college when I got out was like $1,600 or something for a semester.
Most military guys that get out and go to the community college first don't use their GI Bill because it's so cheap. They want to save their GI Bill. I didn't want to work. I wanted to focus on school and focus on setting up this website and like trying to get it to run and, you know, get to where I'm at now. And so I used the GI Bill as a leverage for that. And that's the good opportunity. It gives you that breathing room where you can take a chance. And if you fuck it up, like if the website would have failed and everything's bad and I'm not making any money, at least I know while I'm in school until I get a job, you know, or I mean, even if I had a job, I'm getting this money. But
there's still so many programs and like the Yellow Ribbon program and all that where they'll still pay for your other 2 years. You're gonna have to get your master's or whatever it is.
Well, the way the Yellow Ribbon program works, and I know all this because I originally applied to USC while I was still in. I fucked up. Looking back, I probably would have gotten in had I waited and gotten out and taken like a year at a community college and got some like credits that way. Because I got out with like 30 something credits, but they were through like Central Texas College, you know, which I did online, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it would have been better to. And they were kind of classes all over the place. It would have been better to have gone to a community college and started taking classes on a certain focus. And then applied. I think I would have had a better chance of getting in. But the reason I bring that up is USC costs $60,000 a year to go to.
That's nuts.
As undergrad, it's $60,000. I think it's $60,000 a year, and the GI Bill covers whatever the highest in-state tuition is for the highest public school.
Yeah.
So in California. The most expensive public school is UCLA Berkeley, or not UCLA Berkeley. It's UC Berkeley, excuse me. And so whatever the cost of tuition there, the GI Bill will cover up to that for any school in California. Yeah. Beyond that, the Yellow Ribbon program, the school says, "Hey, we'll make up the difference. Like you don't have to pay the difference. We got that." And then you can also get. I think some schools might give you some other stipends and stuff like that for it. But
that's a good. I mean. So my buddy got out. He actually retired. He was in recon for like 10 years, I think.
$52,283.
That's insane. He got medically retired. He had a brain tumor. Gets out and he's like,
sucks.
He's like, but he's medically retired. The tumor's all gone. Like everything's fine.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And he got out, so he gets paid monthly for the rest of his life now because he's medically retired, and he's going to go be a doctor.
How does that work for medically retired? Is it like a regular retirement?
It's a percentage.
Pay?
It's a percentage you get for medical retirement. Like same thing with like the VA, 50%, 60%.
But it's higher than that though. The pay is higher.
The pay is higher, but it's not much. I don't think. And one of the guys had in my welding program he had diabetes while he was in, got medically retired, and I think he's only making like $1,800 a month or something like that.
What rank did he get out as though?
I don't know.
That's probably part of what it has to do with.
I use a sergeant, or no, he was a corporal, I think.
Yeah.
But so he's going to go to school to be a doctor, and he already has everything lined up to where he'll have $0 in medical bills when he gets out. or like school
bills.
Between all the grants and the Yellow Ribbon program and the GI Bill, he's got everything lined up to where he'll hopefully, if all works, he'll be a doctor with no medical bills, with no school payments.
That's crazy.
Isn't that fucking nuts?
That's awesome, though.
But that's the military. The military
that's guys taking advantage of their service. What I hate to see is on some of these Facebook groups, you see these guys like, hey, I'm just trying to get a degree, or I'm trying to use my GI Bill to get the BAH. So what school can I go to that I can just, they're just looking for a degree factory kind of school just to collect the money. And it's like, dude, you are wasting like an opportunity to just collect some fast cash up front. I don't know, man. I just see it and I'm like, you're fucking retarded. Like, if you're going to go to school and you're going to use your GI Bill, at a minimum, it shouldn't be an online school. If you're coming out of the Marine Corps, you should go right into a community college, unless you got accepted into like UCLA or something like that. And outside of that, go to a community college. Don't go to these fucking online schools that just fuck you. Like, it's just crazy that people even do that. And that's my advice. Like, it blows my mind that
there's just so many, even while you're in, there's so many things you can do. Between, like, I remember I had to go to a financial aid class because I was getting married. So it was like the checklist. You have to go to, like, the chaplain, not financial aid. What is it where you go?
They made us do that when we all first checked in.
You learn about,
like, budgeting and stuff.
Yeah. And, dude, it was a good class. It was, like, if you sat and listened to it. But you could tell there's so many people in there that were 19 years old getting married.
Yeah, they're all 18 and 19-year-olds.
But I'm like, dude, this is serious. In the civilian world, to pay for a class like this is probably pretty expensive.
That's what they even tell you. They'll be like, this is an expensive class. And guys are like, yeah, whatever. And instead of like paying attention to them teaching, they're 19, man. They're like, man, I can't wait to go beat off real quick. They're like, fucking, oh, that chick's hot over there. Look at her. Like, like.
It's weird how many opportunities. And like my buddy he's a drill instructor right now. Or no, what am I talking about? Wilson. Him and his wife just went to a couples retreat.
Oh, really?
And I'm guessing that was paid for, because, they used to do that in the military. And Lacey and I were going to do it. We never ended up doing it, but I'm like, think of that. You get to leave work, you still get paid for that day, and you get to go on a fucking retreat.
Yeah, they send you to a resort.
Isn't that just,
you got to sit
crazy.
Through some, like couple sessions.
Yeah. But it's supposed to like build, because I'm sure it's in the end, the Marine Corps sees it as like, if we could stop them from getting a divorce, then it's going to save money and all that.
The divorce rate is outrageous in the military. But
fucking crazy.
That's because so many kids get married to get out of the barracks.
Totally understand it, though.
Or they're like 19 and they're leaving home and they had a girlfriend, so they want to marry her because they're familiar with it and it's comfortable. And they're like in this new place, so now they're like, oh, I'm going to bring a piece of home with me. And it's just... How do you
I've always thought about this, though. How do you solve the problem of what's happening in the Marine Corps with marriages so early?
You can't do it unless you say, hey, you can't get married until you're a certain rank.
That's what I thought.
And they're not going to... I don't think they can...
Like legally do that?
I mean, they can legally do whatever the fuck they want because it's the Marine Corps, it's the military. But I think if you did that, there'd be like a huge backlash. But I don't know, man. Like, it needs to happen.
And I agree with that. I think that there should be maybe like an age or a rank. But then there should still be the things where it's like, okay, that guy came in and he's 24 years old. He's got a kid. He's a PFC. But obviously we're going to let him get married. There's got to be
there's differences. There's something like that.
But like, just look at look at the kids, even just specifically Anglico, that were just like, you are such a fucking piece of shit.
I had a kid. I remember one of my guys came in. He was 19, and I'm like, dude, do not get married. He's like, yeah, we're going to get married. And I'm like, do not get married, man. Like, I can't tell you no. I'm telling you that you're not going to stay married. I'm like, you're 19. Fucking, she's like 19 or 20, something like that. He was bringing her from home. No. I think she was out here. Either way, I don't know. And, like, I left Anglico, went to the MU, and then, like, before I got out, I found out he was getting divorced.
Yeah.
And they had a kid. And I'm like, dude.
That's like living on base. Same thing with everybody having a fucking dog.
You can't tell.
Everybody wants to get married. A 19-year-old kid wants to get married, wants to have the dog at home,
my little
family.
Lab. I'm going to run around.
Fucking things out back, shitting everywhere, living in its own crap, trying to break out of the fence.
Grass is all like fucking up to the knees.
We had a guy who lived behind us who would leave his dog out the whole weekend. He would just never fucking comes out that he was. Man. They found it in the backyard with his mouth duct taped shut. What? On the dog. Yeah, lived kitty corner behind me.
Oh my god! Man.
Another guy directly behind me him and his wife would leave for the weekend and leave the dog out back. The dog would just constantly bark all fucking day. And I went up there at like 4 a.m. one time, Sunday morning, and I walk outside and I'm like in a delirious fucking daze because I'm still sleepy. The neighbor of him walks out as well, same time as me, and we're both in our PJs, and we're like staring at this dog. We're like, what the fuck is going on? And I just let the dog out. I opened the gate, and the dog went running. It was a husky. Never saw it again.
Probably saved its life, man.
Dude, I'm like, it had no food, no water, and had been back there since Friday.
Why didn't you give it food and water?
It took off. As soon as I opened the gate, it was gone.
Well, I mean,
that thing was like, fuck this. The whole sliding door on the screen, or the screen on the sliding door was all torn off from the dog jumping on the screen, and like,
you know, you don't. That's one of those things, like when you hear people that are like, "Oh, all the veterans are heroes and everyone's a hero," and I'm like,
so many pieces of shit.
There's so many pieces of shit in the military, and it's not because like people in the military are crazy or anything. It's because they're a reflection of society. You know what I'm saying? It's like a direct reflection of society.
Yeah.
You have some trashy people. You have some like preppy people. You have some like whatever. Like I had people. I remember I lived in Tarwood Terrace housing in Camp Lejeune for like 7 years, and we had people that would move in and out across from us all the time. People were constantly moving in and out. And I remember like someone moved there for like, they lived there for like 3 months, and they ended up having to like replace all the carpet, all the blinds, like everything had been destroyed within a 3-month period that they had lived there. And then these are the people that bitch like, housing fucked me.
Yeah.
They're making me pay for this. This is bullshit. And I remember one of the most fucked up things I ever saw was there was this across from us, there was this girl living there. I think she was in the Navy, and her husband, right? And then his sister lived there as well with her girlfriend.
Jesus.
So this is like this weird, and they had a baby. They ended up having a baby. The couple did. And dude, like we were friends with their neighbors also. So we lived across from them. We're friends with their neighbors. I remember they took their kid as a newborn to the pool. As a newborn, comes back like bright red, like screaming.
No fucking way.
Sunburn and shit. And we're like, what the fuck, man? And yeah, it's crazy. And then
that poor fucking kid.
And then one day, I came out. I think I came home, or I might have come out of my place or something. And I see one of their cars driving down the road like super fast, and one of the chicks is on the hood, riding on the hood down the road in the neighborhood, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? And then in the second car, the other girl was driving, and the husband was in the fucking trunk with the trunk open and had the stroller on the road, dude.
No way.
I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm like,
was there a kid in the stroller?
Yes, dude.
No way.
Yes, dude. I'm telling you. I'm like, what the fuck? And I think she got kicked out, and I think I think multiple people saw this happen. So I think it became obviously
fucking crazy.
Dude, but it's just people like that. You see they come in and you're like,
it's just trash. It's just straight trash. There, when I was on deployment, Lacey said that there was a lady across the street, the fire truck, everybody was there, and there was a lady bounding roofs. Drunk as fuck, bounding roofs as the cops are trying to get, the MPs are trying to get to her. Because you know all the houses are like touching basically.
Yeah,
she was
like,
running across on top of the houses.
Oh my God, dude.
It's just straight trash people that fucking come in.
You know when you really find out how shitty people are is when you're on deployment and you have to live right on top of them. And you're like, dude,
I hope Jerry's listening to this.
You are a gross person.
Jerry used to get mad because I would put my like books and stuff on his rack all the time because it was right across mine. Because I'd like go to take my blouse off and I'd jump. I was on the bottom, he was in the middle, so I'd like set mine and I'd always end up leaving it. And he'd be like, get your shit off my fuck. You think you can just leave your shit everywhere? He used to get all butthurt about it. But I mean, that was like on ship when you were living. Yeah. You were living like, I would wash my PT clothes on me in the shower, and I'd take them out and wring them out and hang them over the poles because I'm like, I can't do laundry because we're doing 2 days. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to wear these this morning, wash them, wear them tonight, wash them.
Anybody that was going to the gym, that's how they had to do it.
I'm like, dude, there's no fucking way I'm going to be doing laundry twice a week. No way. I just ended up starting paying people.
You don't have the time for it.
Dude, well, we probably did have the time.
You have the time, but you don't.
I don't have the patience.
Like, I'm going to go sit in laundry down there sweltering hot.
And it's so hot down there that your headphones, you can hear, like, if you're watching a movie on your tablet or whatever, but it's so fucking noisy that it even makes your viewing time shitty.
Did you ever see 2 people, like, kind of almost get into it over a washer or dryer? Like, it's like 2 dudes bucking up on each other, like, what?
Yeah, definitely. It was always the grunts.
That's for real.
Yeah, it was.
It'd be like coming and taking a dude's like fucking apple or something. Like, who do you think you are?
Man, I should talk to my brother-in-law and see if he'd come on here.
That'd be cool. So coming up, I have a few people lined up. One, I already said the MARSOC guy who wants to come over and talk about coming over to. He was not a Raider. He was a JTAC, or he is a JTAC, and he was with the Raiders for 5 years. Did multiple deployments with the teams as a team JTAC. But when we go over there, we're not, or when guys go over there, they're not Raiders. So until they go through the actual Raider course, so. He's going to see if he can get permission from the unit to come on, or just to make sure, because it's such a weird.
Yeah.
Remember when we had to sign the page 11 for social media?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're supposed to watch, unless you're doing porn, unless you're putting naked photos of yourself online. You can't put any disparaging remarks on Facebook. But hey, you want to start yourself a.
You want to slap your pussy all over the internet? Feel free. Like, what the fuck is...
It's fine.
I forgot.
Hey, you're a single mom.
We did have to sign a page 11 for social media. And this chick's over there wiping her beehole over the WWW.
I bet she wasn't paying her taxes either.
What the fuck?
Remember, what was that called? The thought... What they called? The... Thought audits or something like that. When everybody was...
on Snapchat?
People were turning in all the... all the private Snapchat fucking chicks.
Oh, fuck. I'd turn in baby arms so goddamn fast. I hate her.
So I'm looking at having him come on. I'm looking, my buddy, the dude, and it'd be cool to talk about the sergeant that was a mechanic with me. His name's Sergeant Gay. So imagine.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He was a drill instructor too. Senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Gay.
Oh, that's fun. I would have changed my name 100%.
So, Matt Gay, dude, this dude is a great Marine, like one of the best dudes I've ever met. Awesome. Him and his wife are great people. But he's going to come on. He was with me at 2nd Maintenance Battalion. He was a reservist that came over to the active duty side. So I think that'll be a good story, because it's really hard for those guys to come over to active duty. And when they do, they lose all their time and rank, time and service. So they have to start over. So I met him when he first came to our unit. I was a senior lance corporal getting ready to get promoted to corporal, and he was a sergeant.
No such thing as that rank.
I got promoted to staff sergeant before he got selected to staff sergeant.
Fuck.
Because I lat moved from motor T over to be an 0861. So I got promoted to sergeant like immediately, and then staff came way quicker.
Damn.
Yeah. So
wait, no, you picked up staff when he was getting selected for sergeant?
For staff. So you maintain your rank. You're still a sergeant, but you lose your time and rank and time and service.
Oh, that sucks.
Which goes towards all that other stuff. So yeah, I went from like meeting him as a lance corporal to bounding beyond him.
What rank was he when you met him?
He was a sergeant.
Fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
Fuck. I thought you guys were both the same rank.
No.
I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
No, he was a sergeant. I was a lance corporal.
God, that's terrible.
And he was still a sergeant. I think I hit him up after I got promoted a different time. He's like, what? Are you fucking selected for fucking sergeant major already? Fuck you. But I want to have him come on, because once he did the transition from reservist to active, which I think is an interesting story. 2, he's a motor T guy, so I don't know. I bring someone else different on here. And 3, with that being a motor T guy, he left our deployment. Told him he was going to get out. He was trying to go over to MARSOC, and I was sitting there. So I was there, and I heard this go down. We were in Iraq. We were both lap moving. I'm like, hey, dude, the monitors are here. Like, they're out here in Iraq. I'm going to go see the monitor to see if my package is good. You should come, too, because he was trying to go to MARSOC. Like, he's like, dude, fuck motor T. This sucks. I'm going to train the entire deployment and to, like, become an operator. This dude was, like, in muscle and fitness cover shape by the time, like, he came around to go and talking to these people. He was insane. He was awesome dude, always working out, great guy. And I remember we went down to talk to the monitor, and they were like, yeah, you're good to go, like talking to me and stuff. And then he's like sitting down with the infantry monitor, because that's who he had to talk to, because it was that's who was representing MARSOC. And he sits down with the guy, and he's like, look, I just want to come over. I'm tired of being motor T, blah, 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 blah. And the dude's like looking through his record, and he's like, hey, man, I'm totally down. Like, I'll sign you orders today. He's like, I'll sign you orders to SOI for when you get back, because at that time you had to go to SOI first. And then...
Whoa.
Because you need to have your basic infantry skills.
Yeah, but you're in SOI with a bunch of boots?
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
Well, you're lap moving. It's just like going to any other MOS school as a lap mover.
Yeah, but...
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
that sounds terrible.
That's how it works, though. So Harper, remember, my buddy Harper, he did that. because he screened from RSOC.
So even if you're like a sergeant, you still have to go.
Yeah, because he came from Motor T. Because so he ended up not going. Harper ended up not getting selected. He made it through the entire.
Oh, anyway, sorry. Yeah, what happened with the guy?
Assessment. Anyway, so we're sitting there with the monitor, and he's like, "Yeah, I totally want you, but your monitor has to release you." So he goes over to the Motor T monitor, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like watching it all happen and everything. And he's talking to the Motor T monitor, and the dude brings up his record, and because he's such a good dude, he's gone to like every fucking school. And the Motor T monitor is like, bro, he's like, honestly, you're the number one sergeant within the MOS right now. You're a 3521 sergeant mechanic. You're a black belt McMap guy. You've gone to wrecker school. You've gone to this school. I think he'd gone to all the schools. He's like, I can't let you go. He's like, if I let you go, I'll be in trouble for letting you out of the MOS. And Matt was like, well, then I'll just get the fuck out. And the guy's like, you can do that as well. He's like, that's your other option. He's like, because I can't release you or I'll get in trouble.
Dude, fuck that.
Yeah, dude. And he was like, I felt so bad for him, man, because we were good friends and I knew how much he wanted and how hard he had worked for it. And I was like, oh, dude, I know it was devastating for him, but.
Did he get out?
No, he stayed in.
Right.
He's like, the only way I'm going to stay in is if I can get orders to go do something fucking cool. He's like, because I'm going to kill myself at maintenance battalion. Because maintenance battalion, like they told me when I graduated MOS school, like that's the worst fucking unit in the entire Marine Corps. And
it's got to be,
like, dude, horrible. And he went over to 2nd Recon to be their wrecker operator and one of their Motor T guys, and ended up going to Fallujah. Ended up going to Sangin in 2000. He went to Sangin in 2010 when it was shitty. And he built, in northern part of Sangin, there was a fob there called Fob Alcatraz. And they built it. So they went through the fucking shittiest part of this, that part of the country, or that part of the fucking town, that super shitty area. Went through that. And then he's like, bro, we pulled up and they're like, all right, like dig a hole. Like this is your sleeping hole to sleep in and we're fighting from until we build up the
shit.
And I got a picture of him. I'm posting on Instagram whenever he comes on. Massive beard. He's got all of his Marine Corps stuff on. Massive beard because they're out there in fucking Indian land, man.
Yeah.
Up there. And so it's going to be, he's had also, I just want to keep bringing people on that kind of show that not everybody has the same path. Not everybody is an infantry guy that went to combat and it's crazy. And even if you're not infantry, doesn't mean you won't get to deploy. And even if you are infantry or at some of the jobs, you might not get to deploy. Like it's just, everybody has a different path. So I want to kind of show that everyone has a different path, but he's going to come on. He already said he would. I have an actual recon guy that I want to have on. So I'm going to get with him and see if he's willing to come on and talk about his time at recon. But yeah, that's kind of what I got lined up for the future for the show.
Have you narrowed down like Skype interviews or anything like that? I know you do it tomorrow, and I mean, are you still doing that with
Yeah. Most of these interviews will all be over.
Oh, okay,
none of these guys are local.
Okay. I thought you were saying that he was coming here or something.
No, man, I'm not Joe Rogan. People aren't traveling to come to be on the show. One day, maybe. One day. But no, I do it over the phone just because it's, I mean, you know how it is. Guys are all over the country.
Yeah.
This is a good spot just because there's a lot of military here, but everybody I know that I can personally reach out to, they're all over the country. Also, when I'm going home, I'm going to Indiana for Christmas. Michael Hanthorne, who was on episode 4, he was the Motor T mechanic or Motor T driver that got sent to Fallujah. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. Again, he has a different path, and he went to Fallujah in 2004 during the second battle of Fallujah. He got assigned as mortuary affairs, and him and the other dudes in his platoon cleaned up like 600 dead insurgent bodies during that while like in combat,
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to episode 4. But when I go home to Indiana, I'm going to sit down with him and another one of our friends that also joined the Marines, who was an infantry guy early and came to Iraq in the earlier years. So it'll be cool to talk to them. I'm taking my microphones. I'm flying with them home so that I can have some good audio. But yeah, I wish I could get more people here because with the microphones, it's obviously better. But I'll make do. Let people.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
got to get the stories out there. If anyone has ideas for people that they think would be good to be on, I've had multiple people hit me up and send me like, hey, this person would be great. Completely appreciate it. Keep doing that. However, I don't know them, so I'm probably not going to reach out to them.
Yeah.
I would prefer that you reach out to them and go, hey, listen to this podcast. You should probably be a guest, and let them know that they'll have an opportunity to promote a company, a book, stuff like that. Like I have a guy who sent me a book. I don't know if he's listening, but I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it while I'm home for Christmas and then have him on. I feel bad that I still haven't. I haven't read it yet. I just haven't had time.
You're such a dad. Who reads over Christmas?
Well, I won't be in school.
Sorry.
3 weeks, man. 3 weeks where I'm not in school. I'm going home and picking up 2 rifles. So that's cool. So when I get back, we'll go shooting. Kale's wanting to go coyote hunting. So when I get back, we're going to go out to the desert to some BLM land where we can shoot and dial them in. And these are my uncle's hunting rifles. He passed away and he left them to me. So we're going to take them out, shoot them, get them dialed in, and then he's going to go through his hunter education and stuff like that, and then go do some predator hunting, maybe move on to like deer or something.
There you go.
See, he's a fresh teenager, 13. Got to get him outside, get him away from the Fortnite a little bit.
You've been watching Meat Eater, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great show. I showed it to him. I'm like, hey, dude, watch this show.
It's Mini Kale.
Because he plays Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
And you can hunt on there. And when you do, they collect the pelts because they sell them. And it shows them like cleaning the animal. Like when
really?
you kill it, like it's obviously, game like. But it's like he cuts down it and like peels the fucking fur off of it. You see it. It's like, oh, shit.
That's intense.
So I was like, hey, bud, like you think that's cool? Like him and his buddies like want to go hunt and they think it's cool. Like he wants a compound bow for Christmas. Which he'll probably get. I'll probably get him one.
Santa will get him one.
Yeah, right, Santa. Well, he's 13. I hope he's not still thinking Santa's real.
Wait, time out real quick. Are you still is Santa still real to a 13-year-old? I don't remember.
No.
Man, how old was I when I found out Santa wasn't real?
5th grade, 4th grade?
You writing Santa on stuff? Like my mom to this day writes from Santa when she sends me stuff. I'm always like, Tracy, you and Santa have the exact same handwriting. Did you know
that? No, I think... yeah, we still write Santa on stuff. I know his mom does for sure. So, what are you going to do?
Just making sure.
But, yeah, so we're going to come back and do some hunting. And, what I was getting at was, I let him watch Meat Eater too, and he thinks it's super cool, and he got his buddy to start watching it. And I was like...
That's a cool show, man.
I was like... I told him, I'm like, look at what they're doing. I'm like, that's not easy. Like, they're out fucking humping it, man. They're like up and down the hills.
I saw one where they were in Alaska and it looked tough.
It's like, oh, cool, I killed an elk. Now I got to carry a couple 100 pounds of meat back. Like,
that's a lot of weight, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they get it flown out. What they do is once they kill them, they pack it out and then they bring it up to a spot where it gets picked up by helicopter, flown out, so they don't have to carry it all directly out of there.
They carry it back to their campsite, which is a couple miles.
And then it gets held. So I don't think that... So like I watched one where they killed a moose. Giant ass fucking moose.
Yeah, I remember that.
And in my head, I'm like, there is no way they can carry... Because there's only 3 of them. There's no way. That moose is like 600 pounds. But granted, that's not all of meat. But I think I remember him talking about... He's like, yeah, we grabbed what we could. We can get it up top and have it flown. He was talking about how it gets flown out.
Is that on Netflix?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one on Netflix.
It was like him, an older guy... and his buddy. I think it's his brother is who it is, but the older guy is like his stepdad or something like that. It's not his real dad, I don't think he was saying.
Huh. I remember one where they used the little boats to like bring the meat out.
I haven't seen them all.
It's cool. Like he likes it, and I'm all about him being outdoors and stuff.
It's tough out here, except for he's got the beach, but especially with him being a military kid.
Dude. No, it's not. You go inland a little bit. It's all mountains and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's tough out here for him. He doesn't have like that growing up group of friends where it's like
his the family back home is like, oh, he's a city kid.
Yeah,
I'm from Indiana. Like I'm not from I didn't live on a farm or anything. I remember when I came into boot camp, my first night of boot camp, this kid was like one of the Marines that was like a supply guy that was giving us our shit. Was like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Indiana, or he's like, you some kind of country boy or something? I'm like, I'm from Indiana. He's like, figured. I was like, I'm not from the country. I lived in town. He's like, if you say you lived in town, that means you're from the fucking country.
Yes,
and I'm
dude.
like, okay, I can see that.
That's wild.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just more like we were talking about the other day. Back home, like if I saw somebody and his kid like walking out and they're like camouflaged with shotguns and something, you'd be like, oh, they're about to go pheasant hunting or they're about to go dove hunting or deer hunting or whatever. Out here, people are going to call the cops on you and like be like,
he's got a gun.
I got the cops calling me for walking down the street with a BB gun, with literally a Red Ryder BB gun with my kid to go shoot a plastic Starbucks cup.
So I wouldn't, if I was to see that, one, I'm like smart enough to be like, yeah, but they're probably going to go shoot something. But two, I would probably just watch for a bit because that is weird. That is weird to see in San Diego someone walking on the street with a gun.
You got to think though, for these people, for people that have never been exposed to guns and stuff like that, they probably didn't know it was a BB gun.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like, the normal person's gonna be like, that guy has what looks to be a rifle, a hunting rifle, and a child with a gun. They're probably like, oh shit. But anybody who's not a fucking idiot is like, let's put two and two together real quick.
Like that's a BB gun.
This looks like
sure.
It probably might be a BB gun. They're probably gonna go shoot some cans or something. He's with this kid, but just the other fucking day, just the other day, this lady cut me off super hard in my car. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she had a handicap license plate. And I'm like, what the fuck? She rolled through a stop sign, almost hit me. And then she goes to take
bike or
I was in my car. She goes to take a right, and she doesn't turn signal and everything, and slams on her brakes and does this weird shit. And I honk my horn once and go around her, and she almost smashes into the back of me. And now she's like aggressively coming behind me,
your ass.
trying to like ram her. I swear to God, like trying to ram her car. I get out of the car and I have like tattoos on my arms and shit, right? I probably look like a fucking felon.
Scary.
And I have a tank top on because I'm going to the gym. And it's this old lady. And I get out of the car and I don't even know what she looked like. I had no clue. But I'm like, what the fuck is... And she immediately goes, I'm calling 911. She's on the phone calling 911. I have a call. She's reading off my license plate to 911 because she thinks...
Oh my God.
And I'm like, lady, and I'm so confused. I'm like, you're calling the cops. What are you going to tell them? That you almost hit me? That you almost...
I rode his ass.
You know what I'm like, what is your end game here? And she's like screaming on the phone. He's got brown hair. He's 5. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I just got, and that's that's what the typical immediately to the phone, to the videotape, she acted like she was like videotaping me as she's on the phone. You know, so it's like
maybe she was videotaping.
That's people's immediate response to something that they don't know what the
fuck's going on. Maybe you're going viral on YouTube right now and you don't even know it.
Wouldn't that be fucking sick, dude? Because I came in hot. I came out of the car quick. Because, of course, they'd only show a clip of me walking up to the car yelling at an old lady. They wouldn't show...
Have you ever seen that clip on Pendleton where that dude is screaming?
Yes.
You knew exactly what I was talking about.
That's like 2004 era.
That's old.
People talk about that. I guess that guy had just got off a deployment. He was a grunt. He was like a psycho. And he was... That's right by the PX.
The window
that's right by the PX. I guess the guy cut him off for some shit. And he got out of the car and just lost it.
Yeah. That's an insane...
He's like, get out of the fucking car!
I'm going to find that and post it.
That's a good video. That's right. It
comes up every few years, and people are like, "Oh my god!" And then all the old dudes are like, "That's been around a while."
Yeah.
But if you've seen it,
that guy
know the video.
You could tell he's just gone crazy. He's just like lost it. He's just seeing red.
Yeah, 100%.
Get the fuck out of the car. Yeah, put that shit up.
Dude.
That's a good video.
There is something crazy about some of the like aggressive drivers out here in California. Like if I remember the other day I was driving home. And I'm just cruising, and I don't know if this car cut off this other car or what, but this car, like, I think he cut him off, and then he started, like, you know, kind of weaving through traffic. The other car immediately, aggressively weaving behind him, cutting other people off to make sure he can ride his ass as long as he can.
Yeah, I've done that before.
And I'm like, dude, you are fucking, like... That is sketchy, like making close cuts in front of people just to stay behind him and shit, like driving like a fucking psycho.
What gets me going is when someone's in the left lane going slow.
Oh my God.
Gets me going. I'll ride their ass so hard and then I'll whip it around them and cut right in front of them and slam on the brakes because I'm like, fuck you. You are the reason that there's traffic.
That's kind of a douchebag move.
Fuck that. Those people are the reason that there is traffic, and those are the people who bitch about traffic.
We were coming back from, I don't know if you were there. We were coming back from Gila Bend one time. We were driving back, and anyone that's driven the 8 and has driven to like Yuma and stuff knows that once you get over the hill and you're coming down towards Yuma, like the cops will get you down there. That's where they get you on the backside of the Golden Nugget. You know, you get over past the Golden Nugget, coming down that hill. That's where they'll get you at. And we were coming from that way. So we were coming from Yuma towards whatever mountain that is. And I remember I'm in the pickup truck and, I've got it. It was me and then like 4 officers in the truck. And bed of the truck is full of our gear. And underneath all of our gear is a bunch of 2.75 inch rocket bodies that we had gotten. We were going to come back and cut down to make into plaques. And I'm like, I was like, why are these all going into my fucking truck? If something happens, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, we're driving down the 8, heading back towards Pendleton, and I'm in the fast lane, and I'm coming up on this other pickup truck who's going fucking slow in the fast lane. So I'm like, God damn it. So I get over, and I'm going around him to get in front of him. Dude gets on it to not let me get around him, and then there's a semi in my lane.
Oh, shit.
I'm having to like hurry up and cut over. So I'm like, fuck this dude, and I just punch it, and I take this rental, get going real fast, and then cut him off and get over because I'm like, you only sped up so I couldn't get in front of you. You were trying to be a douchebag. I'm like, fuck this dude. 5 minutes later, highway patrol pulls me over. Fucking, hey, I got a call. You guys were weaving in and out of traffic and cutting people off. And then right when he said it, the dude drove by honking the horn, flipping me off. And I was like, that's the dude. The cop was like, we were all in frogs. Frogs are it's one of the uniforms that we will wear. For the people that don't know, it's like a flame retardant, like
fire
uniform.
retardant organizational gear. Isn't that what it stands for? Frog?
I don't remember.
Fire retardant organizational.
We'll go
gear.
with that. But yeah, we wear it. One, you wear it if there's to keep you from like burning your skin. If like you get caught in
flame
an IED,
retardant.
Yeah, it's flame retardant stuff.
Doesn't
but we'll also
to you.
wear it out in the desert because it's a lot lighter than our normal uniforms. Anyway, so he knew when he walked up, he saw all the gear in the back of the truck. Luckily, all the rockets. The rockets and the few bombs that we had back there were covered. And when I say bombs, I mean these are practice bombs with no ordnance in it at all. But he walks up, he's like, "Oh, Bill, you guys, what branch?" And I was like, "Marines." And then there was a Navy guy, was like, "Navy." And he's like, "You gotta fucking slow it down, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "That's it, dude." And I explained it to him, and he got it, but he's like, "Hey, people beyond this spot are not gonna be nice. He's like, they're gonna fucking give you a ticket." And I'm
what
like,
a cool dude.
It. Yeah, he was super cool. But that other dude, man, fuck him.
My brother told me he got pulled over once, and he has military. He has a Marine license plate, like the veteran license plate.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Yeah, you're speeding, blah blah. He's good in the military." And the cop ended up being a Marine as well.
Oh, really?
And they're like bullshitting, and the cop comes up and gives him a ticket, and he's like, "Semper Fi."
What?
And Justin was like, "What the fuck, man?"
Oh man,
what kind of shit is that? That dude was probably an MP when he was in. Absolutely.
I mean, if you earned the ticket and it's something like
I think he was speeding.
Was it something stupid? I mean, speeding,
no, I think he was like doing like 10 over, 15 over.
See,
like
stupid,
he was just cruising in the left lane and got pulled over.
That's stupid. But.
That's why I love it out here. Out here, I've been doing 75 on the highway with my cruise control on, and a cop goes past me.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that cop is cruising at 80 miles an hour.
I think we talked about it last time. I'm like, you have to be an actual asshole to kind of,
yeah.
for the most part, or unlucky, because one, you very rarely see cops on the freeway, and two, you very rarely see them pull anybody over.
Yeah, it's almost it's like punishment by or not punishment. It's like by the masses. As long as everybody on the highway is doing 80, they can't pull all of us over.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that that's just what it's come down to out here. Is like as long as you can just like kind of get in the my car. I had to put a front license plate on it. Because I had that new bumper put on,
yeah,
and it looks fucking retarded. Because it has to, because there's no spot for it, so I had to get the thing for the tow hitch license plate. It looks stupid as shit, but I'm like, I just want to blend in as much as possible to the regular. I don't want to give a cop a reason to pull me over because the window's already tinted 5%, and I'm like, if I got 5% tint and I got no front license plate, that gives them a pretty good reason.
I don't know how you get around with 5% tint.
It's fucking in this rain at night, very difficult. Very much regret.
Is your windshield tinted?
No. But making turns is fucking difficult at night.
Yeah,
I always, if I ever come to an intersection anywhere suspicious,
roll the window down to see.
I roll both my windows down, even if it's like shitty weather out. Because I'm like, I'm not going to
Why do you keep getting 5% tint, though?
I don't know. It looks cool.
I'm going to get the front windows on my Jeep tinted, but not that deep.
They offered 10. I think they're like, hey, maybe do 10%. But I'm like, dude, just give me 5.
Give me that limo.
Because it looks really good. But it's fucking hard to drive.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go less than 20.
Even I was going to get when I had my Buick when I was in Illinois, because that's where I bought it when it was 2013, the first car I had, they wouldn't even do 5% tint. They're like, no, that's illegal. We can't do it.
Yeah,
you realize how much illegal shit can be done out here. Like the radio shops and shit at home. Like, hey, I want my GPS, my touchscreen to be able to play movies while I drive. Because you're not supposed to be able to, right? Because it has like the tracker on it where if it senses you're moving, it won't let you play a video. And in Illinois, they wouldn't do it, but out here they're like, all right, $20. I think I paid the guy an extra $20 or $30, and he put a
money
switch
talks
in there
out
for
here.
me. Dude, anybody will do anything out here.
I used to be able to get it. Well, not anything. You used to be. That's why I got rid of my Evo. I used to be able to get a hot smog. That's what they, get a hot. What do they call it? A hot cart, or I don't remember what the term we use, but it was basically go pay $350, and they would pass you on the smog test.
Yeah, it's probably hard to do now.
Something in the system changed this year when another law got enacted. And now I couldn't even do that. So that's why I got rid of the car. I don't remember. I know we talked about the car. I don't remember if we talked about why I got rid of it, but it would have cost me thousands upon thousands of dollars of work to get all the stuff. Yeah, to get all the stuff done
and then switch it.
Yeah, and it was just like, so I'm going to pay thousands of dollars to take my car and make it slow. Like how horrible would that be to be in like a neutered car when you're used to it, like being able to be fast and then.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you get like those fix-it tickets and shit. Yeah. You have to even tint, rip the tint off. Then you got to show it. You got to bring it to the station. They sign off on it.
And a state one too.
And then you have to pay to have it taken off.
Yeah,
it sucks, dude. And that's why like my license plate on my bike, I've had it in the same spot for years, tucked underneath, super illegal. But I got caught in Coronado one day, and I had to fucking take it off.
Coronado,
build them out, put it on the side of it, have it, take it to the station. The cop signed off on it. And then to put it back under, I still haven't put it back underneath that because it's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, God fucking damn it, dude. Just let me be.
Coronado, well, I mean, if you're going to get pulled over somewhere for something about your vehicle, Coronado is going to be
dude, there is so many cops in Coronado. We'll go eat there, and you'll sit outside, and within an hour of eating, you'll see 4 or 5 cops drive by.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just it's such a small community, too, that they try to keep people out.
Yes.
That's one of the ways they keep out. Like, they're very aggressive with some of their policing. They were talking about, there was a proposal to make the Coronado Bridge a toll bridge. That you'd have to pay a toll to get onto Coronado Island.
You used to have to pay. That's why those tolls are set up there. When you get over the bridge and go in.
I've never had to pay to go on
No, you like years and years and years ago. That's why when you go on to Coronado, you see all the toll spots.
Yeah.
But they all say closed or whatever above them, and you go to the right. It used to be you have to pay to get into Coronado. And then they shut all that down. If they made that a toll, I don't know how they would. I don't think they could, because
people would still go, but they would definitely lose a lot of.
What do they do with the base there? People who are stationed there.
Well, you would probably get a pass to get on for free. Well, maybe not. It's your choice to live out in town.
That'd be nuts, dude. That would fucking suck. That's how it was in Okinawa. Dudes who would be driving, who'd live out in town, they'd have to pay a toll on that main highway there was there. It was expensive. I remember them always bitching about it. It was like $8 a day or something.
Yeah. And you can't live is there base housing?
No.
So if you were married, you had to live out in town.
Right, but I mean, you could maybe live close, but there was no living areas close. You had to like get on the highway.
How many guys got married over there?
Not
to
many.
Japanese girls.
Not many. Oh, 2 Japanese girls? Still not many.
Really?
In the whole marriage process over there, you'd have to get a translator for the marriage. You'd have to get, because all the documents have to be, because like in Okinawa, when you're out in town, it's not like Americanized. Yeah. It is Americanized like Kintown was, but the rest of the town is very traditional. So like I remember one of the guys who was going to get married there, but he had to get a translator for all the documentation, and then he had to get something else, and then the unit had to sign off on it, and it was like a really big deal, and they didn't do it because it was such a pain in the ass.
Like, fuck it, I don't love you that much.
Dude, literally.
Like, here's the thing, I love you and all.
Well, dudes will go over there and you get 2-year orders, but then all of a sudden if they go home and get married, they either bring their wife, the wife can wait out that extra year, or they can fly their wife out and extend an extra year or 2 years.
Yeah, they made it 3 years.
But then by the time that your wife got flown out, everything was done, you were already almost reaching your 2-year limit mark. So we had a guy do that. He was at like a year and 6 months or 8 months, and his wife finally got out there, and then that's when he had to extend. And I'm like, dude, you could have just waited in an extra 6 months.
And been home. Or at a cool base somewhere else. Like 29 Palms.
That's where my orders was.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to the same unit Jerry was, and that's why I denied him. I'm like, no way. Oh,
when you were getting out?
Yeah, I'm like, no way.
What unit?
Who's he with over there?
Oh, you were... Oh, yeah, you lap moved. You were 08 then. So you would have gone to 11th Marines.
Yeah.
Nice. That would have...
And the unit that they were at, like that Jerry's at, they support the ITX that's going on there.
I got to hit up Jerry again. I told him, I was like, dude, like once you finish your terminal, you should come on the show. And he said he would, so...
That would be fun to do.
That'd be fun. I think all three
him
of us
and I
could
could fuck. Oh man, we could bang some stories.
Yeah. There's some. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's just another. For those that don't know what we're talking about, he's just another guy that was from First Anglico as a. He was a radio operator too. Moved to be a 0861.
He did the same thing I did.
He was as a JFO dude. I sat there and let him. We were in Djibouti, and I was like, hey, because I'd never really done a lot of control work with him. There was that time we were sitting out there. And I was the only JTAC because Archer got pulled back to the ship.
Yeah.
And when he was controlling, I'm like, hey, man, I'll just let you control and do it. And I'll just monitor, Because I think I scored like 60 fucking controls that one day because there was no other JTACs there. But he was fucking good.
He was weirdly good.
He was as good as any JTAC that I knew at the time.
And everybody that we talked to, there was a guy who was in S1 in Anglico that went to the schoolhouse, radio operator schoolhouse with Jerry. They're like, he has been this way since the day he came in the Marine Corps. He has literally been the best at everything he does his entire time.
Yeah, he's very focused. He's all about it. He's professional about a lot of that stuff.
He's super smart, and he's so calm.
Yeah.
He did a combined sequential or whatever it was one time, and it was the most like nonchalant, like, okay. And I'm over there like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if you've never done it or you've never seen it.
But he's not a JTAC. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're better. You did that 10 times better than any captain out here would have done it.
Yeah.
And
that's what happens.
And that's why Archer just let him do his thing. He's like, dude, you got it.
That's
why when we got Sancho, Archer was so fucking mad.
Life is so much better in the military when you're like that because if you are good enough or everyone is like, okay, this dude's legit. He knows what he's doing.
You get away with so much more.
And you're in a leadership position, they're way more apt to let you go do the stuff that you want to do. And I mean like training-wise. Like, I want to do this cool training and here's my justification. They're like, fuck it, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. A guy like that, when you're really, like I said, when you're really good, it just makes everything so much better. It makes it so much easier.
And that's what I learned so fast. I'm like, if you're really good and the sergeant or staff sergeant that's telling you what to do isn't as good as you, they're not really much. I mean, they can discipline you, but in the end, you know more than them. And once they know it, like, I mean, as a Lance Corporal, I knew more than my corporals and my sergeants as a radio operator.
That's kind of the
if you put yourself at a high pedestal, they now have to be above you. They have to be better than you.
Unfortunately, that's the problem. You get into a vicious cycle there sometimes where someone's not very good at what they do, but they've played it off. Like everyone, they've made everyone think that they're good, but they've never actually performed in front of anybody. And then suddenly they get put into positions where they're in charge of people, like you're saying. And what happens is somebody, instead of asking a fucking question about how do I do this when they're like a corporal or a sergeant or whatever, they just pretend and just let it roll because they don't want to be the guy that asks a question. And now they're a staff NCO or something, and that same question comes back up, and everyone looks at them because they're supposed to know. And it's like, you don't know anything. You find out like these dudes don't know anything.
When I had first gotten Anglico, it was very, hey, this Lance Corporal knows more than you. I know that you're a corporal, but until you can figure it out, you're going to, you're still his corporal, but you're going to listen to what he tells you to do when it comes to the job. And that was super cool because there was like Lance Corporals and Corporals that would be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, all right, sick. Obviously, I can take a...
Because you were catching, when you got there, you were catching dudes coming off deployment.
Yeah, when I got there, it was fucking nuts, man. Everybody was this hardcore dude.
Yeah.
And then I watched that slowly cycle out to where it was like not many people there that were left knew what the fuck was going on.
That's kind of well, it's not that. The problem is the entire Marine Corps is that the wars are ending and less people were deploying. And your dudes that had like real world experience. And this goes back to what we were talking about before about the 19-year-olds not taking a class seriously or they're thinking about other shit when they're supposed to be learning. It's hard for you to explain to someone the seriousness of the job. And it's hard for it to be conveyed. Like, I don't know.
Like he means it, like he knows what he's talking about.
Like this dude's been there. Like if like this dude's been there, he's been shot at, he's seen dudes get killed. Like if Damaro was to be like, hey, this is why you should be doing this, and people know his background, they'd be like, okay, I'm going to listen to that dude because he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Now, like I said before, you're looking at a guy and you're like, you haven't deployed, I haven't deployed. Why the fuck do you think you know more than me? And they do. They probably do because they've been in longer. But the mentality is like, you don't fucking know anything.
And that's where when I lat moved, I had never gone to combat. And I was a sergeant in a fresh new MOS, which Anglico, I still knew the MOS because as a radio operator, I still had to do it anyway. But I was nowhere where I should have been as a sergeant. So it's like, fuck, man, I'm telling this dude what to do, but I just went to the schoolhouse with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, fuck. And that's where it was on me. I'm like, I have to pick up the books and like.
I came from Motor T to artillery.
Yeah.
I was there for a couple months, and then my fire support officer, I hadn't even gone to MOS school yet. My fire support officer was gone for some school, so some training. He was gone. And then excuse me. Or no, he was there. My gunny was going to some school. That's what it was. He got pulled to go, I think he had to go to PME. And I was a senior guy in the shop, and I still hadn't even gone to MOS school yet. So they're like, Kramer, you've been OJTing for about 6 months. You're gonna be the fires chief for this field op. I'm the one like approving fire missions and shit.
Oh shit.
Dude, the major gets sent away to go to some meeting with the battalion commander, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, dude, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, talking about like, oh shit, and thank God, because exactly what you're saying happened. I walked outside, and one of the sergeants was out there, and he was talking to one of the corporals, and they were debating on what was correct on one of these call for fires, on how it was supposed to be done. And they're like, Sergeant Kramer, like, you're the fire chief right now. What is the correct way? And I'm like, let me go pull out the pub and we'll find out. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, and I felt like, I was like, I am
Doesn't
so
it a
outside of my
shitty feeling?
Dude. And my buddy, Eric Wilson, I've been messaging him on Facebook to come on the show. He came out because they were doing their workup for their deployment. And he came out, and I'm like, dude, thank God you're here. Because he was doing a workup as a fire chief. I'm like, you need to help me out because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, the major's gone, Gunny's gone.
Yeah.
There's like 2 fire missions.
I'm trying to figure out where the fucking rounds are going to land.
Yeah, I mean, because I just didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And I came from a completely different world, and I don't know, man. But he came out there, and he kind of helped me out and saved the day a little bit.
Thank God.
Because he could teach me. I was in over my head, and I should have said something about it. But
that's where it's like, okay, do I fake it till I make it, or do I?
It gets dangerous with something like that. That's when I was like, I need someone to help me out because this is live rounds, fucking shooting down range.
But imagine you just being an incompetent sergeant. And then being like, all right, figure it out. And then you just being like, fuck it, I'm just going to try to figure it out.
There's nothing worse than a guy that keeps getting like promoted. And you're like, how the fuck is this guy getting promoted? Or guys, you see like their fitness reports and they're like glowing remarks about this. Like, he's a very good sergeant within the unit and blah, blah. Like, they don't give him like he's a hero, but they still like, very rarely do people say bad stuff about people inside their like,
bubble
performance reviews. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, well, the velvet daggers. It's like, no, dude, you should be like, this dude is incompetent in these areas. Like, you know, if you're incompetent, especially in combat arms, there's no leeway. There's no room to be fucking around when you're shooting, you know, 100-pound artillery shells downrange. Having the very first time I was out on the OP, having that 155 round land 50 meters from me was like, oh shit, like this can get fucked up really quick, you know? And having multiple times where we almost got hit by our own stuff, like, I don't know, it shows you the seriousness of the job. And I always try to convey that. And it's hard for guys that have never been there or been in a situation where it was like a fucking serious moment to like convey the seriousness. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even in combat. When I was at Fort Bragg in 2010, I think it was 2010 or early 2011, we had one of our RD pieces blow up.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, they loaded the round. When they loaded the round, it fucking exploded. And like, oh, dude, it was a mass cas. We had like, I think we ended up medevacing like 6 or 8 people. Like that whole gun crew. The corpsman in the position was on that gun, standing behind the breech when they loaded it. He was standing there watching them. And when the two guys rammed it in, what happened is they think the fuse had already, you know how like a 203 or grenade round, it has to spin a certain amount of times and the fuse releases. This one was a defective fuse and it was already set. So when they rammed it in, it blew up. That pressure of it ramming in blew up, and the corpsman was standing behind it. And the breech, it sheared the breech off, the metal thing that closes in behind the round.
Fuck.
Blew that off. It blew the tube like 300 meters that way. It broke the I think it broke the corpsman's like, and Myers was actually in the gun pause. I'm pretty sure the guy I was talking about, that's an HR guy. So he'll be able to tell more about this, I'm pretty sure, but broke his femur and severed his femoral artery. And like, dude, it was a whole thing. So guys, the point I'm getting at is those guys, when they talk about lessons learned medical wise, like medical training, they can go, okay,
Yeah.
This is why this is important when we do CLS or Combat Lifesaver. This is why it's important to fucking know where to put a tourniquet. They didn't have tourniquets and stuff. They were trying to use McMath belts to stop the bleeding until the battalion medical officer just happened to be like, they just happened to have the battalion CP set up not too far from them, which never happens. And the battalion medical officer, I think, happened to be coming back from something in a Humvee and was basically, boom, it blew up. And he's like, turn. And like,
oh, shit.
It drove right up to him, hopped out, put a tourniquet on the guy, saved him.
That's fucking crazy.
But what I'm like I was saying before, what I'm getting at is that
it's so much easier to be able to be a teacher with those experiences.
Yeah, you can be like, this is what happened. This is why this is important. I know you don't want to put a fucking tourniquet on a guy's leg for the 50th time, but you're going to fucking do it. Because when an artillery piece explodes in your face, that you weren't like, this is all of a sudden out of nothing. You know, you're in training at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. You're not expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
Boom. How are you going to react? And if that's not the time to be like, fuck, did I train these guys? Did they do enough reps to be able to do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's why a lot of times, even like, I think Jerry was the one who ran that, where you'd have to have a tourniquet on you at all times, and then he would just be like, "Oh, your arm's blown off," and you have to go through the process of it.
Yeah.
And that's him in his mentality being like, "Okay, I know if you don't know how to do it when it doesn't happen, you're not going to know what to do when it really does happen."
Certain areas like Sangin, when we were in Sangin, we had to have 2 tourniquets, one on each side of our body, usually one in one arm, one in. How I rolled is I had one in each arm, each of my arm pockets. For those that don't know, there's like a pocket on the shoulder sleeve or shoulder portion of the sleeve. So I put a tourniquet on each side of there, and then there's an ankle pocket on the frogs. And a lot of us had a tourniquet on each one of those too, because if you're going to get blown up, you didn't know which leg's going to get blown off. So if if you put a tourniquet that way, and with the tourniquet too, the tab is hanging out, so you can see the red tab. So if you got blown up and you lost your leg, whoever's coming to treat you, or if you're going to treat yourself, you could see, right, there's my tourniquet. Pull it out, do the tourniquet drill.
Jerry used to get all butthurt about that. He's like, don't put it in your leg, because if you get blown up, your leg is going to get blown up. He's like, keep it central to your chest. He was a fucking psycho. Can you have him on this show, please?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get him on. But tourniquets, man. We'd carry 4 on us in our pockets, and then 2 in our
Those things are always so hard to get a hold of, though. It's the weirdest thing ever. Even like on the 11th MEU, our supply didn't want to give us medical equipment, and then the MEU didn't want to give us medical equipment. Yeah. So it was like weeks before we deployed, nobody was going to give us medical equipment. I'm like, how is this sat? How is this going to... We ended up having...
Well, they got to a point where they stopped even giving guys IFACs, the individual first aid kits, with anything in them. They would just be an empty pouch.
That's what mine
was. Well, part of it was because guys were getting them, and then they'd have them for 2 years, and they'd never deploy, or by the time they deployed, some of the items in it had expired. So it was never used. So I think they stopped giving them out because there was just so much medical stuff getting thrown away. Because they have to get rid of this shit, because it's always inspected by the corpsman before you deploy.
Yeah, but what do you do about for training? Huh? I mean, for training, then what are you supposed to use?
Well, a lot of times that's the stuff they'll keep back and use it as training stuff.
We just had our salt. Like, we would all just grab one shit when we could, and we had like a bucket of like training.
Yeah.
Because all like the tourniquets, after you like spin it once, you're not supposed to spin it again.
The corpsmen over at Anglico were all pretty good about. Well, I won't say I didn't have there weren't any bad. There was definitely 1 or 2.
We've had a bad one.
There was definitely 1 or 2 I didn't approve of, but what are you going to do? But for the most part, all the ones on the teams that I saw were pretty good. They were all knowledgeable. They all took it seriously. They all got advanced training, which was cool,
So we had that doc. Did you ever hear the doc that we were supposed to get, but then they denied him? They like blacklisted him from Anglico, basically. So we were with the
Asian dude?
No, we were with the Brits, and we were doing some training with the Brits, and we had been grappling the Brits all day. All fucking day.
I know who you're talking about.
For hours.
This is during Burmese Chase.
Right? Yeah. And then, so we're like dead, and it's like, there's like 6 of us, and there's like 15 Brits we have to keep cycling through.
Yeah.
And then these dudes show up, these midshipman dudes, who are like, how do you explain a midshipman? Like a Navy
The midshipmen
college?
The midshipmen are the guys that are going to the Naval Academy. So you get in the summertime, midshipmen and like West Point, and those they send the students, because they're not actual officers yet. They send them out to get some experience in different jobs. So they'll send them to like Anglico to let them do some cool stuff, to be like, hey, you should, because midshipmen can go in the Navy or the Marines.
Yeah.
So they got to choose like which one they want to do, and then they got to go from there. But
so we had these midshipmen guys show up who 3/4 of them were on the wrestling team. Like these yoked ass giant fucking dudes. And everyone who thinks that Marines are all, big and dude, that's not true. We just do like functional fitness shit, right? For the most part. Yeah. These dudes are like literal wrestlers in college.
Yeah.
And they beat the fuck out of us. And this doc that was with us from whatever company he was from, like, fapped out to us.
Came in from MHG.
Videotaped it and put it on Mentalton.
No way.
And was like, yo, these Angloco pussies, or something along the lines of like,
haha, look at these losers.
Yeah, like, oh, when everybody thinks the Marines can beat up the Navy or something like that.
I think I remember seeing that, actually.
And it was like, yo, dude. And this guy was trying to come on our deployment. He was like trying to get an Angloco. He wanted to, like, he was being cool with us. But we were like, fuck you.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, fuck you, dude. You just made, because everybody on the internet was like, oh, yeah, fuck these pussies. And
I heard about that.
So they were like, nope, you're not coming over. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I have a group photo of us all. I don't know, you probably were there. We're all on the range. And I was like, hey, everyone get over here. We're going to take a big group photo with the Brits. And I was like, we need someone to take the picture. And they're like, that Doc was out there. And I was like, Doc, you're going to take the photo. And he's like, I wanted to be in the photo. I was like, it's for Angloco Marines only. And I fucking handed him my phone. And he was pissed. He cut off like two of the people on the side because he was like, fuck them. Like,
what a bitch.
He took like a shitty photo. I was like, fuck you, man.
We had a midshipment, 2 females. Remember we were in Africa, in Djibouti. We had the midshipment, or it was a female and a male that came out.
They weren't midshipmen.
Or sorry, yeah, right. They were in the Navy. They were officers in the Navy, right?
They were SACs.
Yeah, and that's when we were, like, Lane was in trouble, so we were fucking with him real bad, and Knutson. Remember Knutson kept kicking over the fucking rifle?
They were out on the OP with blue camis on, with those stupid Navy blue camis.
Yes.
Neither one of them, they had both been, like, naval gunfire officers on a destroyer. They had both done destroyer tours doing that, and they were on the LHD, the big deck. It's like a mini aircraft carrier for those that don't know it. They were on that to do their SWO stuff, their surface warfare officer stuff, but they were also worked with us for the fire support side. And they were like, hey, we offered them, because everybody wants to get off ship. They were like, hey, you go ashore with the Angloco guys and watch them do some call for fire and do some close air support. And they were like, hell yeah. And then
that was the height of us just fucking with them. So that was when, like,
he forgot his fucking around. I remember you guys were chewing out one of them bad, and they were both like
in the midst. Yeah, those two.
They were both just kind of like looking off, like real slowly, like this.
They were
is
like
super
these
awkward.
fucking animals.
We
these
were just
absolute. We hadn't showered in days. We were like, fuck this.
Like, this is how it really rolls. This is what it's like off ship.
Yeah,
or what it's like off ship. Yeah.
You sure you want to come over? No, that's for the midshipman, but. Yeah, I remember the female that was there. She was like shook at the shit we were saying to Nutter. Like, she was like, "This isn't real. Like, there's no way you guys really do this."
Yeah, she's cool. She was cool.
Was she? I don't remember.
No, yeah, she was super cool. I went to a couple schools with her.
Oh, did you?
She's married to a Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
He was going through BUDS while we were doing our workup.
That's nutty, dude.
What, BUDS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when I lap moved, we were in Coronado, and right in front of our squad bays where they'd like in the mornings. And I just remember watching them like 4 a.m. This dude he's trying to eat, and they have the boat above them. They're all holding up the boat. No, this is outside the chow hall. We had just gotten down. They would line up in front of our thing, but they would always get yelled at in the mornings. And then they're at the chow hall, and they're all carrying the boat. They're holding up the boat, but this dude's got a hose and on like shower mode in this guy's face while the guy's holding up the boat and he's trying to eat. So all of his food is all fucked up because it's constantly being fucked up in water. And that's how he had. Yeah, dude, they would be running at all fucking times.
Yeah, everywhere they went, it was like a weird half jog, half walk kind of.
My brother-in-law said when it's like the pig, you're a pig, and then you're a hog. Once you're a hunter of gunmen. Yeah. I can't remember what pig is, but he said that you weren't allowed to.
Pig is professionally instructed gunman.
Yeah, you couldn't walk anywhere. You had to run everywhere you went. Like, there was
they
no
gotta earn
walking.
Their keep, man. And I will say this though. I will say, you do see the Navy SEALs out there or the guys going through BUDS and stuff getting murdered, man. I remember watching them carry the bell. They were all with their boats and stuff. And I remember 4 of them with the bell. And we were doing a beach run. We were running from our side of the island to the other side, and we ran all the way down past the Hotel del Coronado to the very end and back. And obviously, at the very end of the run, dudes are starting to fall out. And as we're running by, there's a couple dudes were falling out. And as we're running by these dudes going through BUDS, like the BUDS instructor turned around, he's like, You're not supposed to fall out. You're fucking Marines. What the fuck is your problem? Starts yelling at the dude falling out of the run there. And I'm like, this is insane. But
God, I would be butthurt as fuck if I was leading that run. And I'm like, and even more butthurt if I was me falling out.
Oh, man. And then, but what I'm getting at, though, is that Recon goes through their training there, too. Their amphibious phase is at Coronado. And, dude, that looked just as bad as what I saw the dudes going through Bud's doing. I'm watching these dudes, and like I said, I'm hoping to have one of these guys come on and he can talk about it. But I remember, the athletic field at the end, the PT field that was at the end of the island, or at that side. I remember watching the Recon guys go through, take their boat, carry it, and they would run around the field on that road. So that's over a quarter mile for that circle, right? Because it was a massive softball field with a road around it. It wasn't a softball field. It was something. And they would run around that field, and when they would get to the side with the water, they wouldn't turn. They'd go straight into the water. They'd drop the boats, and they had to paddle like 500 meters out and then paddle across and paddle back, get back on shore, pick the boat up, and then and that was the lap. You'd run a lap around the field and then hit the water and do the lap out there around probably a cone or something out in or a buoy out in the water. But I just remember seeing that, and I'm thinking, like, terrible. Man, our PT is shit compared to that.
Dude,
like, they're getting murdered over there.
I watched on National Geographic or whatever it was that basically like the hardest boot camps. It goes through like all of them, and it was like PJs was like looked to be the hardest.
It's like it's a 2-year process. It's like a 2-year pipeline.
That's fucking crazy. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's a different breed of human. That's just like you have to be the top of the top of the top to make it through that, because that's not just mental. Like boot camp for us is like, it's basically mental. There's physical, but like, it's really not that hard physically. I mean, you got to do a lot of hike, but that like PJs,
it's definitely the mental game.
It is like, fuck, man. They are just getting physically fucked.
They go through everything too.
The thing about boot camp for us is you got 8 hours of sleep a night, or 6 or 8, whatever it was.
But you're looking at two different things. If you were going to compare that, you shouldn't be comparing it to boot camp. You should be comparing it to MARSOC, to ANS, and then the what do they call it? The CTQ or CTC.
From can you go straight into being a PJ? How do you get into being a PJ?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can enlist for that.
Yeah, but that's your boot camp. Do you have to? Oh, you still have to go through the boot camp.
You still have to go through boot. It's like
if
you're going to go be a Navy SEAL, you got to go through boot camp.
Yeah,
then you go to BUD/S.
Yeah.
So you're comparing our boot camp to like.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, even like the recon dudes, like BRC, that shit looks terrible. No wonder.
Oh yeah, dude,
and everyone is always talking shit about them, and like, but they have that brotherhood that I feel like the whole Marine Corps should have. The way recon operates, as far as how they're like all about them, they are like, they don't try to fuck each other over. They're always like, you see a group of recon guys, and you're like, those dudes are tight. That's how I look at the Marine Corps before coming in. That's what I thought the whole Marine Corps was.
A lot of units are like that, though. I had a really tight section when I was with 210.
Yeah,
that was probably the closest. That was probably the closest group of guys I ever worked with. Was the guys I worked with at 210.
But you never see. I've never really seen recon where it's like those guys don't like each other. You know, like I don't know. I just feel like it's the whole recon community. They're all on the same level of like, we're better than you guys.
Know what? Well, yeah, they all like. Well, I hate him, but we all hate you guys. Yeah, that's definitely like, we hate each other, but we hate you more kind of mentality. But they handle a lot of stuff differently, man. I've seen guys like argue before, and then to be like, you want to fucking go, or someone to be like, fucking take him down or something like that, and they'll just bust out a quick fucking grappling session until one of them taps and they get up, fucking shake hands and hug it out, like for real. I'm like, dude, that's legit.
And that's what I thought.
That's the way to handle a fucking
That's
argument.
what I thought the Marine Corps was before I came in. I mean, in some sections are like,
some sections are, it's, you know what it is? It's a group of people that have gone through such a shitty, like, shared misery.
Yeah.
You see the same kind of camaraderie with guys that have been into like really shitty combat with each other. You know, those are the same kind of guys. You're like, the reason guys, I don't think guys, I mean, who gives recon shit? The thing that people give recon shit about is
tomorrow.
It's like the newer guys that would be on ship. You'd see these guys walk around on ship like they're a big dick fucking. They're a corporal and he's got dual cool. He's got his jump wings and his dive bubbles. But then, time to man the rails. Put your chucks on. Oh, hey there, guy that hasn't done anything.
That
like,
is true.
That's cool. You went to BRC and mad respect. Like, I've never done that. But it's like, dude, come on, man. I feel bad for them because they go through so much shit. They get all the training that all these SOCOM units get, but they don't get to do any of the fucking missions.
Demaro used to call them like souped up Lamborghinis that have never seen the track. It's like, yeah, they got all this super sick training and shit.
That's true for some of them. That's true for some of them. But
I wouldn't say all of them. Obviously not all of them, but like for the majority of the dudes who are like the douchebag recon guys.
Again, this is just like every other unit. The wars are ending. Anglico used to go attached to like SEAL teams and Green Berets. Like when they were in Iraq and stuff, there's photos in the bar at the unit bar of guys that are overseas with like these SOCOM dudes doing wicked stuff. And then now the wars are dwindling down and there's less of those cool missions. So now they're doing like not regular. I mean, none of it's regular, but I don't know. The thing with the recon guys is like they did battalion. They were doing battalion deployments to Afghanistan. Like I said, my buddy was up in Sangin. I actually knew on my first MU, probably one of the best Marines I've ever met was a recon guy. Didn't even know for like 4 months. I knew this guy for months, and then I found out he got a Silver Star.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't even know. Never mentioned it. Never brought it up.
That's cool.
This dude was super cool. And then, you didn't know? And I'm like reading the citation. I'm like, what the fuck?
I feel the same way about like EOD guys.
But, well, real quick, those guys, so what they're doing is guys are like living on the legacy of those that came before them, which they should.
The entire Marine Corps is, though.
Because that's the esprit of like the unit. That's how you have pride in your unit. But some guys don't know how to fucking throttle their like shit talking when they've never actually done something. Like living on the legacy of your unit only goes so far. That's cool that, there were long-range reconnaissance patrols in Vietnam. There were, like, crazy-ass fucking reconnaissance patrols in Iraq and Afghanistan and these direct action missions or these, other missions that they've done. But if you didn't do that shit, then shut the fuck up.
That's how the entire Marine Corps is, though.
Yeah.
We're, like, living on the coattails of, like, the old school
Everyone
Marine
blows
Corps.
their own service up. So my take is I love the recon guys. And Damaro is disgruntled with recon because he had to live with them.
Yeah.
So it was a recon birthing with like 6 Anglico guys in it.
Yeah. Well, and he had homeboy in there that would
stir shit up.
Yeah.
There was a dude in there that would stir shit up too. So that's why he kind of had a shitty taste in his mouth with them. But like I told my guys on my ship, like we got along with them fine.
We got along with them great too.
I just told my guys, I'm like, hey, look, man, they have their job because everyone would give a shit. They'd give a shit about being Anglico. We'd give them shit, whatever. I'm like, they have their job. We have our job. Don't try to be fucking cool guy, whatever, especially the guys that got attached to recon to go support them. Like, you're not recon, dude. Like, don't try to be. You're a fire support guy. Like, be the best fire support dude. Like if I send you to recon to go work with them and then I find out you shucked your fire support duties because you think you're some kind of fucking shooter, then I'm pulling you back because that's not your role and that's their role. Just like I wouldn't be like, hey, random recon guy, come here. You got... Bone checking in along with Hog checking in right now. Fucking destroy that building. That's not his job. That's my job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. We had a pretty good mutual respect. I would teach our recon guys classes. They would sit in on some of our classes, our fire support classes, because everybody should know that stuff. But, yeah, man, people just got to, 1, stay in their lane, and 2, like, everyone wants to be the coolest guy in the room. Is what it always seems like. Look at anytime uniform of the day is like Chucks or Bravos or something. What's the first thing everybody does?
Yeah,
you see them. It's like you're a girl. Everyone's looking at your tit. Because the first thing everyone does is look at what ribbons you got.
Yeah,
it's an immediate like, okay, he's cool. He's done.
The recon guys we deployed with too were super cool. They're real. Like we would get like they'd ask for, hey, do you got this or this? And I always have like a bag full of like miscellaneous gear for comm and shit like that.
Yeah.
All the adapters that nobody ever had and shit I always collected because I'm like, I need this for my team. But when they would come over and be like, hey, you can have this, they ended up giving me like Peltors, a bunch of cool stuff, and we were all always super cool because none of us, we always did, we loved to wear multicam and dress cool and shit, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not. Same thing happened with the captain I was talking about when we were in 29 Palms in Camp Wilson. 1-4 asked for if they can get a class on close quarter combat, the QC, what is it? CQB, yeah. Because we had just gone to
Raid Leaders course. But I'm like, I am no close quarters combat. I can't instruct this. Yeah.
I literally just got taught this.
Yeah.
And like, I know the gist of it if we had to, but I can't, by no means am I an expert at this.
Yeah.
And our captain made us go teach it to the infantry guys.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, these infantry guys know more than we do about this stuff. This is their job.
That's their job, yeah.
This isn't and I tried telling him that, and he's like, nope, we're going to do it. And we stayed up all night practicing it. And me and Billups, we were like, dude, this is so fucking stupid. We were going to look so dumb in front of these people because it's so easily. No, the next morning we went there, but they had already... Some got screwed up with the planning. Where
they were like, fuck Anglico.
Thank God we didn't do it. Because, like...
It's shit like that. You're right. My bad. I kicked your
It's like telling the captain... It's like trying to... Because, they come in... You get these... I told you, they get these roles of captains that come in for 2 years in Anglico, and they're super excited to do all the cool shit they heard about.
There's cool shit over there.
And you're there like the shitty puppy that just keeps getting rolled around in the fucking tide, and then he leaves, and now you've already done all that stupid shit, and now the new one comes in and wants to do that same stupid shit.
Not stupid. It's fun.
It's super fun, but some of it's so unrealistic, and it's like it's not realistic, and it's you try to tell them like, hey, sir,
it takes.
Or it's like you've already done this before, right? You know which way to do it. Hey, this is the best way to do this right here. This is what we're gonna do. Oh no, we're not gonna do that, and it's
we're
like
doing this.
Fuck. Okay, well, like let's let him fail real quick. Okay, he failed. Now let's pick him up and show him the way we're supposed to do it. Like that's why
people got to learn to stay in their lanes and be humble.
And that after being out, it's like, I mean, when you're in, you want to be as cool as possible. But now that I look back at it, I'm like, dude, I should have just, like, like the multicam thing, right? We always all had multicam, and one day Captain Cole was like, you guys aren't wearing multicam anymore. We're going to the MU. And all of us made this huge stink about it. What? I can't wear my fucking... And now looking back at that, I'm like, I was such an idiot. Why didn't I just wear no multicam then, But being in, you have... Even like my friends who are in right now, when I hang out with them, they have these conversations about like, the things that are problems in Garrison Marine Corps are so minute.
Stupid.
So stupid, like... Yeah, he didn't even get in formation. He had no haircut, and we were getting bitched at. And I'm like, sometimes I got to stop, and I'm like, dude, those things used to be relevant. That used to be an issue in my life. And to think about that now as a civilian, I'm like, those were the dumbest fucking things.
Like, wait, I can put my hands in my pocket?
Ever. Do you know what I'm saying?
What?
It's just crazy to me to think.
What do you mean I can drive cross country without telling anyone?
I'm like, like when we flew to Boston.
Submit a plan?
I'm like, this is great. That's why as soon as I got out, I went on a road trip. We went for like 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got nobody to report
refreshing.
to. That's why a lot of times with my phone and stuff like that, I'm on it a lot, but I don't answer messages quick by any means because now that I'm out, I'm like, dude, I have no obligation to answer anybody. I could turn my phone off for 2 weeks and nothing's going to happen of it. Yeah. Like, I can't get in trouble for it.
Those of us trying to contact you don't appreciate it, but...
You guys... And honestly, my friends who are still in, Troy and them that I still ride motorcycles with, get really mad at me. They're like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just like... And almost like if I see my phone ring, I get like anxiety. I'm like, I don't even want to fucking look at it.
Yeah, you got a lot of people that contact you, though.
Well, I'm always on social media doing something
exactly.
stupid.
That's the same way. I've gotten to the point where I have people message me all the time now, and it really sucks because the people that I need to get back to, sometimes I don't see their message till later on because I have on my account now, because I don't know if it's because it's a business account or the amount of followers, I'm not really sure, but I have on my Instagram DM, like if you DM me, I have 2 lists.
2 separate lists?
The primary and general. If you're on my primary list, when I get message, I get a notification. If you're on I have to look at the general list, or I won't know that.
Oh, really?
I won't know
because
that
you have the business account or whatever it is.
I don't know if it's that or if it's the amount of followers. I never really paid attention to it until I noticed it one day, and I'm like, what's that all about? But that helps out some. But then I also feel bad because when someone messages me or someone emails me, because like sometimes I'll get an email that something's wrong with a product, something happened, like a QC, something with quality control didn't work out and they got a shitty product. It happens, I'll be the first to admit it. It happens. I want to try to get back to those people as quickly as possible because I feel bad, one, that they had a shitty situation happen that involved my own company. That sucks. But 2, I feel like as someone who's trying to start a business or who's trying to make things happen for myself, like doing this show and stuff like that, the only way that people know about it is like spreading the word. And if I lose the confidence of people are like, dude, he sucks. Like his fucking, that's just, I don't know. I try to like limit that, but at the same time, I find myself on the phone constantly.
I'm always on my phone and I don't even know why. I don't even know. Half the time I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing right now?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as like with quality control and shit like that. Like the dudes... Like, going to get patches before deployment. There was one spot. You went to the PX, to the patch shop, and you got your patches made. But we were on deployment for 3 months. I still didn't receive my patches. They finally received them, and they were the wrong patches.
No way.
And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, so I had to call them. It wasn't 3 months. It was 2 months. But still, that's 2 months, and I ordered these things a long time. So I'm like, and then they're kind of giving me attitude, and it's the same thing. I'm like, well, this is the only place I can go to.
Yeah.
But that's a great place. Like, with you, it's like, if you have a quality control issue... if I was to contact you and I didn't know you and I'm like, hey, my shirt's wrong, and you got back to me within a couple hours and it was like, hey, I'm sorry, and I can tell it's not a robot that I'm talking to. It's not like a traditional cut and paste.
It's like,
and they're like,
hello,
oh shit,
customer.
and they're going to give me a new shirt. Oh, and it's getting shipped out tomorrow. I'm 100%. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to tell my friends about this.
Yeah, I had. So when I first started this, I would try to respond immediately. So if you emailed me and you're like, I have an issue, within minutes, I was emailing you back to at least say, hey, okay, I see the issue. I'm going to look into it. Or, hey, give me these details also. Because part of the thing is I'm a one-man show here. I don't print my own shirts. Like, I want people to know that. I have a contracted company that prints shirts for me. I had a contracted company that printed shirts for me, and I got a bunch of complaints because they were printing some Anglico logos, and some of it was cut off on it, and it was fucked up. And customers started sending me photos, and I'm like, God damn it! So I ended up firing them as a printer for my shit, because I'm like, dude, you guys can't look at something that is obviously not the same as the image I sent you, and you can't print that correctly. Like, all you're doing is tarnishing my name, and in turn, you're making my company lose business, which is now making your company lose business. So I had to get a new printing company. So, and it's like, it's kind of out of my hands because I'm not the one actually printing and shipping it. But at the same time, it's obviously my fault because it's my company. Because I'm saying, hey, I trust this guy to print and ship the stuff as he's supposed to. But it's just, I mean, I don't know. Social media, I try to be on it constantly so I can talk back to people and like let them know that, hey, I got your message. This is going on. Let me figure this out. I'll send this out. I'll do this. And with the company, like, it's not just one print company. I actually have like 5 different people I contact just about different things. Like, if you want patches, I got a patch guy. If you want stickers, I got a sticker guy. I'm actually looking at buying my own plotter cutter and starting to do my own stickers, and so I can lower the prices and stuff on that. I'm looking at it, but those things are like, some of them for professional ones, they're like $5,000 to $10,000.
God damn.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive, but you can use it for other things. But what I'm getting at is, like, social media is a way to interact with your customers and for people to give you feedback, along with email and stuff like that. But as I've grown, and now I'm having like right now, I think I average like 120 visits a day to my website. And, obviously there's some sales that come with that. So there's going to be a percentage of something's, hey, people reaching out like, hey, I meant to put apartment D and not apartment B. Hey, and social media is a way for me to keep in contact with those people and respond quickly. But it is, I know what you're saying. It's overwhelming sometimes. And it is nice to just like shut the phone off and just not.
For you, it's different though. Your business is on your phone. Mine, I wake up and I'm like, where's my phone? And Lacey calls me out on that all the time. She's like, dude, you're on your phone all the time. I'm like, fuck, I know. Yeah. It's like, I'm addicted to it.
You ever look at the screen time? You see how much screen time?
It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting.
Well, you got to realize that you're on it that much and look at it and like, just make that your business then.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, I'm always on Netflix or Hulu. Like, if I'm in the kitchen, or if I'm doing anything. So there is a good amount of time there just playing videos and shit. Yeah. But it's still like a lot of, that is the way to go. If I could figure out a way to do something with my social media.
People keep talking about like their younger kids and stuff have depression and stuff like that. And I look at all of it comes from the iPhone. Man.
Absolutely.
All the phones.
Even adult, dude, I'll look at my life and I'm like, this is great. I live in Southern California. I got a nice car. I got a hot wife. Like, everything from the outside looks great.
Everything's working out.
But then all I need to do is get on Instagram and I'm like, dog, Tyga's birthday is today, the rapper. Oh, and he's in fucking, God knows, in some Caribbean place. Or like, oh, Dan Bilzerian. Oh, there he goes fucking again, Dan flying on his jet. And that is 100% where I'll go into like the state of like, man, this kind of sucks. And my dad is the one who actually told me on my birthday, he like wrote a letter. Like Tracy and Mike wrote something stupid in like a card, not something stupid, but it was like, hey, dude, like just remember, like, you're doing what a whole bunch of people from back home wish that they could do.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it until that. And I'm like, dude, you're right. There is probably a whole lot of people from Midwest bumfuck Illinois that see my snaps. Oh, 75 and sunny again today. And
I wish I lived 15 minutes from the beach.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes I'm like, man, it takes me almost 20 minutes to get to the beach. I'm like,
that's bullshit.
I'm like, I want to live, and I'm like, wait a fucking second. I live 20 minutes from the ocean, from the destination where people vacation at. We live. And I have to remind myself that sometimes. I'm like, social media is the death of America.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, you look at it and you're like, man, it could be better. It
Yeah.
could be better, which is a good thing. It should give you some drive. But if you become obsessed with it and it becomes like a downer because you're like, I'll never be that good.
Yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of people is they look at something. So they look at something and they're like, I could never have that. I'll never be able to get that. That's for other people. That's for rich people. That's for these people. And that's so fucking stupid. It's like, dude, that's for you. You could get that.
Yeah.
You could do this. Like,
well, if you look at it, sometimes I look at rich people and I think that they're not the same person as I am. But then I'm like, no, we all started from the bottom, but like we all have the same opportunity.
When Nick got his first Lamborghini, and this is not a rich person, like he's just good with his money. Him and his wife were both Marines, enlisted, got out.
Yeah, they make pretty good money too.
I'm sure they do. Rich. I'm sure they work for the government. I think they're GS guy. Well, I don't know. I don't really know. But when he got his first Lamborghini, you know, he's super cool. He's super awesome guy. He'd let kids come and sit in it, start it up and stuff like that. And I remember he was telling me that he let there was a lady came from down the road because he'd always have his garage door open. We all just hang out in the garage and chill and this, you know.
Yeah.
And this lady came down and with her kid and was like, we drive by every day and he wanted to come by and see if he could see it. And he's like, fuck yeah, hop in, bro, fire it up. And like his mom was like, well, enjoy this. This is probably the only time you ever get to sit in one. And he's just like, don't tell him that. Like, tell him you got to work hard so you can get one of these. Not that you'll never be able to get this.
I never
that's
thought of that.
Fucked up, man. That's
I'm
a
sure
fucked
she
up
didn't
way because now you're telling this kid he's not good enough for something like that.
Well, I'm sure that she didn't mean it like that.
No, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that we've become
it's like a preset.
We've become
like,
so
rich
like,
people are different. Like they're in a different.
Yeah, they're on a different level than you. And that's why when people are like, fuck, dude, fuck, you know, it's like, I don't know, man.
There's a guy at my work, man, that was like, he's super pissed off at the guy who runs Amazon,
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. And he's basically like, that's bullshit for these rich people. You know, after there should be a time limit to where then they have to step down and, you know, just cycle through. They can't be at the top at all times. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
That sounds like somebody that's never started a company and had someone else say that.
That's what I told him. I go, you're an idiot. So you're going to tell me you built Amazon, right? You put all your hard, and then you had a lot of
hours not hanging out with your friends.
You had a lot of like, if this doesn't
family.
work, you're fucked. There's a lot of in your favor too of like, you're kind of playing a gambling game as well.
That's the risk.
And now let me get this straight. So you make it. And now you are being told by the government you have to step down and let somebody else who didn't do shit for it take that company? I'm like, that's not America, dude. Off. He's like, well, you don't get it. I'm like, no, I don't think you get it, man. I'm like, if you build something, nobody should be able to take that from you.
Yeah.
Unless there's a company that's better.
Yeah.
And then that's the best part. People like my buddy was like, oh, on Facebook, capitalism is for, you know, it just crushes people and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, have you ever, what country right now that isn't in, like, that's socialism or it's fucking China, not many people are fleeing America to go to China.
The thing about China, too, is that, like, if you're rich, it's like royalty. Have you ever seen that documentary, American Factory?
No.
It's on Netflix. Dude, watch that. They, like, have these celebrations at, like, the factory for the owner of the company. Like, he's some kind of, like, president of the world.
That's
like,
nuts.
They're all like, we for our dear leader.
Yeah.
Like, having, like, it's so weird, man. It's crazy that that's their mentality. But then they look at us and they're like, these fucking lazy-ass Americans not working. Like, what? OSHA.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part where this like, OSHA inspector is there because they're in Ohio and they have these Chinese people that come over to help run the factory with the Americans. So it's not, you know, so it's a mix of them. And this dude's like, they're making windshields. And there's like an oven where the windshields go in. And I don't remember what it's for, and there's this dude who's like, he's an OSHA inspector or he's a safety inspector for the company. He's an American. And he's like talking to this Chinese guy, like, how many times have you gone in this oven? Because they have to go in to pull the shit out. And he's like, oh, this many times. And it's like 300 degrees or something retarded. And he's like, you've been going in and out of there all day without, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no way we could have, Americans would never do that. Like, you do it like 3 times. They're like, fuck this. What's my right say I don't have to do this? Which, you know, isn't completely wrong, you know? That's like, but that's the difference between I don't know.
And nobody, it shocks me that people don't understand how good it is here. Yeah, like, it is kind of fucked up. Like, there is fucked up things going on here, but I'm like, so for instance, somebody just put up a video the other day. The guy was in Anglico. He puts up a video of this black dude who is eating a sandwich at a bus stop. Have you seen that? Or he's eating a sandwich at a train stop. And the law is you can't eat food at the train stop, whatever the train thing is where it picks you up, because they don't want.
Where at?
It's in America somewhere. I think it's in New York or it's somewhere. Anyway, it's illegal to eat food at this where you stand at for the train to come.
Okay.
And the cops roll up and they're like, "Hey, dude, you're eating a sandwich. You can't be eating a sandwich." He's like, "Fuck y'all. You ain't gonna take my sandwich from me." And he's like He's back talking the cops, and he's going on and on about it. And the cops arrest him. They're like, "You're arrested." And he's like, "You can arrest me for fucking eating a sandwich, blah blah." But it's like, dude, the fucking law is right there. You don't eat a sandwich. I guarantee you, if you were like, "Oh, apologies, officer," like you're polite, you're sorry, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be eating a sandwich, my bad. I'm sure that he wouldn't have gotten arrested. I'm sure that they would.
Oh, yeah.
If you were compliant and you were just like, "Hey, my bad, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be eating this."
You know what's crazy is that.
But everybody flipped out. Oh, it's the cops trying
you
to.
went to. Like, dude, remember we were in Singapore and it's like so clean and it's so like.
Yeah.
And I've heard people, they're like, "Man, I wish the U.S. could be that clean. I wish the U.S. had, like, there's no trash. There's like, you don't see trash blowing down the street, like, gathered up in corners and stuff like that." And you hear people that are like, "Oh, America should be like that. We should be able to clean it up like that." And it's like, "Oh, yeah, you know why there's no trash?" Or you don't see people eating on the subway or you can't even chew gum on the subway. Because if you do throw out trash or you do get caught eating on the subway, they fucking cane you.
Yeah.
Like they take you out and publicly cane you.
Remember, we weren't supposed to chew gum and stuff, they told us when we got there.
Yeah, you couldn't dip. You weren't allowed to dip off ship. You couldn't chew gum.
You weren't supposed to like look at a female for too long or whatever it was.
You couldn't eat on the subways and stuff like that. You couldn't, if you littered, any of that stuff.
We're not disciplined enough for that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, so in a situation like what you're talking about, like, yeah, that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up. Like, you shouldn't get arrested because you're eating a fucking ham sandwich.
But the video,
that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, the video was very clear. Like, this guy was just belligerent as shit. That's why they arrested you. And the whole argument on Facebook was, "Yo, the cops are overpowering, blah blah." But it's like you didn't even see the whole video. You just saw the clip that they posted as well. So you probably didn't see them being like, you did see him be like, "Hey, you shouldn't be eating," but you didn't see anything before that. You don't know what happened. You have no clue if this guy threw a wrapper on the ground. It's like the whole. It's every cop video you see on Facebook where these shooting this innocent guy.
Well, not even that. Have you ever seen the what do they call those people? They're the ones that don't think the government's real.
What?
They're the ones like they get pulled over and they're like they hold the card up like, "According to my rights, I do not have to." Yeah, and they end up getting their window
love it when
busted,
they get smashed in and pulled out.
And it's always these goofy ass like chubby white dudes that look like super beta dudes, and they just pull them out of the car. Like, dude, we told you for the last 30 minutes, and I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna bust your window open, and I'm sending the dog into the car. And they're like, "My rights as a citizen." Oh, sovereign citizen. That's what they call it, sovereign citizens. Fucking idiots, man. So
I can't keep up with
stupid,
it,
man.
I'm like, I just don't understand it. And the same people who, when they get pulled over to DUI checkpoint, I don't have my right to say. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. These cops are out here trying for your better to make sure that. So if you drive home, right, and the cop just lets you go, and you get smashed by a drunk driver, and all your kids die, too fucking bad.
I think DUI checkpoints aren't necessarily a good thing, just because I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think like when you like here in San Diego, they've been having a bunch lately. They've been in the news, and it's like, "Oh, DUI checkpoint last night netted 2 drunk drivers."
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, how many people did it take to set that up to coordinate that just to arrest two drunk drivers?
Yeah, but you're looking at it, but then you got to look at it as how many did it really affect that weren't there? How many people thought, damn, they're doing the DUI checkpoint?
What do you think when you think of drunk driver? When I say drunk driver, what comes to your mind?
What, specifically, like,
do you think someone like hammered? Like
totally depends.
Because it could be some dude that's coming back from the brewery and had 2 IPAs at the brewery.
Right.
Now he's a drunk driver.
But like they'll do DUI checkpoints leaving PB because there's only a couple ways to get out of PB, right? You got to go down Garnett,
Pacific,
and it kind of funnels you out. So they'll do one right there because everyone that goes to PB is probably getting drunk, right? But there's been a lot of times where it's like, "Yo, there's a DUI checkpoint," and everybody's like, fuck that, I'm not drinking tonight. So you got to think of, they did catch 2 people, but how many people did they really prevent in the end from also driving?
Yeah.
But that's also...
I mean, I understand the point, but I just don't think it's... I don't think the...
No, for sure. I think that the juice might not be worth the squeeze, but still for a guy to be like, "Oh, it's against... my Second Amendment says I don't have to blah, blah, blah. First Amendment, sorry."
Yeah.
But it's like, saying. Dude, you don't get it. Like, you can't get mad. You can't get mad, but if some drunk driver smashes into your fucking wife's minivan... That could have been a guy that was rolling up his stupid ass window being like, "Oh, my Second Amendment." Fuck off, dude.
Yeah. I get them, and people are going to be mad that I even said that. That I think it's a waste, but I just don't think
it'd be smart. You're
think about how many citizens are now hassled.
Yeah,
not even hassled, but like their day has been interrupted or their evening has been interrupted because of this. Because of this whole thing. But and think about it again. Like, what if I had just gone to the brewery and I had 2 IPAs and now I'm cruising through this UI check? I'm going to be sweating it. Even if I don't feel drunk, I'm going to be like, fuck, man, I hope I don't smell like fucking alcohol.
I think that's the whole point of it. They want you to be like, okay, they want you to be more conscious of, okay, I had 2 IPAs. Maybe I shouldn't fucking drive.
I think I'm good after 2, though.
But if you're over,
I know what you're saying.
I totally get it too. I'm not like
sweating it out.
I'm not this dude who's like, don't drive. You know what I'm saying? But I see it from their point of view.
Yeah.
If you're sweating it, then maybe you shouldn't be driving.
I see it, but I don't.
People who get DUIs and stuff like that, like I have no sympathy for you. Not that I'm saying that I am not like by any means. No. You know this, like, but it's a risk you take. You know, you get in and you're like, hey man, I've had 2 IPAs. This is a total risk. I could be totally fine.
Yeah, you're right.
But what if someone hits me? Like Jared. Yeah. Jared leaving the Anglo beer pong tournament. He didn't get in an accident. He got hit.
Oh,
and he was
I didn't know that.
He was like, fuck, he got rear-ended or something like that.
Oh.
And he was like, no, like, fuck it. Like, I'm trying to get out of here. And the cops came.
Oh, man.
And it's something like that where it's like, yeah, I could drive great drunk. But can the fucking old lady next to me in the rain when she hits me and now I'm like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying?
Now people are frowning upon that command.
And honestly, whenever if I do drive drunk, like, knock on wood, my biggest fear is like someone's going to hit me. Yeah. It's not going to be me because I'm extra on point. You know what I'm saying?
And when you say the thing now is Uber's so convenient.
It's weirdly convenient. But then you got to think like, don't want to leave my car there.
Well, that's why I like to Uber to where if I'm going to go.
You do Uber often to like if we're out, you'll Uber there.
If I know I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to Uber there too because I'm like I don't want to leave my car there. Because I'm going to have to take 2 Ubers either way.
And you get free Ubers, right? You get like a...
Nah, you get one.
No, didn't you? Like you had a promo code or something where you had like $15 with your credit card or whatever?
Yeah, you get $15 free. That's like 1 ride, maybe 2.
That's still a good incentive.
Yeah, a month. That's what you get a month. But all right, man. I think we're at almost 4 hours.
Holy shit.
We're at 3 hours and 47 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to cut it off here. I doubt anybody's even listened this far into it, but if you have, check out my website, jkramergraphics.com. I have the Instagram page up, the Former Action Guys.
Yep,
I haven't put too much on it yet, but it's weird managing 2 pages that are basically the same. It's hard. I don't know how much I'm going to put on there. It's definitely going to be my backup account if for some reason my J Kramer Graphics won't get shut down. So please follow it in case I get shut down. Take a look at it. Hit me up on Twitter, number 4, MER Action Guys, and on email at formeractionguyspodcast@gmail.com. And is there anything that you would like to say?
Dude, I got nothing, bud.
All right.
Thanks for having me on. Super good time.
Hey, next week's Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to have another show. I should have another show recorded by then and released on Thanksgiving. So, all right. Everybody have a good one.
Later.